Our
I was gonna
favorite thing,
stream,
political
but
violence.
the
Everyone loves talking
connection
about it. Everyone
is
can't stop.
atrocious right now.
Everyone's so
And of course, it
excited for
typically
political
happens.
violence
Yeah, it
and
typically
how fun it
happens
is to keep
when,
talking
like,
about
a
because it's
lot
so
of people get
important.
off work, and so then they clog up
Yeah,
the
so
Wi-Fi.
this
So,
Corbin
like,
guy
this
met him
morning,
in a debate. He
before
invited me to
everybody got up,
debate.
it was great. And then it
And
was
then
like
he told me he was in the debate after I
99 minutes.
agreed, and I'm
And then
like,
I
oh,
just did a
good.
test feed. I'm like, why
Another
is it I'm having
debate
lag
about
problems? And now it's like 10.
definitions. I
So I was
can't
like, damn.
wait.
So that's
So
why
I
I was
hope
like,
you
all right,
guys are
well, no
excited for
streaming. So you're
a
gonna get all
debate
of
where
my
we
viewers
talk about the definition of
for tonight.
fascism for about 5 hours.
So,
Because that's what's gonna happen.
probably be a little bit.
But I talked to Vince before this. He's the good Wilson. He's a
got
pretty
our
cool
heavy
guy.
hitters tonight.
So I'm excited to
We got
at least see what he has to offer and
we got
yeah, see what
Andrew,
happens.
we got John, kind of. Although
Hope
John's,
do you guys like my new
John's been on
shirt, by the
Fox
way?
News a couple of times, but that's
I had to mirror
all you
my
have.
setup just so you could
That's
read
your
it.
only claim to fame, John.
Why did the
Hey,
YouTube audio
there was
just
the
pop?
Charlie Kirk show as well.
Oh, right. You
I
had
had
Charlie Kirk
breakfast
too,
with
yeah.
him.
I forgot. Yeah.
No, this is not Andrew
I've
Wilson's
gotten a good
brother. They're
amount
just
of
both white
interviews,
people named Wilson.
um,
A lot of people named Wilson
besides
anyway,
that and appearances, but,
around
yeah.
these parts.
Oh.
Actually, I wonder if it's illegal. Is this a call to violence?
I went viral. You missed that one.
Thank you, Robbie.
Yeah, I didn't realize that happened like a year ago. I thought that was more of a recent thing that you were talking about.
Mhm. The video gets circulated like
Shout outs
every
to
few months.
Eric Wilson.
Nice.
Who's
Did you
that?
like post it to a channel of yours, or did it blow up on? Like,
Are you just trying to dox random people in my chat?
At
Devin?
first, the official Turning Point USA Twitter posted it,
Oh,
and
nice.
then it gets posted.
Anyway,
like,
how's everyone's night
throughout
going?
Instagram,
I hope you guys
YouTube,
enjoy me getting a
all
headache
social media
and
platforms.
spouting
And
ad
then
hominems
I've
because my
noticed,
brain
like,
hurts.
every month or two, another like popular channel will get their hands on it and then just like post it and
And it'll just kind
circulate
of go
again.
through the cycle again.
Yeah,
like,
I know when that's
later.
happening because I'll
What do
randomly be
words
walking around
mean?
campus
Yeah, it's
and
like
people will
I would say
start
one level
recognizing me
above
from the video.
Jordan
Like,
Peterson
Oh, yeah.
levels of
That's
pedantry.
really funny. That's
I don't know
really
if we're
funny.
gonna get into the definition of what is.
You're like a mini celebrity.
Is the propeller hat to play the whole La La Land leftist? No, it's more like
also
I just
do wanna
got
be
this
very
hat.
clear, I'm not trying to be
Someone got it for me and it
but
was like,
my
hey, this is
full first
stupid
name
and
is
funny,
John
and I
Paul.
started wearing it when I was
Just wanna
recording
be
people, and then I
extra clear
didn't
on that,
stop.
'cause sometimes people
Hey,
have a
radical!
tendency to
Oh, I
comment
saw
on
you
it.
were sick,
would you
buddy. I
prefer
hope you
John
get
Paul?
better, Ryan.
Yes.
Cramming for a test
that
I'm
way-
unprepared for. Don't watch this then.
Yeah.
Go cram.
Yeah, I know some people have.
Sorry,
like,
Rosh.
two
It's not going to
first
be
names. I think technically my full
good
name is
debate.
Corbin Joseph.
It's going
But
to
I
be
also have a
awful.
middle name, Lee. So I don't know if I say I have two first names or two middle names. I'm not sure. I'm not.
You're not my real
sure
dad.
which
Yeah, but
I'm
I'm
supposed to
hopefully
say.
a good influence on you, and I would hope that
Do
you
you have,
don't want
like, is
to
that just
fail your
full
test,
name,
and
John
this is
Paul
not going to help
Leon?
you study.
No other
Yeah,
middle?
that's my first name. I don't have a middle name.
Jean-Paul Leon.
Yeah.
Does the hat generate enough
English
force for
language is
lift? No,
garbage.
because I'm too fat.
I don't know why. Like, our naming conventions or just any like label convention in English is trash.
Live streaming isn't available right now.
Just
Oh,
as
okay,
a heads
switch
up,
accounts.
I may freeze up at some point. Just
Not to
because
worry.
it's been like real spotty lately. So
What's
like
going on
while
here?
y'all were talking, it like froze up for like 2 seconds. I'm working on.
So I'm more concerned about
getting a
you.
new
You're in the
router
ring with a big
or a
chungus
modem
fascist after all.
or,
Yeah, true.
on the
should-
road.
Andrew's a troll. If
you
he's
should do
getting
like a-
sarcastic, you know
like
you're
a
doing something
traveling
right. Looking
PC.
forward to it. Yeah.
Oh,
How do
I
you
got a- I
circumvent
got a
Andrew's
massive computer
philosophical
to,
jibber jab? You can't.
Well,
You can't
I
because
thought you
he
said you're on
refuses
the
to admit
road
fault. He's like a big, fascist strongman
yeah,
type.
I'm
He's
on-
never gonna say he's wrong.
Yeah, well, I have a
So
laptop.
you just
It's a
have to play
gaming
with it.
laptop.
You know,
So, okay,
have
yeah,
some
that's-
fun, do your
yeah.
best.
So
But
it's
that's
like-
why I
it's
like
like
avoid it in
talking
general. Because I'm
about.
just like, this isn't.
Yeah,
It's not
I
making me
got
think
the
more.
whole setup
I'm not
over here.
learning.
You
I'm
see,
not
I
having a
brought
good time.
My mic
Like
stand,
it's
my
just like,
mic,
ugh,
I brought
more of this
everything. And I've
bullshit.
even got,
Oh,
like, my
good.
camera.
Oh yeah,
I
so
bring
you
the
don't accept
whole
my
set,
definition?
but
Okay, let's use yours.
the
Oh,
problem
you
is
don't
I
have to give
don't
one?
have the
Oh,
one piece that
okay.
I really
Well,
need,
well,
which
here we
is
go.
the internet.
I should
So
open a
gotta-
jar. I don't
gotta
actually have a
solve
jar
that
to
piece and
open.
I'll be good to go.
I can open
You should bring,
a
like,
safety
your own,
bottle
your
of
own,
like
satellite
green tea pills.
Starlink.
Yeah, like
How extreme
yeah,
do you
like
expect
Starlink,
Trump to
like
get next year?
your
I'm
own
not
traveling
optimistic.
Wi-Fi.
You guys see
I
the
think they
Yeah.
make those. They're just super fucking expensive.
you guys see the
Well,
the
and
war room
Starlink is
thing
hit or
where
miss,
he's
to be
like, if
honest.
you
So
don't
it's
like what I
like-
have to say, you can leave and lose your rank.
Been proposed. So
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Just say that
looking
again. You
into-
froze up.
yeah, see, there you go. I told you. So I'm talking about the internet. No, there's a few different.
Drink every time Soys
solutions I've heard.
copies
Like, one
Destiny
you can
and
plug,
says, "Hey,
like, you can
XYZ then
essentially take
ABC
the
when he's
hotel
Steelman."
Wi-Fi, put it into this like
I don't get
it's
it.
a mobile router. It's not like really a modem.
Get your
and
girlfriend
then
wife
you
to
have
come
your
in with a
little-
jar.
like more.
Get my
like,
roommate to do
boost
it.
the signal, I guess. Or something.
Probably call me
I'm
gay.
not-
Oh,
I'm
you
not
live with a man? That's
IT
gay,
guy
bro.
by any
When is the
means.
debate? Well, it's supposed to be 3 minutes ago,
So-
but Andrew's late.
You been good though, Corbin? You been
That's
good?
why we're all in the
Yeah,
room
been good.
already.
Been good. Just chilling, working.
Hi, werewolf. John Lennon.
Working
No, this
a
is
lot.
John Paul Lennon.
I don't know
John
who
Paul
that is.
Leon.
I woke up this morning.
His full name is
At
John Paul
about
Ringo George, but he's
6
just
o'clock,
abbreviated the last part.
and I had worked until about 4. Got off, went got some dinner.
What's
and
up,
then
Colin?
Jumped on here and tried.
He's
to do
too
some
busy getting a
last-minute
fresh pack of
prepping up,
cigarettes.
so-
Dude, that guy is going to die. What are your thoughts on animal rights? We should have more of them. Genuine question. So, are you still in school? No, I'm 29. I graduated in 2019. I studied aerospace, but then I did software for a while.
Smoky Flaccid Andrew Wilson.
Andrew having a
We're
Siggy
just
break after his
waiting on
Siggy
Andrew at
break.
this
That's why
point?
he's late. Yeah, well, he can just
Yeah,
smoke during the
just
stream like he
waiting on
normally does.
Okay.
Man
My
himself.
Georgia spilled? Nah, Shenandoah hasn't gotten to me yet.
Andrew Wilson. Vince Wilson and Andrew Wilson. Quite a
Yeah,
fun
I
pair.
know.
Yeah.
Should have named myself
Yeah.
Soy Pilsen.
Battle of the Wilsons.
Thoughts
You
on
guys should
Hexus? Telling
start
the
like a
generals to
buddy
prepare for
cop
war.
movie.
It's pretty
There
scary
you
and
go.
fashy, and
Yeah, bad guy,
they're
good
going to
guy.
crack down on leftism.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's that's up to
Whose
everybody
channel is
else.
the main debate on? Andrew's? No, it's
Oh,
on.
goodness.
Well, I'm sure he's streaming on his channel. This is on Corbin's, actually. I don't know if he's got a big channel, but watch it on mine. I'll look at other places. John Paul looks like Adam Friedland. No, he
Mr.
doesn't.
Drew. Mr. Drew.
So, how do you feel about a panel on the Windows 11 start
Andrew
menu being a
Wilson.
React app? Oh my God, is it? That's insane.
Oh, nice.
Hey, look, React is
That's
cool.
got
I really like
subs.
React, but that's a
Hey,
very
let's
weird way to do
go.
it, and not in like the
I mean,
OS.
that's like a lot of subs for me right now.
Andrew Wilson makes me want to stop smoking, so I
Good.
something less in
been
common.
thinking
That's
about,
good. You should do it. I hope
like
that I
doing
could convince
just
you, but
maybe a
if I can't, maybe
couple of,
his stupidity can.
Like short lives.
Ugh.
So
No fat
so I
generals,
can
also
get my
Trump being
subs up
plump.
at least
Plump
to, like,
Trump. So she
monetization.
smokes cigarettes and slam beer. Absolutely not. Is this the guy that said
Yeah, I
sexual
mean, it
assault
doesn't
is only
hurt.
bad
I'll
for
tell
some
you, like, I
people?
went
Oh
in and I
God,
started-
did he say that?
Yeah.
Now that
I guess.
Mr. Andrew,
All right.
welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. You ready to go live?
I am live right now.
Oh, okay, sweet.
So anyway, I apologize. I'm slightly late tonight, guys. Apologize for that.
No, you're good, man. Appreciate you coming in. All right. Let's do this.
deja vu.
All right. All righty. My name is Corbin Sales. I'm a center-left liberal streamer, commentator. You can find me on X, YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok by the same name. And today, I'm hosting a very special debate on who's more responsible for political violence, Democrats or Republicans. And today, the structure of this conversation is going to be, we'll give everyone a chance to introduce themselves, then we'll do 2-minute openers, and then we'll have a free-form discussion. Hopefully, I can stay out of the conversation as much as possible. I only have 2 rules. 1, try to stick to the subject, and 2, try not to interrupt each other as much as possible. All right, Mr. Soypill, would you like to shout yourself out?
Yeah, what's up? I'm the Soy Pill. Thanks for having me. I do video essays and I stream sometimes. Do I give my intro now or just say who I am?
We'll do
Intros later? Okay, yeah, that's me.
Yeah. And then John Paul.
All right, I'm John Paul. I am a student at UC Berkeley, where I'm studying philosophy, economics, and public policy. I'm also the president of the Turning Point USA chapter here, and I've made several appearances on media outlets such as Fox News or The Charlie Kirk Show, and have done a lot of work within the conservative movement.
All right, Mr. Andrew Wilson.
I hope he doesn't become
Yeah,
the
my
next
name is
Charlie
Andrew
Kirk because
Wilson.
his
I'm the
neck
host of
is
The Crucible.
3 times as
I'm a
big.
political satirist. I'm a political analyst, and I do debates of all sorts all around the world.
All right, and finally Vince.
I am the Vince Wilson Show. I am a political commentator. I stream on YouTube, Twitch, and occasionally I will be on TikTok lives. And I try to post as many YouTube shorts and TikTok lives as possible. So you can find me on any of those platforms.
All righty. Soy, you have 2 minutes.
Intro? Yeah, I'll be faster than that. So, yeah, the stats show that the overwhelming majority of political violence is committed by the right wing, but I wouldn't attribute all of this to rhetoric. I think many people need extreme circumstances or mental illness in their life to want to risk everything and think that their violence will have substantial impact. It's also kind of silly that we talk about political violence in America as some sort of like major thing when you can look at, I don't know, the Troubles during Ireland or any other political violence where it becomes a part of everyday life with paramilitaries. But to be fair, we're still gonna, centralize this to America, and I think that ultimately, if we want to look at whose rhetoric is more harmful, it's undeniably also the right. Democrat politicians, again and again, will try to build bridges and condemn violence, while Republicans, especially Donald Trump, will deflect, turn up the temperature, and even pardon those who commit political violence on his behalf, calling to defeat the enemy within, the Democrats, the extremist party, or in some cases, the party of pedophiles. So I think the rhetoric and blame is incredibly one-sided.
All right, John and Paul.
All right. Once again, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight and everyone who's watching. And tonight's debate hinges on whoever can pin the most blame on the opposing mainstream political party. And I never thought I'd have to debate violence against the party of death, rights, and abortion, but here I am defending what I believe to be the obvious answer to the question. Now, due to the left's tendency to misclassify and misrepresent political violence, I'll be extra clear on the framework for the debate morally and definitionally. Violence is the behavior involving physical force to cause harm or destruction. And when that violence is political, it is set to achieve certain political ends. When we analyze which party is more culpable for the presence of political violence, we must look at the specific actions taken by the mainstream party that are plausibly linked to the occurrence of those political violent actions. The more impactful, damaging, and persistent that political violence is, the more culpable the mainstream party is as a result, assuming you could properly link the party to the violence. With that said, the core distinction here between the two parties is clear. Almost all violence from the right comes from the fringe right and is always condemned, whereas almost all violence from the left comes from the overwhelmingly present factions with strong ideological backing and influence in the mainstream Democratic Party, which typically normalizes, excuses, or rationalizes violence. The violence from the fringe right cannot be linked to the Republican Party since, again, their ideology is never taken seriously by the party, and such violence is always condemned. The violence from the left is strongly associated with the rhetoric, ideology, and the movement of the mainstream left, which is culpable for fostering a climate for such violence. In modern U.S. history, the largest sustained political violence comes from the left, in which the mainstream persistently tries to exclude reports of discussion or political violence, namely the 2020 BLM and Antifa riots, which caused $2+ billion of destructions, dozens of murders, and thousands of injured officers. Kamala Harris, as a response, promoted the Minnesota Freedom Fund that bailed out rioters, and major news outlets described the arson as looting as justice, with many left-wing academics and activists openly arguing that property destruction isn't violence. The aggressive and persistent references to Republicans as fascist Nazis and literally Hitler also does not help. If you think it is good to kill Hitler, which it is, then it is good to kill Republicans. Maybe that's why Charlie Kirk's assassin etched in Antifa slogans and catch fascist on the bullet that he used to shoot him with. So the distinction is clear. If a pro-life Jewish conservative walks onto Columbia University, he's at risk of being assaulted.
You almost done?
Yes, this will be the last line. If a pro-life Jewish conservative walks on Columbia University, he is at risk of being assaulted. Whereas if a general Democrat walks on Hillsdale College, he's at risk at losing a debate. So I think the framework for this is very clear. Fringe right is responsible for most of the violence from the right, whereas the mainstream left is responsible for building the climate that creates these large-scale violent acts.
All right. Thank you very much. Andrew Wilson.
Shouldn't the leftists go first? So it's left, right, left, right.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually. I was just going in order of introduction.
I mean, not to tell you how to run your own show.
Oh, no, you're
just
good.
So
you're
you know,
good.
I'm better at it than you. So.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Vince.
Yeah, I got you. So who's more responsible for political violence in America? The evidence shows the right commits more of it, but the difference isn't just in the numbers. It's in the response. When violence comes from the left, Democrats condemn it outright. When it comes from the right, Republicans deflect, blame mental illness, and ignore their own rhetoric. That imbalance matters. One party takes responsibility, the other refuses. When a party won't own the consequences of its rhetoric, it becomes indirectly more responsible for the violence that follows.
All righty. Thank you for the very succinct opener. And Andrew.
Yep.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. Very succinct. To the point.
Yeah, I guess. All right. So all of the claims from our opponents are going to hinge on studies that I guarantee you none of them have read. The soy pill likely will actually tell you the truth about that. He's pretty good about that. He'll probably actually tell you, you know what? I didn't actually read any of these. Vince Wilson will not. He'll pretend that he did, but he didn't read any of them. Let me tell you how I know that. I know that because of all the claims as I've gone through the two which they focus on, which are from the Cato Institute, and then the second one, which is from a specific project that an Antifa member is in charge of. The first claim is that the right is responsible for 6 times as many terror deaths compared to the left, and that's according to Cato. That's what they focus on. And the truth, Cato only focuses on deaths from terrorism and has glaring omissions, which put the entire study in question, which includes the fact that Michael Renault is Portland Antifa, and he's on camera saying, well, that he is. So anyway, Daryl Brooks, who's a noted black supremacist, if in case you guys don't know this, killed 6, all white, injured 70, comments on whites. As we get into the study, guess what? Not included, even though there's a political motive. We can compare this. So, by the way, the Atlanta spa shooting, this is with Robert Aaron Long, listed as right wing, killed 8. But what's really funny about this is if we compare it with Sutherland Springs, where 26 are dead, it's not included at all. So every time I make a comparison to when the motivation was pretty clearly left wing, they just don't include them. So what I need to see is, one, I need to see in their studies that the 2020 Summer of Love, baby, actually is counted as a left-wing violence. It's not going to be, which skews the numbers. And also I have an exhaustive, almost exhaustive list of left-wingers who have conducted political violence who are not included in any of these studies. Example, I think his name is Mauricio Garcia, killed 8. The ADL disputed that was even politically motivated. Vance Bolter, this is another one. He explicitly told reporters that it wasn't due to pro-lifer Trump, that the congresswoman, that he shot this congresswoman because he was anti-abortion.
It's so funny because he's using 2 studies that I didn't use.
Or classified.
He's really
correctly.
Jumping ahead of himself.
And so here's what's going to happen. Every study you fuckers cite, you dishonest fucking leftist scumbag cite, I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to go through and I'm going to look for these names. And if those names aren't there, they're not cited in there, I'm going to know that you're a bunch of gutless fucking liars, didn't read your own shit, because that's what always happens, right? Every single time. You're a bunch of filthy, gutless, lying sons of bitches, and you're not going to get away with it today. We're going to go through your dumbass studies, and we're just going to look at the classification. We're going to find out that when it's reclassified correctly and we take out, prison violence from prison Nazi gangs, that, well, it turns out not quite as lopsided as we've been led to believe. So, yeah, I'm happy to get into this debate. And John, it's nice to meet you. And let's stomp these fucking tarts.
All righty, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just first off, I want to say, Andrew, you jumped ahead of yourself a little bit there. I am not using the Cato Institute. I'm not using the ADL. I'm using the Center for Strategic and International Studies, which is the one that kind of
the
maps
CSIS.
the CSIS one that maps on pretty.
I got them in front of me.
You got them up? Yeah, okay. And that one maps up to the DOJ one as well, which is taken down, right?
Yeah. Would you like to go through the CSIS and look at all of the disputes and problems that I have with the CSIS?
We can, sure, but I would actually ask you to affirmatively show me any sort of study that shows that the right wing is overwhelmingly not the committers of violence. You can poke holes in anything, and I understand that, hey, this didn't include that, and you could have up to thousands of examples, but if there are thousands of examples of violence and your little discrepancies are well within the margin of error, unless you can provide me a study that shows that the right wing is not committing more violence, I'm sorry, I'm not going to play this doesn't count because I don't want it. So I'd love to see your study. First,
we need to make sure that we classify these things correctly. Can we classify what you and I, or what we and your side would consider to be right or left wing, and what would fit in that category, so that we can determine if those people who fit in that category are conducting violence or not?
I bet if we get into the definition game, we're going to be here for 2 hours, but we can try.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty important that we understand that if there's people here who are being included who you don't even consider left wing or right wing, that they probably shouldn't be included to begin with.
Yeah,
right?
like for example, a couple of the examples you brought up, like the black supremacists.
Let me finish. Almost done.
I'll
I'll toss it back over. the biggest problem that you have with your frontal argument here is you're saying, on the positive front, if you don't show me studies, even though you're already disagreeing with the classifications in these studies, which are already out here, that somehow that means that we lose. That's absurd.
That's not what I'm saying.
disagreeing. I'm disagreeing with these classifications to begin with. And if you could show me the equivalent of your high profile leadership getting shot and your president's almost getting murdered, I'd love to see it. But your studies, the studies which are used for this positive claim that right wingers are doing it more, are very suspect.
Right. I'm not saying that if you can't give me a study that shows that left wingers do it more, that you lose the debate. I'm saying that I have a classification that I mostly agree with that's used here. And if you have a different classification, or if you heavily disagree with this classification, I would love to see some evidence that uses your classification and also shows that left wingers do
Okay.
it more. For
Well, let's
example,
start
if
with
you
your
were
truth
able
claim.
to take the numbers out of this study and say, well, actually, I classify this differently, we can compare those two numbers, and then ultimately, like, I don't know, drop a new graph, like, sure, I could use that would be fine, but otherwise I don't think there's a point in going through and saying, well, I have a minutia of problems with this classification, therefore, especially when in my intro I said specifically, if we want to get into the rhetoric and what is actually causing it, I think that's much more important, but we could do either one.
Well, the first thing that we would need to do is create these classifications to make these determinations, to make sure you even agree with them yourselves. Why is that so important? Because if your fucking assholes are going to be running around telling people that the right is committing much more political violence than the left, and then banking on studies as the thing which proves this for you, then you're going to need to demonstrate that first and foremost.
I think you ought to demonstrate how Daryl Brooks, who killed Sticks, was political. It was a politically motivated attack. Can you elaborate that for me, Andrew?
What's that?
Can you elaborate how Daryl Brooks, who killed Six, was a politically motivated attack? You mentioned him in your opening.
Oh no, I was making a comparison about how they don't make these classifications correctly by their own rules in that particular study. I'd have to bring both those studies up for the comparison, but that was the point I was making.
So Daryl Brooks' example is you just don't know nothing about that case, then, right?
Can you repeat back what I just said, please?
I want you to answer mine. You clearly,
yeah, I know, but I
know
need you to
anything
repeat back what I just said so that
to-
I know that you know what I just said.
What
did I just say?
You were trying to mention in your opening how these are glaring contradictions, but the
No,
problem
I didn't say
is
that they're contradictions. You're a fucking idiot.
And-
What I said was that if you make
Go
a
ahead.
comparison, this thing over here is left-wing violence. This other thing that's exactly like left-wing violence is not left-wing violence. It's omitted, right?
Mhm.
Then what I'm asking is that if we're going to make these types of comparisons, let's create a classification for what we consider left-wing to be, what left-wing violence is, and then see if I can go through an extensive list of left-wing violence and make sure that these things were actually included, because if not, we have glaring omissions. Do you agree?
Okay, and you mentioned Daryl Brooks.
Yes,
How
it's a
is that
comparison.
an
It's
exa- how is Daryl Brooks? Hold on, no, Andrew, answer
Uh-huh.
my question. You mentioned it. How is that an example of left-wing extremism? Please elaborate.
I
I'm
wasn't
curious.
saying that it was. I was making
you
a
did. You did.
comparison that we can bring up all of these different names so that we can make a determination on if they are actually included as being left-wing violence, not left-wing violence, right-wing violence, not right-wing violence.
And you use Daryl Brooks. So answer the question then.
What's the question?
Why did you use Daryl Brooks as a form of left-wing extremism?
I
Elaborate on the
didn't.
case.
I
Tell me
didn't.
about the case.
For the
I
record,
didn't,
guys,
you
Andrew
stupid
sells
fuck.
courses on
I
how to
didn't.
debate.
Yes, you did.
If you ever want to feel good about
Okay,
yourself.
fine.
You
But
quite
I
clearly
guess I'll
did.
clarify as much as I possibly can, since you have the IQ of the room that you're in. Very clearly, what I'm trying to do is establish a comparison contrast. Left wing versus right wing. And if we agree thing, left wing or right wing, and then we can determine if they in study or not in study. That's it.
Did you or did you not use Daryl Brooks as an example of left-wing extremism?
No, I don't think I did. I think I was making an
Okay.
example of
We're just lying.
comparisons.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We'll continue. Because
But
you're
in
just
any
lying.
case, I just clarified it 15 fucking times. If that's what you heard, then that's not
And I
definitely
just
not what I
proved
meant.
I just
So
proved
who
that you did not
cares?
do any basic research on what the Daryl Brooks case was about. So I'm glad. We'll continue. Go ahead.
What
I
does this
guess,
have to
Definitely.
do with anything? In fact, even better, let's say I'm completely ignorant on all of these cases. Then I guess going through each of them and determining whether or not they're left or right wing violence would behoove both of us, wouldn't it?
I think that we should stay focused on less about these definitions, which we can get into, but it's just gonna be a semantical
What
argument.
is more
I think we should
fucking
stick to.
This is this is a semantical. This entire argument is semantics. Left wing versus right wing violence is completely 100% semantics. What else is it? What else is it besides semantics, bro?
Vince, the issue is that we're not going to. We're talking about the semantics because the studies are primarily focused on classification. They're not going to include the 2020 BLM and Antifa riots because property destruction, for some reason, lighting a building on fire is not political violence. But when a white supremacist who became a white supremacist in prison to survive commits assault on another prisoner, somehow that is political violence perpetuated by the right. And your burden is much, much more stronger than simply citing a number in a study. You can't just cite a number in a study, say, hey, look, this study based off of faulty classification shows that there's more political violence from the right. You can't just do that because you don't know the proper classifications of things. And when you do adjust for the classifications of things, you understand where the largest scale scope of political violence has occurred, which side it is from. And you see that the left has persistently, time and time again, excused, rationalized, stood in front of burning buildings, saying the mostly peaceful protest behind me. And you go in there and you cheer with these studies and saying, like, look at this
Chuck
study.
Schumer
This is what I have.
said, that's great. So if you go to the BLM protests, you can see where Chuck Schumer actually came out and said that the small minority who have exploited the protests to wreak havoc and violence are wrong, and they are not taking part in the grand American tradition of First Amendment protests. That was from
Okay, so why do you think Kamala Harris?
We also had Gretchen Whitmer. That's great. We still had Gretchen Whitmer.
It has nothing to do with anything.
Who have taken to the streets. Yes, because what it means is that the left, once again, as I mentioned, consistently condemns the rhetoric. I would encourage you to point out to me, for example, where you could maybe point to January 6th and say where Donald Trump condemned it, yet he then pardoned over 1,600 defendants. So again, you want to talk about how the left never condemns any of this rhetoric. There's several examples in which the left consistently condemns this rhetoric.
Wait, I'm confused.
But the right never does.
Did you just say that Donald Trump endorsed J6 by not pardoning the J6 defendants?
No, by pardoning them is what he said.
Yeah, yes. And how long did that take for the pardons to come through? For the pardons to come through for the J6ers.
Why does that matter?
Well,
the
reason that would matter is because that would mean that he allowed for evidentiary findings to come through before he made the decision about pardons or not pardons, right?
Right. So when he pardons someone like Enrique Tarrio for committing, seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government, who is convicted of that and in jail for that, and he pardons him because he aligns with this political agenda, that is somehow exculpatory, matters that the evidence came out later. Like, what does that have to do with it?
First of all,
way off the scale of
totally.
We are, but I just think this is a very weird
But I'm
line
actually
of
happy.
argument.
Just very quickly, I'll engage with this, right? The president has discretion to make those pardons based on what he considered to be a political witch hunt.
Yeah, I'm
whether
aware
the guy
that
was
and
convicted,
it's endorsing the people who did the thing where he planned to overthrow the government.
Or not. And just like how Joe Biden decided to pardon his kid on the way out the fucking door, okay?
Sure, and if his kid had been arrested for violence, I would say that's an endorsement of Hunter Biden violence.
You can say what you want there, but the thing is that the president has the power to make these pardons based on what he thinks is best, and he thought that there was a political witch hunt and that this guy didn't deserve to be thrown in prison for this.
Yeah, that's a lot of words to say he pardoned a seditious conspiracist. But I want to get back to this BLM thing, because when we're talking about political violence and why or why not this is classified as political violence, I think you have to look at what is the downstream following of a partisan message from Democrats, from Republicans, and what is actually happening here. You can call BLM political violence if it's, hey, these people were trying to, well, hold on, let me see. Do you guys agree on the definition that political violence is a violent or credible threat of violence intended to influence government policy or intimidate civilians for political or ideological purposes?
I think it's close enough. I may make slight addendums, but I think it's close enough for this discussion.
Just in case, what would you amend?
I like to predicate it with causing harm or destruction.
Yeah, or coercion.
Sure. I would say, I'm not going to get pedantic and say that violence or threats or even, burning down buildings is somehow not political violence, just to be clear. I don't think that's why it's not counted. I think the reason BLM might not be counted.
When they were burning down police stations, did any of these studies include that?
I'm not sure. But again, the problem is, are they doing this? They might not have for that specific one, but when you look at the totality of all of these things and you look at people rioting and taking advantage of a movement, which again, as much as it is a meme, were overwhelmingly peaceful as a percentage, is not the same as political violence intended to spread a message, change people's ideology, or do some
really
sort of
just do
terrorist
the
attack.
fiery but mostly peaceful line?
I mean, I don't know what you want to say. You can look at the stats. It's literally a majority of these protests had no violence in them, but yeah.
I think it's really telling that the majority of this organization was mostly peaceful. When you have such large scale violence and destruction, $2+ billion of damages.
Here, I'll build a bridge to you, John. I think the MAGA movement is mostly peaceful as well, despite January 6th and any violence committed by MAGA.
Right. So. Okay. So I think there's something really crucial about the framework of this debate here is that we're trying to analyze which party is more responsible. So when you say that, like Donald Trump pardoning people 4 years after the violence was committed, then you're not really showing any culpability for Donald Trump. He didn't do anything to cause the violence.
Well, we can get to the January 6th causes, but I'm specifically saying that he is showing that there's no consequences to committing political violence on his behalf. But the reason I'm bringing up the BLM, and I really want to stick on this.
They were in jail for years.
Yeah, and he wasn't president when he wanted to pardon them because the fucking insurrection failed. But regardless,
wait. Donald Trump could have pardoned all of those people on his way out of office. What are you talking about?
No, I don't think he could have done that.
I think he could have.
He had it within his power, but I don't think it was in the political set to do it at the exact moment while they're still in a bunch of trials.
So he could have then. Is what you're saying?
I don't know if he could have mass pardoned them in
why not
before any of their sentences were finished, before any of the prosecutions.
You can pardon somebody before they ever even have to face a federal trial.
Maybe. I don't know if that was within his purview at the time, but maybe I'm wrong. The point is, if we're talking about the downstream, the point is that we're talking about the downstream effects of the rhetoric of these politicians and how maybe a BLM riot might be like an execution of said rhetoric. So when you're looking and trying to classify BLM as political violence, you'd have to show that this violence is being perpetrated as like an extension of what these people are saying, like, hey, I'm telling you need to go cause harm in this, or you need to go like extend and perpetuate my message, and they're doing the violence to do that, when an overwhelming majority of these riots were just people fucking rioting and looting for no reason, no political ideology, just taking advantage of chaos and trying to take shit.
That's a very useful kind of red herring or something like this, but it's not actually demonstrated to me that these people weren't there on the ground with Antifa terrorists, for instance, domestic terrorists, by the way, who were, and we have video after video after video of them often leading these mobs and inciting them towards violence. So the thing
could you be more explicit there? What do you mean?
Yeah, guys dressed all in black show up. They start breaking windows, setting fires. Suddenly there's mobs all over the place. I know, not a good enough evidence for you, but for most people who are watching the videos, they tend to think, that looks very much like organized terrorist activity. Just saying.
Okay, so to be clear, you don't like our studies that have comprehensive, analysis and methodology, because you might disagree with the methodology, and that's fine. But your evidence that you're going to present to me that BLM is politically motivated in a majority is that I saw some videos and they had masks on.
Well, wait a second. Hang on. First of all, you're making a conflationary argument. I didn't make the conflation that, BLM is left wing versus your studies of the right wing. I have a much more comprehensive argument. My argument would be that the left is full of many, many more mentally ill people than the right. And I can give you studies which you would agree show this. They suffer from greater rates of depression, greater rates of overall feelings of unwellness and unhappiness. And when left-wing political primary people, this would be congressmen, senators, people in political leadership, tell these mentally ill individuals in their base that they're dealing with fascists and Nazis who are trying to take away their rights, that actually creates much more of a motivation for that mentally ill base than anything on the right, who seems to be able to discern between funny rhetoric and panic mode like you guys do anytime Trump sneezes.
Would you say that you inflict and ask violence on you and your family by naming yourself Big Papa Fascist?
You mean a debate handle?
Yeah.
A satirical debate handle?
Oh, it was a joke? Okay. But these people are mentally ill. They can't tell the difference, I thought.
You couldn't, hang on. You didn't think that the debate handle Big Papa Fascist was satire?
I don't know. I mean, you involved yourself in a lot of fascist
Did you think
rhetoric.
I really thought I was the biggest papaist of all the fascists?
No, I do really think you embrace fascism in a lot of ways. You want a Christian nationalist nation. And it seems like fascism. It doesn't really matter ultimately. It doesn't ultimately matter, Andrew, because like you said, you're talking to a bunch of mentally ill left-wing people. Maybe they're not able to discern whether or not it's a joke. They're not so good at humor. And maybe you're inviting violence on you and your family.
So right-wingers can't do satire because if they do, left-wingers may be provoked to violence. Great argument. comments, Soy Bill.
No, I'm saying that if you're accusing
Great
people of
argument.
accurately describing right-wingers as fascists when they do fascist things, and that is invoking violence, then I would
fascist
say
things?
calling yourself a fascist is probably also doing that, and I
Yeah.
would probably try to
don't think the
distance myself
point-
from
you-
any
you
and
don't-
all
you don't think the
past
point
names
of-
that I had that might invoke violence on me.
I got it. So when the left is calling right-wingers
Mhm.
fascist for things like wanting to close off the border and having pro-life positions, that's fascism. You think
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay, got it. So then that would not be justified use of calling them fascists and Nazis because they have pro-life positions. Would
No,
you like
absolutely not.
example after example after example of various left-wing politicians calling right-wingers fascist, authoritarians, and
No,
other
I don't need the
because
examples.
they
I
have
know. I'll call them
pro-life
fascists too. You don't
positions?
even need to use the politicians. I
Wait,
mean, we're talking about the
I-
politicians, but ultimately, I probably agree with those statements. Go ahead, Vince.
Mhm.
I'm curious here. So, Andrew, was your argument earlier then that because the left has predominantly more mentally ill people on their side, that using inflaming rhetoric such as fascist or things of that may invoke some of those people to act upon those impulses because of the fact that they are more mentally ill?
Worse.
Is that
My argument actually is that the rhetoric specifically is targeted towards that mentally ill base in order to move them towards political
Okay.
action, not
Great.
caring about violence at all.
Gotcha. So,
Mhm.
would you agree though? Because it seems like when you say there's more mentally ill, it does not negate the fact that there is still mentally ill people on the right, correct?
I don't disagree with that. Of course not.
Okay. So then if you have certain rhetoric
But I would
that
say
is given out
on
by
the
the
right.
would it not?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay,
would
go ahead.
say on the right. Well, there's distinctions in the types of mental illness that you're dealing with. On the right,
Okay.
the types of mental illness you're usually dealing with are things like PTSD. We've seen a lot of this, not necessarily politically oriented. A lot of times that mental illness isn't triggered by politics or political rhetoric. It's triggered by various other things because PTSD can affect people in bizarre ways. Left-wing mental illness is generally feelings of depression, feelings of unwellness, feelings of dissatisfaction, things like this. And a lot of those are actually associated with the political system as being things that make them feel like they have anxiety, make them feel like they're existing in a depressed mode. So I think that these
Gotcha.
politicians definitely target these people because they're very useful, jobless retards who show up to these protests in Portland and are clearly mentally ill. They're swinging their boobs around. You know, they all have blue hair. They have nose rings all over. They're obviously there's something wrong here with these.
Could you
Come
give
on.
like an example, Andrew? Like, I don't know, like Chuck Schumer, I guess is probably called him a fascist, and like how you can demonstrate like this Chuck Schumer, the guy who the left, especially the radical leftists, probably more of the mentally ill ones, will agree on that, to see as a feckless, detriment to their left wing movement, who they want to overthrow and install some communists to replace him. This is the guy who is radicalizing people to hurt right wingers. Like, could you show me like a quote?
Who? Which guy
Like
are you
Chuck
talking about
Schumer or like Hakeem
specifically?
Jeffries or like any like political Democrat leader who like you truly
Oh,
think
yeah.
is
Well, what they do-
radicalizing like these
yeah.
far left
They
crazy
don't
people.
just utilize all political pundits. Oh, in fact, when I was going through to get a comprehensive list of political pundits who have called right-wing politicians fascists and Nazis, I almost couldn't find one that didn't. It was like finding the exception. It was actually what's really funny is like even the economists do it. Even the left-wing economists are like, Trump's a fascist. It's
Well, when he does
crazy.
fashy shit and they describe it
I mean, come on,
realistically,
man.
yeah.
He's not a fascist. Bill Clinton, we were just watching his speech the other night, right? He came out with a much more brutal immigration policy than Trump ever had. He sounded like
Okay.
one of these modern right-wing authoritarian
Did Bill Clinton
fascists.
called
And it's
for
like-
mass deportations?
So
He did.
do you think
and to
calling
lock down the
somebody-
entire he called to lock down the entire southern border, and he wanted more isolationism with NAFTA actually rather than global
okay.
trade, which was interesting.
Interesting. Well, still, hold on,
Andrew,
Vince.
would you-
Before you ask, I still wanted to answer my question as to what
go ahead.
politician that's like calling Trump a fascist is inciting these far left people, or far left people are seeing inspiration from.
It's not just them. So how this works?
Well,
is,
but we're talking about the politicians, right? I don't
Yeah.
think that you would argue
Well,
that
actually,
you or
okay,
I,
well,
like
sure.
with our
In fact,
disproportionate influence.
I'll tell you what.
like-
Just name a Democrat. Let's play a game.
Okay,
Name
Chuck
a
Schumer.
Democrat. I'll find the quote. Okay. Chuck Schumer
Yeah.
calling Trump or right wingers fascists, right?
Mhm.
Andrew, do you think calling somebody a fascist is a call to violence, or do you think it is inflammatory rhetoric that should be condemned?
I think it depends on the context in which it's used.
Do you think it's good to kill Hitler?
But hang on.
I don't know. Hitler did it, so would you say that Hitler's good?
He's got you there, John.
Yeah, well, I guess so. I mean, on a very,
I'm leaving it
I
open.
think there's certainly a lot of people who think that it's very good to kill Hitler. If Hitler was still around and committing genocide, then that would be a good action to take in order to ensure the safety of the world.
Okay,
And
so
when you have mainstream
I'm sorry.
media pundits,
Hang on,
and
I just
people
want to
going-
answer, and because you Soy Pills being good faith, I'll be good faith back. You are actually correct in one sense that Schumer hasn't directly used the word fascist. He says instead that he's an authoritarian here to take all your rights.
Okay. No, to be clear, I wasn't
okay.
saying that
It's
he's
like,
never said that.
okay.
I assumed that he had called him a fascist, if anything. I'm asking you, can you demonstrate how Chuck Schumer calling him a fascist is the inspiration for these far left people who hate Chuck Schumer, who view him as this?
Yeah, if it was just Chuck Schumer rather than the political party itself saying things like, let me give you an example, the unison of Trump is a danger to our democracy, calling for his impeachment consistently and constantly.
Yeah.
Why is he a threat to democracy? Right now, we have Gavin Newsom, for instance, who's saying that he's going to overstay the election, that his entire purpose is to have a third term.
Yep.
He's coming to take all of your rights. This is a unison party message.
Yeah, and I agree with all of this, by the way. But to be clear, you're saying that this is an explicit call to violence, despite all the people saying that this is an electoral solution that we have?
No, let's untangle the argument.
Okay.
Because there's multiple stages to it. So step one, that in and of itself would not be considered a call to violence as such. However, what it's trying to do is energize the base towards in the street protest and move them towards the idea that Trump is here to take all of your rights, take everything away from you. He's an authoritarian. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi. He's all of these various things. That then goes down to the governor level, goes down even to the state level, and it goes to the pundits on MSNBC, CNN. They begin to regurgitate the same exact things. And yes, the idea is to motivate these people who have a very mentally ill base to go out and conduct political violence. It does seem to translate that way. Every time I see them out in the street, they seem to be doing violent shit. I don't know what to tell you. 2020, the summer of love, they were out there doing violent shit. The protest we just covered that happened in California, out there doing a bunch of violent shit. The Portland protest that we just covered, also doing violent shit, fighting in the streets. They were trying to provoke the cops. It's like, what do you want me to do? Every time I look at the street and there's a bunch of leftist protesters, it seems to be accompanied by a bunch of fucking violence.
Well,
and the media
before we
saying,
even get to that,
it's fine, it's good. It's all good.
My question is, let's just assume for a second that there was a fascist and a bunch of people who were fighting against this fascist had a mentally ill base. Would it then be irresponsible of them to accurately describe their opponent as fascist, because ultimately some of the most mentally ill and fringe people on that base would then go and commit violence that you think is bad? Or how would one deal with that if they truly didn't believe that their opponent was that?
So contextually, right, if it's the case, there's an actual Nazi who's in office, okay, who is trying to bring back the Third Reich, and it just so happens that you're motivating your base against an actual Nazi, and some of them are mentally ill. Yes, of course, there wouldn't be any problem with that. The whole point then would be to overthrow, though, wouldn't it? Wouldn't the whole point of that be? Hang on. Wouldn't the whole point of that be that you're motivating this base against this Nazi to do what? Good things to him? Do you want him to do good things
defeat
to
them
him?
electorally? Because if you
to
truly thought that there was no possible way for you to do this through the system, then yeah, why would you be out there getting people to canvass? Why would you be out there telling people, go register to vote? Why would you do anything other than, hey, we need to mobilize our little infiltration groups and do violence,
really
right?
Funny is, like, yes, there's one branch that does that, and then there's other branches which seem to motivate people to shoot political commentators, take shots at the president of the United States, beat people in the streets, set cars on fire, set buildings on fire, and are very unapologetic about it, and are continuing to organize yet another No King's Day nationally to do even more of this shit. So the thing is like, again, I'm going to throw this back to you because I answered in good faith.
Yep.
Yes, of course you would motivate your population, but motivate them to do what? You're not going to be motivating them to do good things to the Nazi in charge, are you?
Well, to be
Yeah,
clear,
let him
again,
answer,
like
let
this
him
is
answer.
yeah,
Let him
like
answer,
this is
dude.
something that I like agree with most of the politicians in the way that they're classifying Trump as a fascist. I think Nazi is obviously too far. He's not that, but calling him someone
Well, they're not
who's
going
like
to do good
hold
things
on.
to the fascists,
But
right?
and I'm saying, look, guys, if I thought this was a non-electoral solution, there was no electoral solution here, that you had absolutely no other option, kind of like what Trump did in January 6th and saying, hey, your country failed you, Mike Pence failed you, I would say, yeah, maybe we should go do a violence. But obviously, I don't think we're there yet. I wouldn't be having this debate if I thought the only option was violence. So when we look at like the BLM stuff, and we look at the way the Democratic politicians, whether it's Newsom, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and say things like, I mean, I have a quote here. He says, there's no place for violence, there's no place for looting or destroying property or burning churches or destroying businesses, et cetera, constantly condemning this. I don't understand how you can say, well, by accurately describing this person the way that they believe him to be, and then saying also don't commit violence, we can win this electorally. This is somehow necessarily going to result in violence only because there are, I guess, a disproportionate amount of mentally ill people on the left wing. It doesn't particularly make sense to
I'm
me.
sorry. Aren't you a person who believes in the idea of dog whistles?
Yeah, but it's not a dog whistle.
Yeah.
It's a very
So hang on.
explicit, I think this person's a fascist.
So obviously, politicians aren't going to come out directly and go, hey, guys, you need to start killing right-wing politicians.
Yeah,
and you need to
it would be
start
like,
killing
won't someone
right-wing
rid me of
political
this awful
commentators."
priest, right?
Yeah, they would say things instead like, this person is trying to,
Like
I don't
fight
know.
like hell. I mean, we
they're
could
trying-
use the
hang on,
same
hang on,
rhetoric
let me-
that you're
hang
saying.
on,
against
I'll
Donald
engage
Trump.
with you. Let me finish the
Vince,
point.
I've
almost
hung on
done.
for the past like
Vince,
20
I'm almost
minutes.
done. I'm almost
let Andrew
done.
finish.
Almost done, bro.
Go ahead.
Almost done. So, like, saying things like, "Oh, Donald Trump is trying to mobilize the military so that he can declare martial law and exist for a third term." Yeah, that's not really in the domain, I think, anymore. Of like, we're just trying to motivate our political base to get out there and get charged to vote him out.
Do you think that's unfounded?
How do you vote a person out who you're claiming is trying to stay for an additional term by using the military?
I mean,
How do you do that? You don't do it. So the whole point is,
they said
yes,
he might do it.
I think that there's
be clear.
a bit of dog whistling going on there of, hey, he's an authoritarian fascist who's trying to overstay his welcome in the Oval Office, and he's prepared to use the military to put you down. So we need to really get these guys because they're a bunch of fascist Nazis. That's very much what the call is, right?
Yeah,
now,
I
yes.
think if they said that was the only thing that's going to happen, I think saying he may try is much different. But I would agree that if they said Donald Trump will definitely 100% do this and he's not going to leave office, he's going to use the military to crack down, I would say, yeah, that might
That's
be a
what
call to
Newsom's
buy.
saying.
No, he's not saying that's exactly definitely. He's saying there's a good chance
Oh,
it will happen.
come
And the
on,
difference
man.
being that there's a lot of
I'm
avenues. The difference being, excuse me, can I please
87.5%
respond?
sure that
Can I
he's
please-
a Nazi who's trying to
can I
take
please
power.
respond? Can I please respond? So the difference being that there's all these other avenues that we've explored that Trump is also trying to explore that may not involve the military, such as changing the 22nd Amendment or running as vice president and then having JD Vance step down. He's talking about all sorts of other avenues, and it's like, okay, there's definitely this guy has demonstrated in the past that he does not want to leave office. He tried to use false electors to stay for a third term, but we still defeated them electorally in that because the guardrails held, thank God. So saying that, oh well, if this was the only option, maybe that could be potentially a dog whistle, but clearly all of these Democratic politicians are not operating under the assumption that violence is the only option.
Yeah, so I mean, what level of surety you would actually need Gavin Newsom to be like, hey, everybody, I'm 100% sure this Nazi's trying to overstay his stay in the Oval Office and use the military right now to suppress people. So what? What does he have to say to convince you that he means what he's saying?
I think if you continue to see left-wing violence perpetuated against right-wingers and left-wing Democrat politicians refuse to condemn it and say, you know what, maybe this should happen more, I think that would be more of an indication of, yeah, they want more of this to happen. But at every single step, at every opportunity, they condemn this violence over and over and over again.
Meanwhile,
it does not seem
all
like
the
they want it to keep
influencers are
happening.
dancing after Charlie Kirk dies. We go to TikTok.
Yeah, but notice how you keep having to deflect to the influencers and not talk about the actual politicians and their ideology.
Hang on a second. Didn't I just tell you that this is a tiered system? I walked you through the entire argument.
I hold a very low tier at a much lower regard than the politicians.
I largely agree with your assessment there. Those were your exact
I do largely agree, but again, when I bring up the fact that these left-wing politicians are overwhelmingly condemning this, and you say, well, these influencers with a much lower reach aren't, and it's like, okay, well, are you going to address the fact that we're already talking about the inequality between the left and right politicians?
Oh my God!
But now we have to move down to
out of both sides of their mouth. That's so crazy.
Can you show me? Can you show me the left
on the one hand
politicians?
says
speaking out of
says
both
I
sides of their
condemn,
mouth.
I condemn the
Andrew.
violence, but on the other hand, they go, oh, but wait a second, we're going to give you a place inside of this major metropolitan area to fucking riot. Oh, but we condemn the violence. It's like, what are you fucking talking about here, Soy?
Yeah, so you're setting up the idea that left-wing politicians giving permits and spaces for people to protest, which may turn violent at some point, is the same as them somehow
They let them
advocating and perpetuating
Andrew,
people
let
shooting
finish.
politicians and pundits and shit, which is
They
just
let him
completely
take
ridiculous.
over
Andrew,
an
let Soy finish.
entire
Andrew,
spot.
Andrew, let
he
Soy
was
finish.
finished. He was finished. You fucking idiot. Shut up.
I was finished.
Now, by the way,
Oh, you
Soy,
finished. Okay.
Soy, yeah. Did you see that? You see how I was right, doing everything wrong, right, and you're
Hey, calm
dumb
down. He's the
mod?
moderator.
So
He's
anyway,
just
back to
sitting.
this, Soy, for you, just so that you understand, right? They took over an entire area of a city and called it Chaz Chop, said it was a neutral zone, declared it independent of the United States of America.
And
then
would you
had
say, would you say
armed
that's
pe-
like
hang
a
on, and then
downstream
hang on,
effect
hang
of
on.
left-wing,
Let me
like,
finish.
political
Let me-
speech,
let me-
or was
let
this
me
fucking a
finish.
bunch
Yes,
of
not only
Antifa?
was it not only was it downstream of that, but it was very clear that the politicians who were in charge of said city weren't going to do a fucking thing about it, while at the same time they were condemning violence. It's like, give me
Okay.
a fucking break. With
Can
this
you
shit.
can you like
Oh, wait,
which
so that's
if I were to
interesting.
go
Wait,
and ask
Andrew,
some of
Andrew.
these like Chaz people, like who inspired them to do their Chazing? Do you think it would be like a Hakeem Jeffries, a Chuck Schumer, a Joe Biden, the radical Democrat left that inspired them to make a little stupid fucking square of a city and have a lawless zone, which was then cracked down on? Like, it's just ridiculous to say
Cracked
that
down
this is
on
coming
after how
from the
many weeks?
left-wing politicians. Now, you might say that there are some left-wing governors or like super ultra progressive, attorney generals in like maybe like what Portland or places like this that might actually agree with some of these crazy Antifa like
They don't
radicals.
just
but
agree with them. They
Yeah,
seem to be
but we're-
very assisting
and,
towards
yeah,
them.
sure. Maybe even so, but the point is we're talking
Like,
about
in
the
Portland,
as
for
a
instance-
totality of these parties. This is
Yeah.
not something that like Antifa is not aligned with the Democrats. The
the
far left wing
thing
is not
is-
aligned with these people. It's
There's a
insane.
very strong ideological backing for
Of course.
Antifa and BLM in the Democrats. The Democrats champion the Black Lives Matter movement. What are you talking about? Like, this is why
You notice
Kamala
how you
Harris
just jumped to the
voted this.
BLM thing, which is not what I'm talking about. I was talking about Antifa. Of
He
course,
said-
yeah,
well,
of course.
He
the
literally
Democrats-
just said
I've
BLM was highly ideologically driven by the
It-
left.
I
What do you
agree
mean he's not
completely, and
talking
I
about
wasn't
BLM?
talking about
What?
that. But if you look at BLM and the way that the left-wing Democrat politicians were responding to it, completely condemning all of this violence, saying rioting is completely unacceptable, and
Is that why
perpetuating
Kamala
specifically.
Harris promoted the Minnesota Freedom Fund to bail out the violent rioters? Like, I mean, come on.
I think that's the closest
Like, are
thing
you
you can
serious?
get to maybe she's advocating for violence, or maybe like a Maxine Waters
Maybe.
saying you need to go get up in their faces. But then when you compare it to the totality of statements where she's saying violence is not okay, but maybe we should help people out
How
with their
many of
bail
these
funds,
left-wing
is very different.
organizations? How many of these left-wing organizations who are filled to the brim with attorneys back up all sorts of projects which are designed to bail out protesters, quote protesters, when they get cracked down on because they're breaking the law in the streets, and they pay their bail funds. NGOs will back up many of these organizations. I pointed this out in my last debate with Vince. I have a massive list of NGOs which we can go through who organized the No King's Day riots, and they were riots, and there were riots
Yeah.
before those days. So
Sure.
the thing is like I can show you the NGOs who helped organize this, and it's like to pretend that these people aren't working in unison with each other and aren't pushing towards violence. I think it's just crazy at this point. By the way,
Hey, Andrew, let me
another
explain
hang on,
something,
almost
Andrew.
done. Another narrative.
I've been hanging on for 30
Another
minutes.
narrative.
so
Well, hang on
that's
for
great.
hang
Let
on
me
for
ask
one
you
more
this.
minute. Hang on for one more minute. So the thing
Hurry
is
up.
like it was also you guys, remember, and your side largely, that was trying to distance yourself from violence by pinning it on a right-wing raper. After Charlie Kirk was shot, almost the entire narrative of the influencer left and the legacy media, which is left-wing, was trying to do this. And they've done everything possible, in fact, to say, nope, we didn't do it. It had nothing to do with our rhetoric. And then less than a week later, right? Oh, go to Twitter right now.
Right.
Charlie Kirk's
Can we
the
keep it to
fascist
things
Nazi.
that,
He's a
we have
fascist
said-
Nazi.
that we have said, to be clear, because I've never said that. If anything, I thought the Groiper thing was jumping the gun, to be clear. But Vince, go ahead.
Yeah, Andrew, how many people were arrested during the Los Angeles protests?
Which one?
The one from the summer in June of 2025.
I'm not sure the numbers.
Anti-ICE riots.
Yeah, I'm not sure the numbers.
It was over 400 arrests.
Mhm.
So again, and when we pair that with Gavin Newsom's sentiment of, hey, we need you to peacefully protest. It doesn't seem like he's enabling it. It seems like he's actually, in fact, several people were arrested for felony charges like assault against police officers and for possessions of Molotov cocktails and a gun. So again, if this was, Gavin Newsom dog whistling, I would imagine we would expect far less arrests. And I remember actually in our previous debate where you said the cops were just standing around. We
And they
watched
showed
video
video
of
proof.
where they were not.
Yeah,
They were not just standing around.
Yeah,
and
they were.
evidently they weren't, because they
Not
arrested
only were
400
they, but we
people.
showed the video and demonstrated, and you look like an idiot because we showed it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
we showed it.
you acknowledge that there were 400 arrests that were made by Los Angeles PD due to the
Sure.
protests, right?
Sure.
Okay, so then it wasn't that Gavin Newsom was standing down or allowing this to happen. It seems like they were very adamant in trying to make sure that those who were not peacefully protesting were being held accountable. Unlike
Wait.
Donald Trump, who ended up pardoning those who actually
Wait
committed
a second.
crimes.
Here's how this tended to work during those protests. If you actually assaulted officers or gave them a hard time, they would arrest your ass. That's true. Okay. But they largely were standing around and watching everybody burn shit to the fucking ground, including what happened in the overpasses there. As you saw police on either side with paramedics on standby in case one of these protesters might have accidentally hurt themselves, lobbing a fucking rock over onto a police car that they had just set on fire. They wanted to make sure that those guys would get the help that they fucking needed. But the thing is, what's really funny about it, if you attack the cops directly, yeah, they don't put up with that shit. That's true.
I think we need to be there's a lot of like discussion that's like very beyond the scope that I'm seeing from our opponents here, because we need to be very clear. The left makes a climate that allows this type of violence to be highly associated with them ideologically. Like, for instance, we have a whole bunch of factions of the left that have risen up. I can name countless examples. You just gave an example, the anti-ICE rights. That's very ideologically fundamental to the left right now. We have the BLM movements that was very ideologically backed by the left as well. We have the pro-Palestine faction of the left, which the left constantly has to cater to and has caused countless of damages on college campuses. Yeah, pro-life journalists going and interviewing people and getting punched in the face. And you have our presidents being shot at, and you have our influencers dead. So it's like you need to have a very strong conviction to show that the party is very responsible by their ideological backing and their influence. And when you see bullets etched with Antifa slogans that are largely perpetuated by Democrats who are calling Charlie Kirk fascist, I think it is very clear what is going on here. There's a great unison with these politically violent actions and the party. Ideologically backed political ideologies from the party, which is highly associated with these acts.
John, I guess I have to ask, if you were to like, sorry, Vince, I'll let you go because I know I've been talking a lot, but like if you were to like ask like an Antifa like rioter, one of these violent people, like, why do you think Charlie Kirk is a fascist? Do you think a single one of them would say it's because Joe Biden said so? It's because Gavin Newsom said so? It's because, and not these people are radicalized in their like little Marxist communist circles and they read, I mean, you go to UC Berkeley, you should know this of all people because I know the people at UC Berkeley. They are learning this in like, you know, their little like hippie circles. This is not coming down from like Democrat politicians. Absolutely no one is being inspired by the Kamala Harris rhetoric on ICE. Like,
who does it come down to is in charge of these hippie circles?
Who's in charge of them?
How do the people in charge of those hippie circles, how does that information get disseminated to them?
Well, this is going to get super anecdotal for me, but when I encounter these people, it's all people that talk about theory and reading communist manifestos and stuff. But if you want to say that this is somehow perpetuated by left-wing politicians, I don't really see evidence for that. But that's
wait
just
a second.
my experience.
I'm just following your line. These people they do have organizers. You agree that that's true?
Well, not really Antifa, but you know.
Yeah, they really do. In fact, I can give you one of the organizers who ran a project, which is probably where you get a lot of your stats from. And he said on camera, and I have a clip here, he literally says that he's Antifa and that Antifa does organize. So I don't
So
know.
Antifa organizes. I really hate the like Joe Biden, like it's just an idea, because I think that is a deflection. I mean, obviously they're groups of people and they have like a symbol that like unites them, but ultimately it's not some like big top-down organization with like it's the head of Antifa. It's you get these little pockets of people that all kind of agree, read similar stuff, and decide to go to the Ben Shapiro protest or whatever. But like
the universities here, the universities are a hub for this type of ideological backing from people where, yeah, sure, the Marxists come together at universities, which is completely dominated by the left. So that is like another form of mainstream left-wing politics that is going into the educational system and is influencing people to become radicalized. And so it's like, yeah, if I asked an Antifa, like, why did you shoot Charlie Kirk? The answer is probably not going to be because Joe Biden told me so. But when you take a look at the climate that has been created by the left, it has made it such that you are predisposed to believe Charlie Kirk is a fascist, to believe that all these people on the right really want to cause you harm, are threats to democracy, are Nazis, are Hitler, to the point where you are going to take actions because you are convinced by the social constructivist narratives that the left constantly perpetuates. And you think that when you commit an action in the name of social justice, that it is a good action, no matter what law you're violating, no matter what you're doing. So you can choose what laws to obey because it is in the name of some arbitrary social justice. All of this is under the umbrella of the left wing, who has created these ideologicals, these influences that have very predisposed people to commit.
Yeah, I guess the problem I'm
Can I
having is this like completely asymmetrical analysis where we can look at the left and say, yes, they condemn it totally, yes, they arrest and punish these people, and yes, they say absolutely nothing that would indicate that doing this is okay. But when the right wing calls people fascists or Marxists or any of these other things and commits political terrorism, that is a direct downstream like of the policy of the right wing. It's fringe, it's right wing. They condemn it every time. But when they pardon people, like that's somehow
political violence.
What are
they arresting them for?
We're getting way out of
right
the
because they don't want it to happen. Instead of
Because
pardoning these people for doing
so you're
it.
saying that a bunch of left-wingers are conducting a bunch of violence and have to be arrested? Is that what you're saying, Zoe?
I'm saying that yes, that left wingers
Oh,
do
yes.
political violence. I would never
Yes, they
say
sure
that doesn't
do.
happen.
And would you say that that's been kind of an ongoing theme here recently? And I mean, he just said 400 of them had to be arrested for conducting violence in California recently.
Not necessarily correct.
What I
I'm
remember-
sorry. Does this have anything to do with what I said about the asymmetrical
Cracking
analysis that we're
this
doing here? Or
behavior.
no?
I can explain.
Okay, I can't wait. Uh-oh, I think we
Nearly
lost
400
Vince.
arrests.
Frozen up a little bit.
Oh, can you
I
hear
think
me
we
back?
lost Vince.
Oh, yep.
Hold on,
We
can you hear me?
All right. Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
So it said the vast majority of arrests have been for failing to leave the area in defiance of requests from law enforcement. So essentially staying out, and they're telling them to move and they didn't move and they got arrested. The other ones were more serious charges, and it was a handful, not a whole lot of them, but it was a handful of more serious charges, including for assault against police officers and then possession of a Molotov and cocktail. So again, when we talk about, but the thing
Well,
that's
he just
really
said vast
like
majority for
said,
not leaving an area, so no, not violence.
The
He just
cited
cited violence.
Guys, let Vince finish.
Yeah, the wild thing about this to me is it's exactly like Soy Pill said. Y'all are providing numerous examples of the left, and that's fair, fine. Let me just provide a few here because we had the 2024 election that happened last year, and there were numerous calls made into certain election and polling places. We also saw 2025 where the CDC shooter was all upset about the COVID-19 shot that he had gotten, and he didn't like. He thought he was melting his brain or whatever it was. We also had the 2022 Buffalo. See, and that's right there exactly what I said in my opening statement. I'm glad you mentioned that, Andrew, because I believe in my opening statement I said when it's the left will openly condemn that violence. They say, hey, there's no place in there. When there's a protest, they'll say, hey, there's no place for this violence. But when the right does it, they then say, hey, guess what? It's because of mental illness, which is what I said. Or they'll say it's because of PTSD, but they'll never own their rhetoric that may have led up to that. Because of COVID-19
that's really
and anti.
Yeah. Oh, you just cut out again.
Oh,
sorry,
we
man.
lost Vince again. All right, well, Andrew,
I've got really bad internet, so I'm
smiting you for lying, by the way. But anyway, so where were we? Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that we can point to certain rhetoric that may have led these mentally deranged people on the right go towards these particular acts. We talked about, for example, that one person who talked about the COVID-19 shot. We've seen where the Buffalo shooter, for example, had an anti-immigration sentiment, and we could talk about all that. And whereas on the left, we'll sit here when we have someone that does these things, condemn those particular violent actors. But on the right, they immediately, for example, we just saw the Mormon incident where the guy drove the truck through the church. And what was the first thing that everybody said? Instead of saying, hey, maybe our rhetoric is pretty bad, they go, hey, he's suffering from PTSD.
Well, wait, Vince, I have to correct you. The first thing they said was Christianity is under attack, and this is the left wing doing this. Then they said, once they realized it was a MAGA guy, that it was not.
Oh, exactly. Well, the thing is that my understanding is that the entire Mormon thing happened because of a girl that he was interested in, and they broke up. And yes, the guy was crazy. And so this is the thing that's really funny. So I'll just be very unequivocal with this, just like I was with Destiny. I condemn all acts of political violence, right or left, period. Am I saying that there's never any such thing as incendiary rhetoric, which comes out of the right? Of course not. Am I saying that there's no such thing as people who say things which could trigger people to go do violent acts? Of course not. Am I even saying that there's a way to 100% avoid that and have speech? Of course not. Has nothing at all to do with this conversation about which side is doing this more. And so as we dive into this, we need to be very precise. Remember how I wanted to get these semantics in order, and you never want to fucking do that because you think it's a trap. You think it's a trick.
No, it's not a trick.
Even though I keep trying to just tell you, it's a great way to avoid equivocation. And Vince, if you do it more, we wouldn't have to run into this so much. So the thing is here that's interesting, I'm willing to go case by case. It could be the case.
Except for Daryl Brooks.
It could be the case. You know, I told you I was willing to go into that case as well. I was just explaining to you that I was making comparison contrast there about why it would be important for us to utilize studies the correct way by making correct classifications we could agree to. Again, semantics, very simple. The thing that's really interesting here is like, if you give me a case and it's very clear that this was motivated by the right, and there's compelling, significant evidence that it was, my side always universally condemns that, by the way. And Charlie Kirk universally condemned that, by the way. We always condemn it. We're always saying, I was the one on the Pierce Morgan panel saying, of course, I condemn this type of violence. It was the representation for your side, the Coomer gremlin, who just couldn't quite bring himself to say, probably wasn't a great idea that you took a shot at Trump and killed Charlie Kirk. It was him.
Yeah, so again, like, you keep going back to pundits, but we're talking about our politicians, and you really like to pivot on this one specific thing.
You keep switching, though. You keep switching between the two.
When do I switch?
You're doing kind of like the worst form of equivocation, because we start with me saying this works from the top down, and you agree. So you've already agreed.
Yeah, but obviously there's a hierarchy of responsibility there, and I think that pundits are way lower on that hierarchy than a politician.
What would that have to do with the left or the right conducting more violence? Why would it need to be necessary?
Because which is actually causing it? Who has more influence?
By the top of the hierarchy, rather than it could be conducted by Antifa terror cells. It could be conducted by radicalization on side of college campuses. It could be conducted in all sorts of Discord groups, Telegram groups. It doesn't necessarily have to come from the top down. I don't think
because if we're talking about who is responsible for it, then we need to look at one who's committing it more. Of course,
we're not just talking about that though. We're talking about who conducts more of it.
Right. So if we want to talk about who conducts more of it, and we really want to read through the CSIS study, I mean, we can talk about it. There's a reason why. Like we can, but like it's going to be real boring. And the problem is at the end of it, you're either going to say, well, I don't agree with the methodology, and then not provide an alternative methodology that somehow parses through the numbers that you're satisfied with. And it's ultimately not going to get us anywhere because you're never going to say, well, the right does it more.
That is not how science works, Soy. Science does not work where you say, I have an experiment or some type of data collection here which is easily falsifiable and you have to replace it. That's not how that works. I don't need to give you alternatives to
to be clear, you're claiming the left does it more, and your evidence is I can name a bunch of things and look at these videos, and when I say a study, you can poke holes in it, and that's totally fair. That is how science works, but you have to give me either a better study with better methodology or go through and parse through the cases used in this study and say, this is how they all are classified under my methodology and how then the numbers would add up, and then show me that new graph. But if you can do neither of those things, I'm going to choose to actually use the study in the way that it works, and you can just be not okay with it.
Let's use your own study.
Sure.
Okay.
So do you have the CSIS one in front of you?
Since Trump was reelected, this is according to Cato.
That's not my study.
It is.
No, it's not. It's the CSIS one.
Dude, if you shut up, I'll show you.
Okay.
The left has killed 2 times as many people, according to the CSIS.
Oh, okay.
The one that you're referencing, the left-wing terrorism is at its worst in 30 years.
Yeah. Are you talking about the little bar at the end where the left-wing terrorism has gone up by a little compared to the previous year, and then the right-wing bar is still extremely large? Because you're looking at the very last year that's not complete. Is that how we're going to disprove my study? I just
told you that according to Cato, the left's killed 2 times as many since Trump's election.
In the year since Trump's election, so you're only going to selectively look at 8 months, just to be clear. So to be clear, if your argument is the left is more violent in the past 7 months exclusively, and we only look at that. Sure, okay. I mean, yeah, that's just demonstrably true.
Wait a second. When was it that the left became completely mobilized towards violence? Was it under fucking Biden or was it under somebody else, Soy? Who
What do you
else?
mean, like when Trump was in 2016,
Oh,
like
yeah,
his first
you mean
term,
under
or do you
Trump,
mean current
when they
Trump?
did mass protests before against Trump, and now we see the cycle repeating
Well,
again
hold on,
under
because you're
Trump?
talking about
The most
BLM,
critical
and you're
term-
talking about the
most
Summer of
critical
Love,
term
and now
of
you're only
showing
able to
this.
look at the you're like, okay, I'll use the stats, but only if I can pick out this very last bar of this last year, which I'll
Soy.
agree with. I'm saying, yeah, actually, this is true. I'm not contesting this study. I'm agreeing. The left has
Right.
been more
Great.
violent in 2025, according to the study, in the very last year. Now, if we're talking about exclusively
Got
that, I don't know which debate you signed up for, but I signed up for as a totality. And you can
Okay,
look at
hang
this.
on,
This
hang
is
on.
graph. I mean, I'll pull it
This
up
is
for my
perfect.
audience. I can't show
Actually,
it for
this is
everyone.
perfect.
But
This
it's
is
pretty
perfect.
funny to look at
Yeah,
this and say, oh, yep, this is definitely a left-wing problem.
This
But,
is
I mean,
perfect.
I don't know if you want to bring
the
that
funny
up
thing
as
about
moderators.
this
Let's finish
too.
our exchange.
This is the funny.
Are you saying-
This
dude.
is the funny thing
This
about
fucker will
this.
never let us
is
finish
that-
an exchange. Go ahead. Go ahead, Vince. I'm sure whatever you're about to say is important. Go
Hold on, let
ahead.
me- yeah, here we go. So now that you're so the issue here is that you're pointing to this, but I remember when Trump was in office the first time, and we do have.
I don't know. I can't even understand the guy. So anyway, back to you, Soy Pill.
I'll wait.
I'm
It
sorry.
usually
We'll
only
do it.
lasts 2
It's
seconds. I'll let him come back.
It is garbage.
We'll
You know
get
what?
back to
I'm gonna
Andrew
hang on,
Soy,
Vince. I can actually help you with this. If you have a mobile hotspot, turn your mobile hotspot on and shut off your internet. Yeah, turn your
Yeah,
mobile hotspot
I'm
on.
not-
So anyway, back
Yeah.
to this, Soy Pill. Actually, now we're getting somewhere. So this is
Okay.
actually great. So you made the concession. You agree. Left wing.
It's not a concession. It's an agreement of objective reality that you,
again,
by the
so-
way, have for the past
And
hour
are
said
we
is
allowed
not
to
true.
fucking talk?
But now that you're looking at the last
Okay.
year, you're like, yep, it's true. So no, it's not a concession.
Okay.
But go
okay.
ahead.
So,
Let Andrew-
so anyway, I'll try to finish the point because you know you're about to get fucked here. So thing is on the CSIS, if you make the concession that it is the case that under Trump, left wing violence is much higher, killed 2 times as many people. You agree with all of this. You're making the concession there. The thing that's really funny is this is why I want to go through the methodology.
Sure.
Because if you make the concession that the left is far more violent right now, and I agree with you, all that's left is whether or not the left has been violent this entire time, which is why we need to go through the methodology of the rest of the study. You see how that works?
Okay,
Because
so
if I can demonstrate in the rest of the study, you're classifying things wrong, but we can agree the left is more violent now. We've won the fucking debate, Soy.
to be clear, no, because the debate is not, is the left wing more violent in the current year? It is the who is more responsible for
Can you even
political
repeat back what
violence?
I just said to
Second
you?
of all,
Can you even
if you
repeat
want
back
to
what I
if you
just
want to
said?
start on the axiom that we can concede that both of us agreed with this study for this one particular year, but then we have to go back and meticulously pick it apart for all the other years. No, absolutely not. You're
Why
either
not?
accepting of the study or you're not. And if you
Wait,
no, so, you
what?
ask, so if you're
About
looking at this last
accepting
year and
of
you
the study
agree
or
with
not?
it, if you agree with this study's methodology, then okay, I accept that you agree with this methodology, and then we can look and see that the right wing is overwhelmingly responsible for political violence as a whole for most of human history, or not human history, excuse me.
What?
But no, yeah, excuse me, that was a mistake.
So let
for
me get
most
it
of the
clear.
history of the study, no, I don't mean all human history.
Yeah, I
But the
understand.
point-
I'm not going
but
to be a pedant, but let me just
so like yeah,
help
so
me out
I
here.
don't
If had a
understand why
study
you're
that
able to
said-
cherry pick and then go through the methodology
so
and
if I
not just
had
look at the methodology.
yeah,
period.
Yeah. If I had a study and the study said that 100% of people who eat dog shit don't like how it tastes,
Mhm.
right? But 20% of white people or black people like how it tastes more than Mexican people.
Mhm.
Can we agree that both of us could look at the methodology of that study and agree 100% of people don't like eating dog shit? We've now agreed. But we could have great differences on the methodology for how we came to that 20% number. Do you agree that that's true?
I agree that that's true, yes.
Okay,
But then
so
why are
hang
you
on,
saying
hang
that
on,
it's a
hang on,
concession
bro.
in the
I'm
last
trying
year
to
if you don't
explain,
necessarily
trying to
agree with the
explain.
methodology yet?
Trying to explain. So when we go through the methodology of the classification, my concern there would be actually that it's discounted and it's even higher than they're claiming. But I'm willing to concede the point, even on the CSIS on the end. If you are, we can go through the classifications for all of these other years. And boy, if it turns out that they're not classifying these things correctly, then we can do some type of rough calculation to see which one of us is, or which side is actually conducting the most amount of political violence.
Okay,
And if
so
it's
to be
the case,
clear, you're
then when
not
modernity-
agreeing with
Yeah,
this
go ahead.
last year because it is a methodology you agree with, because any of the things that are demonstrated are true. It just happens to show that you're right. So if it showed the opposite, you would immediately discredit it. So why even call it a
What are you
concession at
talking
all?
about? That has nothing to do with what I just said.
You
Can
literally
repeat that?
just said I could
Can you repeat
concede.
back to me
I
my
guess
position?
you said I could
Yeah.
concede on this point, but I actually think it's wrong. It just happened to be right in the correct way that I already agreed with. It was my
So then let's go through the
presupposed
study.
notion. So why even
so
bother
then
pointing out that last year
because-
whatsoever
Wait,
if you're not
didn't I
going
give you a
to
qualifier? What was my qualifier? That I actually think that left-wing violence, even this year classified, is
even
higher.
Yes, yeah.
But I would be willing to concede the point at least that in this year it's higher if you do. But we do need to go through the rest of it.
Again, it's not
for
a concession. I
purpose
just
of
agree with the study. It's
classification
telling me
to
that.
make a determination if you agree with these classifications. Both of you are unwilling to do it because you don't believe the classifications.
Okay,
You don't believe them.
no, let's go. All right, we can do it, but I promise you by the end of this, you're going to say, well, because the classifications aren't the way I would do it, and I haven't done a comprehensive
I wanna
analysis
make
of
sure
these
that the
numbers in a way
classifications are how
that
you
shows
would
that
do
what
it.
I believe is true. Therefore, I discredit the study. I have no other option to show that the left wing is more violent. I just feel it's true because I've seen more of it, and that's the end of the debate. Like, it's going to be a huge waste of time, but let's do it. Let's go through it.
Yeah, and I want to mention this too, Soy Pill, before we jump into this. Andrew, in his opening statement, said all the claims will hinge on studies. Soy Pill will likely tell you the truth, and then and he'll bring up all these studies. He's saying all the claims will hinge on the studies. He's dragging us into talk about these particular studies when we're
The
like, hey,
things that
look,
your
we can
arguments
talk
hinge
about
on?
these studies.
The
We
things
don't
that your
wanna talk
argument
about
hinge
studies.
on.
The only person here that wants to talk about these studies is Andrew.
The only person here who wants to
Andrew's
talk
best
about your
representative.
evidence is Andrew. That's crazy. It's
Yeah,
almost
to
like
be
we're
fair,
in a
Vince,
debate.
I want to talk
almost
about it.
like
I
we're in a
just don't want to
debate,
read the whole
Vince.
study and then get to the part where Andrew says, never mind, I don't like it, because I think it's going to be boring. But yeah,
No.
we can do it.
The conversation. I mean, the evidence.
Okay, well, let's
the
just
only
try it this
evidence
way.
I
If you don't want to
think-
go through it, maybe we can just try it this way, Soy. Would you agree with me? Would you agree with me that there's going to be problems in the methodology of classification that you likely aren't going to agree with in that study? Yes or no?
I think every study is going to have at least something that I would say, I'm not sure about that, but I would still use it as an aggregate and showing what is happening, unless there was something major.
Why?
For example, if they
Why
said
would you
something
do
here,
that?
well,
That's
here,
insane.
listen, Andrew, because I want to give you this. This is a concession, all right? If this study, and this doesn't do this, but if this study said right-wing violence includes something like Wahhabist Islamic terror attacks, even though that I would acknowledge why they might say that, because it's like, oh, well, because you can classify this as right. To say that something like,
it does include Muslim terror attacks.
no, it actually doesn't. It actually has an entire other classification for this, if you read it, that is religious extremism that is not left or right. And there's a good reason for that, because you can't really say, oh boy, all 3,000 people that died in 9/11, that's right-wing violence, because that would be ridiculous.
Actually, I believe in the CSIS, the way that they come up with right-wing affiliation is through religion. Just so you know.
There are parts of religious extremism that can be classified in the study if you've read it, but not just religious extremism, which is its own other thing. So, for example, a Christian nationalist terrorist attack, like with Dylan Roof, would be a right-wing extremist, but the fucking 9/11 attacks wouldn't be. And that's why I'm saying, if there was a methodology that extreme that said, yep, right-wing includes 9/11, yeah, I would say that's an incredibly flawed study that we can't take seriously. I don't think that exists in here, but if you want to point me to something that is like that flawed.
Have you read that study?
Yes, I've read the CSIS. I haven't read it word for word, but I have looked through it.
And what does that mean, though?
Right,
like, how much of it have you read? How much?
Well,
truth.
It's like 10 pages, so I've read like 6
Come
of
on,
them.
dude.
I
Like,
don't know what you want.
Here's the thing, man. It's like this is where the disconnect is. How are we supposed to even have a good faith debate over which side is conducting the most amount of violence if it's the case that the thing which you're banking on, which is evidence from these organizations, you haven't even read the very studies that you're banking on?
So to be clear, the things that I looked out for, because I knew you'd bitch about it, were the methodology, how they classified the different types of violence, and specifically looked out for major egregious things, like the one I just mentioned. Like the one I just mentioned, those are the things I did read through. Something I didn't read through would be, for example, if I scroll down to the end notes, which take to the end notes that have 2 pages I didn't read.
In 10 pages?
What?
You just said you read through the methodology in 10 fucking pages, dude. Give me a fucking break.
The entire thing is 10 pages. I'm not. If there's a more in-depth version of this study, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the domestic terrorism brief that has been released that describes the methodology, the classifications, that shows the graphs. Yes.
Link it over. Let's take a look at it.
This is my problem with debates like these, where you introduce a study and you use that as your key point of evidence, because we really haven't seen many evidence coming from our opponents other than this study. And all this,
to be clear, this is also one-to-one, very closely mapped on by the DOJ. So it's also the government agrees with it.
I'm almost finished with my point. Look at this number here. Oh, look, my study shows this number. Let's not look into the number. The number is just what it says. No matter what the classifications are, the methodology, no matter what the situation is. Well, okay, so here's my proposition. When we're analyzing which party is more responsible, we have to see the ideological backing and the influence that the party has had over the actions and mental states that cause these people to commit these violent acts. And we should also look at the impact that they have had. And when you look throughout history, modern history, the largest scope and scale of political violence has occurred from the left. Your presidents aren't being shot at. Your influencers aren't being shot at. You don't have conservative college campuses that are throwing riots and protests.
Wait, by
You
your
don't
own
have
metric, John, can you point to these people that
protests.
tried to shoot Trump as having downstream messages disseminated by like Democratic politicians? For example, Thomas Crooks, which I still don't know if we've even
Donated
established
to
that
Act
as.
Blue. He donated to Act Blue.
Did he not also
Where
like
does that show
donate
the
to a
rhetoric?
Republican Party and or vote for them? Like, can you
It
show that
shows
the
that
rhetoric is
he's
like
in
contributing to
support of
this?
the
He also had
Democratic
plans
Party.
to shoot Joe Biden. I don't know if you knew about that, but like the whole point is
Okay,
like,
so I
yeah.
can tell you the Charlie Kirk assassin.
Well, hold on. Do you see? Okay, you just moved off the point completely, John. Please, like, answer the question because I
think
agree
when
with
you
your
donate to
definition.
Act
You
Blue,
have to
that's a
show how the
very-
ideology is influencing this. But if you're going to point to something like, hey, our presidents got shot at, it's like, okay, how is this happening? For example, if it was a Ukrainian person, I think there's someone pro-Ukrainian person was the one waiting for him on the golf course. I think there's a much closer connection that you could draw there showing, hey, Trump doesn't care about Ukraine. He's a Russian puppet, blah, blah, blah. You could make a good argument there. But the Thomas Crooks one, like, I just don't see how that is somehow coming down
The
from
argument is
Democrat
based off of
rhetoric.
the existence of the shootings, or rather than the non-existence of the shootings on the left. We
Okay,
have our people
again,
who are
he
being
was
shot
also had
and
plans to
killed.
shoot Joe
Your people
Biden.
aren't
So
being
by
shot
that
and
same
killed.
logic,
So
you
let-
could say
let
that.
John-
Okay.
Yeah, your people aren't being shot and killed. You have all these slogans that are etched into the bullet that have killed Charlie Kirk.
Melissa
You
Hortman?
have
I
Destiny,
don't know.
who's not condemning the killing of Charlie Kirk. You have the guy who donated to Act Blue, who shot Donald Trump. I don't see Joe Biden being shot at. I don't see Kamala Harris.
Are you
being
keep
shot
ignoring
at.
that guy that you were talking about who tried to shoot Donald Trump and missed and died was also planning to shoot Joe Biden. If you're going to keep bringing up that example, but again, if you're going to keep bringing up these minutia of examples in the recent, this even falls into specifically. I don't know if these three things, by the way, were well, not especially not the ones that didn't happen this year, but the ones that happened this year, as per this study, if they're classified as left-wing violence, are included and are showing that there is more left-wing death this year specifically. That's just true. That's based on this study. So if you want to stop there for some reason, yeah, okay, we can just talk about 2025. But ultimately,
you're-
we're looking at the totality, and you claim like,
We
well,
don't- but
it's
we don't
because of
wanna
the
just stop
fascism,
there.
it's because of the Nazism, and yet all these people were calling Trump Hitler fascist back in 2016. JD Vance was even doing it, and somehow this wasn't happening nearly to the same degree, and the right wing was much, much higher in those years. Why is this somehow now different in this year?
Protests were very violent when Hillary
Well,
Clinton was
because you
9
spent
years
4
old.
years under Joe Biden saying that you had thwarted a threat to democracy and ousted a Nazi from office.
No, why didn't it
and
happen
now
from
he
2016 to
Now he
2020?
sees power. Now he sees power again.
Why didn't it
Now he
happen?
sees
Why
power.
didn't this happen from
You're
2016 to
very much
2020?
missing the point of my statement. The point of my statement was to look at the scale and scope and impact of the things. The right has suffered more significant losses, damages, and impact that has been perpetuated by those with close ties to the left. And so, like, I didn't just cite the shootings of Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk. That's why I also cited the riots, which again caused over $2 billion of damages.
Mhm.
You had
Which
dozens
again,
of
you
people
can't
killed.
connect
have
necessarily to the
officers who are
ideology
damaged.
because you'd have to show that every single
Black
one of
Lives
those
Matter
dollars
was
that
not
were
fundamental
perpetuated and
to
damaged
liberal
were directly
ideology.
tied to BLM and trying to do a political movement and not a bunch of rioters doing stuff to do fucking rioting for no reason. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that none of this was because of BLM ideology. There were plenty of people that were like, I think specifically, if you look at the police station burning down, that's probably political violence. I doubt those people were just burning random
So,
fucking buildings
okay,
down.
what do you
But
think
you're
about the
just
Minnesota
grouping
freedom
all of
flag?
this together and
because
saying
they
this
just wanted
is
to loot
left-wing
the vending
violence.
machines, bro. They just wanted to loot the vending machines, you know.
Oh, in the police
What do you think about
in the
Alexandria
police station.
Ocasio-Cortez talking about social justice when all these Antifa and BLM riots are going on? Like, what does that say?
So I've got a few
That says
statements from
commit
Kamala
violence?
Harris.
Like-
For example, by the way, so when that whole incident happened with the attempt on Trump's life, Kamala Harris said, "I'm deeply disturbed by the possible assassination to perform President Trump today. As we gather the facts, I will be clear. I condemn political violence. We all must do our part to ensure that this incident does not lead to more violence."
Wait,
Now,
Vince, did she
you
wink at the
know
camera
Andrew
after? That
Wilson
sounds
has
like a
already
dog
said
whistle.
that these are dog whistles. So I'm sure that this won't be satisfactory. But there was also when she made a statement regarding the Charlie Kirk incident. She said, "Let me be clear. Political violence has no place in America. I condemn this act, and we all must work together to ensure this does not lead to more violence." So again, when we talk about the Charlie Kirk incident, we talk about President Trump. We could talk about I think there were
No,
There he
we
goes
lost
again.
But
I could look
Fucking
and
deep
see.
state, man.
Yeah, I'm working as best as I can with what I got. So excuse me if the internet goes out. I
It's
tried my
better.
hotspot, it's not
I
Sure,
mean,
working.
it's
try
better
that.
than it was. The thing is like the only frustrating thing is I want to hear what you're saying, and you
No, I
cut,
appreciate that.
you cut in and out. So
You should type out every statement before you say it, so as soon as you cut out,
But
I'll
no,
pick
so
up where you
there's
left off.
several different. There's several different bits of the where you see Kamala Harris and numerous other high-ranking profile Democrats again condemning these things.
Yeah, so Andrew Wilson did talk about the dog whistles. I do think there's a lot of that involved, but it's not just the dog whistles, right? You also are responsible for the climate that you create that causes these things. The difference between Democrats and Republicans is that when George Floyd died, you caused all these riots. When Charlie Kirk died, we hosted prayer vigils and that called for peace.
Yeah,
When
because ultimately you guys have actually nothing to be upset about and change.
When
So
you have Kamala Harris raising bails for these violent rioters, the Minnesota Freedom Fund, you should look it up. When you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying that we should respect social justice, when you have people standing in front of fires, calling arson and the riots mostly peaceful, and you have all these CNN pundits, MSNBC pundits saying all these things, you're very responsible for the ongoing political climate that causes people to engage in actions of this sort. And I think it's very clear that when we have these cases, you can't just bypass it by saying Kamala Harris condemned it, because Kamala Harris also bailed out defendants who were guilty of these violent crimes.
I'm actually curious, like just on that one thing specifically, and this is not a gotcha. If you could show me specifically
that means
the people
it's a gotcha,
that she was,
by the way.
no, I'm
Don't listen to
serious.
his
Like if you could
bullshit
show me
lies.
specifically that she's like saying, here's the bail fund for someone who like committed an illegal act, and like in the same way, I would say I don't think these things are proportional, but they are very similar. That Donald Trump would pardon someone who like did seditious conspiracy. I think that bailing out, no, I know she retweeted it, but like I want to know like the crime specifically that these people did, because if it was like what Vince was talking about in LA, and hey, they got arrested or whatever for not leaving an area, I don't think that is equal to saying that this person is endorsing violence. But if you're paying for the bail of someone who burned down a police car or some shit like that, I could say that there's a okay argument there. I think the problem is here that you're saying, I mean, you said this in your opening, John, that the right always condemns this. The right doesn't participate in this at all. And I just think this is so ridiculous. I mean, to be fair, I know Andrew did say that, yeah, obviously the right's going to be part of some, crazy rhetoric or whatever. But every time we show you an example of a right winger, like, for example, this is a Donald Trump quote. If he says, "It is the enemy from within. They're very dangerous. They're Marxists, they're communists, and fascists. They're dangerous for our country." Speaking about like the Democrats, right? Like this is somehow not at all responsible for any right-wing violence committed against the people who he's condemning completely as the totality. He's grouping this not as these small left-wing fringe people like you try to say when it's right-wing. He says it's the Democratic Party. Stephen Miller says the Democratic Party is the party of extremists. And somehow this is not at all responsible for not toning down the temperature. This is completely asymmetrical analysis.
I haven't actually seen. Yeah, show me the example of the links between that rhetoric and any of this so-called right-wing political violence. You can't. Not only that, just to refute this easily, Kamala Harris in October 2024 said that Donald Trump's a fascist during a CNN town hall, stating his actions and rhetoric echoed fascist leaders. She reiterated this in her speeches, linking it to his admiration for authoritarian figures, Hitler. All right. This is what she was claiming. So this is the woman who's running for president, and she's your party leader at this point, right? Your party's leader.
Yeah. Could you show me some violence tied to this, please?
So the thing is like,
well, no, I'm using the same standard you just applied to me. Could you show me the violence tied to that?
Fascist catch.
Okay, so again, so you think this woman was this person who shot Charlie Kirk was inspired by Kamala Harris saying that Trump was a fascist?
I think that the totality of the Democrat machine is working in unison for the message that Donald Trump and the right wing are a bunch of Nazi fascists, and that, yes, she contributed to that rhetoric greatly. And I don't see the same thing on the right at all. I don't see a unified message in the party saying that left wingers are a bunch of evil fascists who are just trying to kill everybody. That's not what I see. What I see instead is I see on the right, they condemn political violence basically always. I don't see the fractional groups.
No.
I don't see the fractional groups like you do with Antifa.
Here,
things like
I got
this,
a few.
who are shut up. Let me finish. Who are doing these cell organizations for violence, who are linked to NGOs, who many of these NGOs are also donors to the DNC. So on the one hand,
Whoa,
they're
dude.
funding the riots, and on the other hand, they're also funding the DNC.
All
It's
right,
crazy.
to be clear,
How does that work?
I mean, if we still haven't gone through the CSIS, but if you want to talk about like small unit cells of right-wing violent terror, like the Boogaloo Boys, like the 3% Michigan Militia, like the Proud Boys, like the people who
Let's
planned
get
the
into all of
seditious
them.
conspiracy on January 6th, I think it's kind of weird that we're running away and saying this doesn't exist
Let's
on the
start-
right.
well, let's
When
start with
Donald
the Proud
Trump can
Boys.
say something
What
like, "Hey,
terrorism
Proud
did the Proud
Boys,
Boys do?
stand
What
back and
terrorism
stand
did the
by,"
Proud
because
Boys-
he can't fucking condemn them. I think that's
terrorism
insane.
did the Proud Boys do?
What, trying to overthrow the government and kidnap
No,
politicians
no,
on
no,
January
no,
6th?
no,
Yeah,
no.
seditious conspiracy,
Before,
yeah.
Hang on. Before January 6th, these people were allocated by Democrats as being some sort of like domestic terror cell, that they were evil right-wing extremists. What did they do? Except beat up Antifa
Why are you moving
members
away
who were
from
showing
the thing
up,
that I'm
who were
describing, which is the
because
dead to
what I'm showing
rights
you- what I'm
seditious
showing-
conspiracy
because I'm
thing?
showing you something important. What's important is that long before J6,
Mhm.
and Gavin McInnes starts the Proud Boys,
Yep.
okay, and what they were, the Proud Boys were doing everything they could to
Mhm.
stop Antifa from beating people in the fucking streets.
Yeah,
they did a,
and then
they
do you know
actually
why
did a
Gavin
pretty good- hang
McInnes
on, let me
disavowed the
finish,
Proud
bro.
Boys?
Because otherwise they were threatening to put him in prison.
No, it's because they got too racist and extreme for him, and even he couldn't handle it.
No, it's because there was political pressure which was put on Gavin. I know Gavin. Do you?
No, I don't know Gavin.
Yeah, I do. And what happened there? I have a whole interview about it. You can go watch it on the
Oh, okay.
Crucible. And so the thing is like, look, that's not what happened at all. What happened is there was a great amount of political pressure which was put on McInnes, trying to say that he was a terrorist, and that's what they were trying to move towards with leftist rhetoric.
So you think he would have stuck around during the seditious conspiracy thing, or no?
Deplatformed. Hang on, he was getting deplatformed everywhere, and for what? All the Proud Boys did was protect people from Antifa fucking lunatics.
That's
all
a really
they did.
interesting way of framing it, considering I could say, well, all the Antifa was doing was protecting the other people from the crazy white supremacist Proud Boys, but in reality, you've got two pretty
They were
extreme
actually
political
attacking.
groups
Look at what
beating
happened
the
in New
shit out of
York.
each other.
No, that's
And
not
I'm
what
not going to
happened.
try to say that,
Look at what happened in
the
New York.
brave
They were
Proud Boys
attacking
just
random
doing
people.
the great things, you know? Like, this is
Do you-
obviously the
okay,
most
do you
biased
realize
framing ever,
that
dude.
in a fight you usually have initiators, you have aggressors. It's true, you can have mutual combat.
Mhm.
But in the cases that I saw with Proud Boys,
Oh,
it
did you
was
see
not
a bunch of
mutual-
videos? That's
It was
crazy.
not. No, it
Is
wasn't
that
just
there's like a
videos.
study about
It's
how many
official,
videos you saw?
There's official reports on it, like what happened in New York. They were attacked and defended themselves.
Hmm.
They got arrested because they won.
Oh, okay.
That's it. They just won.
Okay.
Like they won the fight, and
You've
so they
convinced
get
me.
arrested.
I've seen the totality of
That's pretty
evidence
crazy.
about all the Proud Boys and all the violence they've ever committed, and
Show
somehow
me
they just like
yours. Show me
stumbled
yours.
in.
And by
Well,
the
my
way-
evidence is that they committed fucking seditious conspiracy on
that's not-
January 6th. I think that's pretty
All
fucking
pardoned for
insane
it,
and
fucker.
terroristic.
All
But
pardoned for it, fucker.
yeah, they all got pardoned, which
Somebody-
I believe is an endorsement for them to do something like that
Well,
again
I
if he
think,
loses
I think
in
what it
2028.
is that
so.
there was a witch hunt that was going on, and once the president, the
Oh,
president
witch hunt!
came in,
Dude, they texted each other. Make
pardoned
no
him.
mistake, we did this. It's the most dead to rights
Did what?
fucking. They did this shit.
They did
Planned
what,
to
though?
overthrow the fucking government.
No, they didn't
dude.
plan to overthrow the government. It's
I know they
ridiculous.
suck because they're
So-
fucking lame. But
plan
you're
to
acting like
overthrow the
it's a
government, and
witch
not
hunt.
only that-
All right,
not only
guys,
that,
we're gonna go in
point
there
this-
and walk in the lines. That's what we're
And let me
doing,
point
Proud
this out
Boys.
to
Let's
you
go.
So that you note, they were all pardoned. You got nothing. And you
Oh,
can't
okay.
point to anything pre-J6 either that they actually did wrong.
Well,
And
I
yet they're
didn't come here
considered
to
a
debate whether or
violent
not the
right-
Proud Boys were
So,
violent
hang on, you
pre
used them
J6. I
as an
think it's
exa-
pretty
yes, you
fucking
did,
bad
fucker.
though that
You
they got
used them
indicted
as
and
an
convicted
example
for
of a
seditious
right-wing
conspiracy, and your only defense against that is, well, the guy who told them and wanted them to go do that said that it's okay that they did that. So you have nothing, as
What
if
was
the
his
fucking
name?
conviction was like some crazy witch hunt when we have text messages from them
Yeah.
saying, "Yep, we're doing it. We're doing the
Yeah,
crimes."
but here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? And this is what's really funny. Those text messages, one, in context, actually don't say that. And two, to go through this, these guys were pardoned for anything which would have been considered criminal on J6. Not
Mhm.
only that, let's point out that there was left-wing groups who were trying to label them, including the ADL, as
Mhm.
being a racist domestic terror group
Mhm.
before they were ever doing anything wrong. Most of the groups that you just cited, Boogaloo Boys,
3% Michigan
there was
Militia was the other
Oath
one I
Keepers,
mentioned.
Oath Keepers,
Oath Keepers,
Proud
yeah.
Boys. Most of these guys never did a fucking thing wrong, and the left was already claiming that they were domestic terrorists and this type of thing. So you're just lying through your teeth, and you get the timelines
Yeah, so
all
when
botched.
when they beat up people and do terrorism, it's always because the other people did it to them first. And I know this because I saw videos of it. Just to be clear, like
Show me
that is
examples to
that
the
is the
contrary,
example.
then, fucker.
Well, no, you have to
Show me
affirm
an
to me
example to the
when I
contrary.
look. I have a study here that's claiming that some of these people, because you can go through the methodology. I bet you'd be really upset. And this is why I really didn't want to pick through it. It mentions the Boogaloo Boys. It mentions
I'm
the
sure
Proud
it
Boys in
does.
here, and I bet you'd be like, well, they've never done anything violent. But I would need to show something. You would need to show me that these people are not committing an act of terrorism. You'd have to show me some sort of thing that every single time they've been arrested for violence, it's always self-defense. And if otherwise, I just have no reason to believe that, like, oh, well, I'm saying that these terrorist groups aren't terrorist groups. Therefore, the study is invalid.
No, I'm saying that the
That is-
methodology for the study that you didn't even read, you gave me a 10-page pamphlet, which sources all of the actual supporting material at the end of it.
Yep.
Right. You didn't even fucking read it. You still don't even want to go through the actual methodology because you're concerned.
I said we could
that
go
it's gonna
through, to be
demonstrate-
clear.
You're concerned that it's going to demonstrate that
No, I'm
you
really
and I
not. I
both
said
know
let's
the
go
same
through it.
thing, that most of these things which are classified as right-wing violence, you wouldn't agree with. And
Okay,
so the
again,
thing is so
we can
funny
go
here
through
is
it
like,
if we want to waste our time.
and even then, even if I granted this to you, the funniest part of all of this is how fucked your timeline is. How are these people going to go after clubs like the Proud Boys and things like this, the Oath Keepers, before they ever did anything wrong and preemptively labeled them as terror groups?
Well,
And
to be
then
clear,
suddenly,
this is
of course,
only
of course,
contingent on
J6
believing you
happened.
that they've
We
done
always
literally
knew it,
nothing
guys.
wrong
We always
ever.
knew it.
I just brought the absolute worst thing they've ever done out, and now you're claiming they've never done anything violent except for self-defense.
What, the
before
worst
that, which
thing
I
that- you mean
find
that-
is
you mean-
very
you mean
spurious.
they
But
were
you know,
pardoned
I mean,
for?
you've seen a bunch of videos, so that's
The
pretty
worst
evident.
thing that they were pardoned for?
The worst thing they were pardoned for, yeah.
They were pardoned for
Oh
it.
yeah, I like how you're smugly like, gotcha, dude. The guy who
They were
told them to go
pardoned.
do it, pardon them. Like that's kind of the whole issue we have with it.
Wait
Like,
a second. I'm really confused. Were the Proud Boys pardoned for J6?
Yeah, didn't you just say
okay.
that like
you-
100 times?
Can you have false convictions which you are pardoned for by the chief law enforcement officer, for instance?
You can,
Is that
but you
Oh
can
my
also have
God.
incredibly
Power?
corrupt pardons, and I would agree
Is
that
that why
if
they
you
have
look at Joe
pardon
Biden
power?
pardons, I'd say some of those are corrupt and wrong
They
too,
have
right? But
they have pardon power for a reason.
Oh,
It's
okay.
specifically to stop when there are witch
right,
hunts
sorry.
like this.
By the way, don't
I
call
wanna-
these
I wanna
people
say this.
fascists,
I
and they're
wanna
like,
say
yes, my
this.
authoritarian
But-
leader is allowed to pardon anyone for anything if it helps him out.
Oh yeah,
Vince Go, he hasn't
Here's-
spoken in a
here's-
while.
here's-
Sorry for
Let
inciting
Vince
violence
go,
against
Let
civilians.
Vince go. He hasn't
Hey,
spoken in a
guys,
while.
here's the crazy thing I'm hearing about this, right? Is so we have two contrasting things happening right now. We have Gavin Newsom, who, when the protests happened, said, I condemn them. It should be peaceful. And they were arrested. They were not released. They were arrested. Now, they may have
For
been released
what?
on bond, but for
He told
various
you
things.
earlier.
violent crimes against
on,
police
Hold on.
officers.
No, I'm not done. I'm not done
No.
talking, Andrew. I know.
Let's
I'm glad.
finish.
I'm glad. But see, here's the crazy thing about this is
Okay.
as Andrew's laughing, he doesn't realize that there's a other contrast to this, which is Donald Trump, who has not condemned, quite frankly, the Jan 6 things. And even if he did, it's contrasted by the fact that he actually pardoned them. So if he actually cared about that, and he did care about political violence on his side, then he would probably let the justice system work its way through. But we know that Donald Trump doesn't really care. In fact, he's actually called Kamala Harris a fascist, a communist, a Marxist. We've seen Stephen Miller saying the same thing, echoing the same thing. Yet I haven't heard anybody mention anything about Donald Trump saying those words. Because it's okay when the right does it, but when the left does it, somehow now it's all sorts of crazy.
Yeah.
right?
So you have
There's
the
lots of lies. There's
I'll-
lots of lies
I'll
there. I
let
mean,
John
first of all,
Paul-
Totally.
Where's the lies? Yeah,
you
tell me
claim,
lies.
well, you said he didn't condemn it. January 7th, he released a statement saying, I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem.
So outraged he
I
pardoned
immediately
everybody.
deployed
That
the
makes
National
sense.
Guard.
I
and
thought he
federal
didn't
law
condemn him
enforcement
5 seconds ago. You lying
Guys,
gutless fuck.
guys, both of you,
Is
let John
that,
Paul
or
finish.
is that condemning? Is that
He-
condemning?
I don't call it
violence?
condemning
Like-
if he ends up in. I don't call it condemning if he ends up after the fact pardoning every
Okay, do
single.
you
I
know
think
how
it's
much
a
violence
hollow-
actually
hollow-
was on January
hollow
6th? Do you know how
condemnation.
much violence actually was there?
I'd
there
say
was
there's six
probably- I think there was
violence,
over 100
six
people
whole
that were
violence.
charged. There was about 170 people charged with assaulting a law enforcement officer.
Were any of them
There
charged
was
with
like
insurrection, fuckhead?
160.
Nope, it was
No.
seditious conspiracy.
None of them were charged with insurrection, fuckhead. Not a single one.
170
Good thing
people
no
were charged
one's
with assaulting
clowning
Were
a law
there
about
any
that.
of them charged with insurrection?
Andrew, you're boxing shadows right now. No one's talking about insurrection.
Yes,
One of them
that's what
already
you guys
served.
just said. You just said it was a seditious insurrection 5 seconds
No,
ago.
I said seditious conspiracy. That's not the same thing as
Oh,
insurrection.
so it wasn't an insurrection?
I said it was seditious conspiracy.
So well, I just want to be clear. Then it wasn't an insurrection.
I'd say that any definition
know
that I
what
use
this
of
has to do with
insurrection,
any
you
of the
won't be happy
I
with.
just want
So
to make
let's say
sure that
no.
we're clear.
I want to make sure
Was it
this
an
has nothing to do
insurrection
with
or
the
not?
conversation.
Nah, it was a
Was it
seditious conspiracy,
this
at
has
least by the
nothing-
legal
Okay.
terms.
So it wasn't an
And
insurrection. Got it.
There's
Sure.
This has
nothing
nothing to do with the
inconsistent
conversation.
about this. You can completely condemn the violence that occurred, which
And then
Donald
pardon
Trump
them afterwards?
did.
Yeah, that makes a lot
And
of
you
sense.
can
That
pardon
sounds like a
people
dog
who
whistle to me,
believed-
John. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he's
well,
speaking out of both
if
sides
you
of his
believe
mouth.
they
On
should
one
be
side, he
pardoned,
said
if you
condemn.
believe
On
they
the other
should
side, he
be
said you guys did
pardoned.
Well, how would
nothing
you
wrong.
know? You
So, I
don't
mean,
let him
Okay,
finish what he's saying.
Everyone, I'm gonna let John Paul go first, and then Soy, you can respond.
Yeah, my understanding is you have people who are outside of the Capitol who are recording it. Some people who are even let inside the building, almost walking in like a tour, not really causing
feel bad
much
for this
violence.
kid.
Who go and
he lives in
serve
Berkeley, guys.
years
I think he
of-
can be
years of jail
saved. I'm gonna
time,
get lunch with him.
along with other people who maybe like if they were violent, they also served jail time, and you can pardon those people on the basis that you think that they were either serving a term that was way too long, which was the case when you have many people who were simply trespassing, for instance, spending years and years of jail time and fines, and you can pardon those people while also saying that the violence was absolutely outrageous. And Vincent, you said that Donald Trump never condemned the January 6th attack, when I just
think
read
it's
to
a
you the
Holocaust,
statement he
sure.
released right after, calling it a heinous attack, saying what he did to try to stop it, and condemning
And
the
then what did he
violence.
do
Yeah,
after
John,
this,
how
John?
can
What did
you
he do
possibly
later?
think
How many
that he
years
believed? Wait, hold on.
afterwards?
I thought I got to
4 years
respond.
later?
Hold on,
Corbin,
hold on.
please, can
So
I
who's
respond?
next? Hold on,
Yeah,
so
how
who's
can
next?
how can you claim that he thinks the violence is outrageous if he thinks they did nothing wrong and pardon them for it? If he's pardoning everyone, like I agree, there are people in there that maybe shouldn't be in jail for 20 years for trespassing or whatever ridiculous thing, but someone who's committing seditious conspiracy, planning to overthrow the government, someone who like beat up police officers, any of these violent rioters are also pardoned. How can you possibly say that he thinks that violence is outrageous if he thinks you should get zero punishment for it?
He did not pardon every single individual, but additionally, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to steelman your position. I'm going to
Okay.
assume that you are completely correct in what you're saying. There's two main problems. The one main problem is that whenever we give actions done by Kamala Harris and other politicians, we see you and Vincent constantly is saying like, oh well, she condemned the action. So
No,
it's
wait,
okay.
John,
And
to be
that's the
clear,
only
in
proof-
good
that's the
faith, I
only
asked you this.
defense.
Can you show me the person that she retweeted in this fund? And if they did something that was a violent action, I actually agree with you. I would say that is the closest thing that you have shown me to a left winger saying tacitly that violence is okay by bailing them out. I've actually said that. For all these other things, every single left wing politician is saying this is awful, we condemn it, and their actions are not indicating of anything otherwise. They're not pardoning violent people. But if you do show me that specific fund and the specific person and what they did was violent, yeah, I'd say, yeah, that is actually tacitly endorsing violence, and I wouldn't agree with that. But that is, in totality, so far
Wait a
fewer
second.
than all of these
I just wanna
examples
make
we
sure-
brought to you
hang
on the right.
Can I make sure I got this right?
Mhm.
So if I show you a bunch of tweets from left-wing politicians
Mhm.
post Kirk's death, who literally strawman his positions and say that he was a racist fascist, you don't consider that to be some sort of like?
I'd say
I
that's
don't know.
a pretty accurate description of objective reality. No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
so the thing is like that's not them basically giving a pass, right?
No, it's not,
Okay,
because
no.
they don't
You
say
wanted
we
to-
need to
you
kill
wanted
these
an
people.
example.
They
So
don't
to
say
get-
that
so
that's
to
the
get
only
this
option
right-
to dealing with these
Hang
people.
on. I just want to make sure so I get this right.
Mhm.
So when it comes to Charlie Kirk, they can condemn the violence out of one side of their mouth, and then on the other side, they can say that, well, but he was a racist, misogynist Nazi,
Mhm.
right? But John Paul, when he brings up, well, okay, Trump can condemn the violence, right?
But he can
also
pardon
give them
violence.
pardons, but also give them pardons later on because he thought that the prison sentences were far too stiff. Why is
For
it that you
seditious
think
conspiracy.
that argument would work against John, but not against you?
Because you
in
would
the
have to
same
show me
context?
left-wing politicians pardoning people committing violence, which
Here,
is
you
why
want an
I gave up the
example,
example. If you're showing her saying, let's bail out people who committed violence, I would say, yes, that is pretty similar and something I would not be okay with, versus people accurately describing his ideology, which you say it can only lead to violence, which you actually had to caveat and say, well, it's only going to lead to violence because although everyone really understands that's not necessarily the only way you can deal with a fascist, a bunch of crazy people are going to get the wrong idea. But the crazy people on the right, when Donald Trump calls us fascists, I mean, they don't listen to him. Like, I just don't understand how you think these two things are even close to equal.
Okay, so if you want
That's
an
not an
example, the
argument.
direct
That was just
example-
prattling.
Hold on.
No, you just didn't
the
understand
direct
it. I
example
understand.
Was Kamala Harris promoted the Minnesota Freedom Fund,
hmm
and which was set to bail out protesters,
hmm
and among those you have George Howard, who was
Okay.
bailed out on August 6th,
Okay.
who was arrested on a domestic violence charge, and then later that month, on August 29th, he was arrested again, accused of murder in a shooting. And so you have Kamala Harris retweeting the Minnesota Freedom Fund and telling people to donate to
No,
it.
you don't have to explain further.
bail
I
out people
completely
like
agree.
this.
I think that was incredibly irresponsible of Kamala Harris. I think that contributed. I could say you could even tie this directly to her and other politicians who retweeted this stuff for all of the violence that came out of anyone bailed out by that fund. I would say, ideologically consistent, that is not okay. In the same way that Joe Biden mass pardoned these, like, a bunch of drug dealers who may now go out and do more crime. I think that is awful. But if we're going to talk about what? Well, I don't know if I think his son's reformed. His son is reformed. I don't think he's ever going to commit another crime. All right. I think he's good. All right. Hunter Biden is a straight shooter.
Biden
2028. Okay. He's totally straight shooter. But the problem is, if we're looking at this,
that wasn't corrupt though, right?
No, I think it was. I think it was. Okay. That's the whole point. Is we're able to call out our own fucking side.
But you did vote for Biden, right?
And yeah, it's called. I'm able to make an analysis of which of these things is absolutely worse.
Would you have voted for him for a second term post him?
I would vote for Obama for a 5th term. Actually, in fact, I'm voting for Obama.
Yeah, without the trolling, can you just answer my question?
Oh yeah, it's not trolling when we're talking about fucking political violence, and now we're going about Hunter Biden's son and all the crimes he's doing.
Well, I'm just looking for consistency.
The fucking weeds about this.
I'm just looking for consistency.
Well, yeah, but every time I try to pry you for consistency, you have to keep running away and saying, "Well,
I've answered all of your questions,
I'm not cherry picking. I just want to agree with this part of the study that agrees with me."
I have to mention this. Okay, so this is the biggest concession of the debate.
Yeah, because we're good faith enough to say this is a bad thing. You will not say this, by the way. You'll agree with my premise. You will not say this about Trump, will you?
You're going to filibuster, right?
No, I really appreciate the consistency, and I appreciate that you're willing to concede this. I'm saying this is the biggest, most substantial concession of the debate, because the Antifa and BLM riots of 2020 was the largest scope and scale of political violence, sustained political violence that we've seen in modern U.S. history. And when you have the vice president, the running vice president, and then the future leader of the party posting Minnesota Freedom Fund to bail out people like George Howard.
When was George Howard released?
Shut your fucking mouth. Let him finish, Vince.
No. August 6th. August 6th he was bailed out. August 6th
he was bailed out.
When was it, John?
John Paul, go.
John, let me ask you something.
Vince, just let John finish his thing, and then you can ask your question.
All right. I respect you, Corbin. Good.
Yeah, Vince. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up, Andrew.
Such a child.
He's one of many. I encourage you to look into the reports themselves. The fact is that Kamala Harris posted and encouraged people to donate to the Minnesota Freedom Fund, which was an organization that was bailing out these violent people. That's one example. If I looked into it more, and I'm free to look into it more after this debate and give you all the examples of all the people who were arrested under violent charges and how that is directly that's monumentally impactful when Kamala Harris is the one posting this in the face of the Antifa and BLM riots, which are burning down cities, injuring officers, killing people. Yeah, once again, $2+ billion of damage. Somehow we're going to completely ignore the $2+ billion of damage when we're talking about responsibility and political violence. We have an actor in the mainstream left-wing political landscape who is functioning in such a way that is endorsing, rationalizing, excusing, tolerating the violence that we have seen. You can say that she condemns it, but when she condemns it and posts the Minnesota Freedom Fund, you have a glaring contradiction on your hands.
Okay, so real quick, Vince, I have to answer this because we're talking, you're right, about political violence. So, for example, the specific instance you say, which I said was bad. Yeah, what?
Dude, I promised Vince he could go and he hasn't
okay.
I just want to respond to this one quick thing. I just want to make a small little asterisk to what John Paul is saying about George Howard. George Howard was released in 2021, a year after the tweet from Kamala Harris. It had nothing to do with the BLM protests. So again, at the time, Kamala Harris had no idea about this George Howard thing because it didn't even exist yet. So again, you want to bring up the George Howard incident. This is just a proxy of the actual bail fund itself and what it became, not what it was at the time in which Kamala Harris supported it. I just want to make that asterisk.
Yeah, I'm not making the claim that Kamala Harris specifically wanted to bail out George Howard. I'm making the claim that she's supporting a group that is functioning in such a way that is bailing out people like George Howard.
Right.
after.
So to be clear,
Correct. That is the function
bailing out
of
people
the group
like
that she is promoting.
right, right.
That's not
and this
what's
is
in-
and I
that's
want to
not being
grant this.
contested, Vince.
Yeah, hold on, Andrew. I do want to grant it. Let's just say that she helped promote this fund, and one of the many people, for example, I would want to see like to what degree these people are being bailed out for, like the protesters who are arrested in LA being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or doing violence, like throwing Molotov cocktails or burning down police cars or whatever. That's pretty important as to why they're doing this. But let's be clear. Hold on, let's be clear, because I do want to say this. Let's just say that she specifically did this, and this guy was released because of this bail fund, like the day after the tweet. What's happening here is the political violence that is happening afterwards would have to be the downstream effects of how she's doing this. Now, I think the chilling effect, or I guess the opposite of the chilling effect, is, hey, protesters, if you get arrested, we're going to let you go. This is what I'm conceding and agreeing. Yeah, that is something that could potentially like encourage people to go out and riot and protest again in a violent way if those violent people are the ones being released. But this guy, in the example you like cited, he didn't go out and do another political violence. He went out and fucking killed some random person, which has absolutely nothing to do with BLM. So you'd have to show, one, when you keep citing, oh, well, this BLM thing, it's all this billions of dollars of damage, which was bad, by the way. I'm not trying to say that was okay. Is somehow downstream of political violence, when you can say that a lot of this was rioting and people taking advantage of people protesting. And yeah, it was mostly peaceful, as much as you guys fucking hate that. Just statistically, that's true. But after all that, and me and my good faith willing to say, yeah, if she does this and lets them out, that's potentially a chilling effect and letting people go and do it more. You will never, ever say the same about Trump pardoning violent January 6 people. Why not?
Yeah, so
I actually did grant that to you.
Oh, you did? Okay, thank God. Holy
I
shit.
did
I got
steal
all
man
worked
your
up for
argument. I
nothing.
said even if that's the case.
No,
in
don't
comparison
steal
to
man it. I'm literally saying this is not a steal man. This is me admitting I think that if Kamala Harris is saying, hey, protesters, it's okay if you go do violence, in some ways, if they release violent protesters, will kind of give the signal to certain other people that they might be able to commit violence for, and I don't think that's okay. I'm not asking you to steal man me. I'm saying, do you think that Donald Trump pardoning violent people is going to then encourage them to go and do violence again?
I would say that these are distinctly different situations, and so
It's always different.
Well,
I mean,
only when things are different, though, then they're different because they're not the same.
Yeah, it's on the right.
It's only because when things are different, though, Vince. So anyway, here's why. So you what you're actually trying to argue right now, Soy Pill, is that more people will do political violence because they just don't mind getting in prison for 4 fucking years before they might potentially get a pardon one day. That's fucking crazy, one. And the second issue here, Soy, which is really funny, is he's right. You made the biggest concession of the debate, which is that you guys have now acknowledged that there's bail funds all over the place that do indeed. If you just concede that they're doing this with some people who are violent and bailing them out, right? Show me the right-wing equivalent. Go ahead.
I don't have to show you the right wing equivalent
because
to talk about the scale of political violence. First of all, we're specifically talking about one bail fund specifically retweeted one time by one politician, and we're talking about those politicians. And the reason I'm willing to concede that is because I have intellectual consistency, but you guys are like, oh, these people that Donald Trump had tried to overthrow an election for him and got released as soon as he had the political power to do it. How many years in
prison did they spend?
Oh, 4 whole years. Well, I guess if Donald Trump has promised to pardon us, we'll never do it again. We'll never do a political violence. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I don't know if you're just stupid or bad faith, but it's kind of depressing.
If you go and you start rioting in the Capitol, right, you'll spend 4 years in prison and maybe one day you'll get pardoned.
Andrew, do you think that if they were successful and Donald Trump had become president, he would have pardoned them right away?
Let me ask the fucking question.
I've got the equivalent.
Let me ask. Respond. Right? You'll spend 4 fucking years in prison, right? And by the way, in horrific conditions in comparison to the crime you're convicted of. Okay, horrific conditions for a lot of these people. You would not have agreed with it, and you guys would be bad faith if you said that you would, with the type of conditions that they got for what it was that they were actually prosecuted for. So the thing here that's funny is like, no, I don't think it's signaling to anybody, hey, if you go, you'll spend 4 fucking years in prison and maybe hopefully one day get a pardon, as opposed to a bail fund, which has you out in fucking 2 days.
Well, to be clear, he was out a year later, Andrew. I don't know if you were listening for that part, but also you're talking about including the seditious conspiracy people who had committed it and got sentenced for 22 years, and that's somehow not enough. And the only reason that he didn't pardon them is either 1, it wasn't politically expedient, and 2, he didn't succeed in overthrowing the fucking election. They probably would have spent a couple months in jail if he actually had. So,
Soy Pill, how many years do you think they should have spent?
Enrique Tarrio, I don't know. What's the average for seditious conspiracy?
Okay, not him. How about the other ones?
I don't know about the other ones. I'd have to go look.
Yeah, do you only know one?
Are you going to specifically pick apart whether or not I know the violent threat for one of these people? And if not, then my entire argument about whether or not these people shouldn't have been pardoned for committing violence is wrong.
Should they have gotten life?
I don't think everyone should have gotten life for committing violence at a riot.
4 years. 4 years, a long time in prison, man.
I'd say 4 years is not enough for a lot of these people.
There's also
Come on, 4 years.
There's a massive difference here. The reason why this is also one of the biggest concessions of the debate is because Kamala Harris posted the Minnesota Freedom Front during the riots. What does that say to you? The riots are a sustained large portion of time. Even if I concede everything you're saying about January 6th, that was one day.
Hey, what's worse, overthrowing the Democratic election or $2 billion of property damage?
We're talking about responsibility and impact of the political parties. I am not excusing, like Andrew said, we completely condemn all and any political violence.
Do you condemn January 6th, John?
Exactly wrong, which is why it is wrong when during the
John, do you condemn January 6th?
Riots of Antifa and BLM, when you're posting bailout funds to help people who are protesting and who are in the riots to get out of jail. Like, what does that say?
So again, you're incapable of understanding that you're conflating protesting, violence, violent crime, and all of the other things that are incorporated in this bail fund. You're completely incapable of separating these things.
Dude.
And when I say it is completely 100% okay for Donald Trump to pardon some of these trespassers, you can't even fucking condemn January 6th. You understand how fucking insane and unhinged and asymmetrical this is. You have made zero concessions, not because you're more right. It's because the only way you can even possibly get into our brains is to say you're steel manning us when I am saying, yes, Kamala Harris potentially releasing a violent criminal or helping in doing that is sending some sort of signal, and that is not okay. And you're like, well, we win because we don't want to actually do the good faith thing and understanding that the January 6th stuff is fucked up. Andrew says 4 years is enough. I guess if you have the fucking brain of a goldfish and you walk back and forth, like, it's totally fine. It seems like a fucking eternity. But some of these people actually did violent, awful things.
If only I were just a little bit smarter, I would understand.
Dude, you're self-admittedly like average IQ. I don't know why
that's
you're
true.
going
So where the fuck does that put you? The thing is so funny here is like you've been trounced every debate we've ever had, and including this one.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. If I declare victory, I won, Andrew. I win. So I win. Actually, I won every debate.
The funniest part.
I'm declaring it right now. I won every debate.
The funniest part about all this is like, how bad faith can you be when you try to make a comparison between somebody who tweets out a bail fund while rioting's going on, clear signal, and somebody who gives a pardon after evidence comes out
as soon as he has the ability to do it. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
How are these things even comparable, Soy?
Yeah, because one of these people actually did something that was, I'm going to pardon people that I know did violence against this country and probably deserve to be in jail for what they're doing. And the other person retweeted the bail fund, and you haven't even established that a majority of these people were violent. You've pointed out to one person who did a completely non-related political act after, and even then, I'm still granting you. You know what? I don't think that's okay to retweet that bail fund because that might be signaling to people that violence is okay. And you can't even fucking admit that January 6th was bad. That's how fucking bad faith you guys are.
That's
I mentioned earlier. I literally mentioned earlier that even if it's like, and I will agree, the vast majority of people did not burn down buildings and loot stores.
Would you say that's mostly peaceful then?
Okay, mostly peaceful means $2+ billion of damages, thousands of officers injured, and many.
Can you imagine how many billions it would have been if they all weren't peaceful? That would have been crazy.
In scale, because if we're going to judge things based off of mostly peaceful, then both sides are mostly peaceful. And if you want to judge based on,
I said that at the beginning.
Based on the scope and impact that these have had, that has been the core framework of the debate. How much impact have these had? How many issues and problems have the left caused from political violence? You haven't mentioned any that is even remotely close to the destruction we saw in the Antifa.
Not even in the same universe, by the way.
Okay, so I've got some stats for you. So among the felony pleas,
did you chat GPT him? Can you be honest? Did you chat GPT him? Did you chat GPT him?
30 that pled to obstructing law enforcement and 69 that pled to assaulting law enforcement with a dangerous or deadly weapon.
Okay, I'm going to go into all these with you, but did you chat GPT him? My chat wants to know, Vince.
When we look at seditious conspiracy,
I'm just going to ask you again when you're done.
Conspiracy, Soy, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Enrique Antario was either convicted. I think he was convicted of seditious conspiracy. So again, this wasn't as a matter of law. It was settled that they had done this particular crime. And so if Donald Trump was super about trying to uphold the rule of law, then he would have done so.
Anyway, real quick, before I answer to this, did you chat GPT all that? The truth. Tell me the truth.
Yeah. So I had to look it up because the Department of Justice nuked that. Actually, if you go to the source,
So I'm
of it, it's
debating with
actually
an
been nuked.
AI. I'm debating with an AI right
Well,
now.
I didn't ChatGPT do this.
I
I
wonder
just
if
looked
AI is
up. Assault with a deadly
hallucinating.
weapon could
Andrew,
carry a
you-
sentence of anywhere up to 20 years. So 4 doesn't seem like nearly enough. So
Yeah, and if Andrew wants to provide anything to go against the 172, you're more than welcome to do so.
Yeah. Okay. Repeat the argument. I'm sorry. I want to get the answer to my question first. Go ahead. What was the argument?
The argument is that 172 people pled guilty to assaulting law enforcement. You had 130 that pled guilty to obstructing law enforcement during civil disorder, 69 that pled to assaulting law enforcement with a dangerous or deadly weapon, and 4 pled to seditious conspiracy. So by matter of law, they were found guilty and have done those said crimes.
Do you
And
agree
they
with me that
found
those are federal crimes? Were they federal crimes?
They were federal crimes. Yes.
Yeah. And what is the prosecutorial victory rate in federal cases?
See, here's the funny thing about this, right? Is that Andrew Wilson now is going to say, just because Donald Trump can do something doesn't change the fact.
I wasn't
going
going
to
to say any of
look
that.
at the contrast.
Bro,
Okay, so what is the
it
federal?
feels bad
justice
when they
rate?
assume
It's
your
pretty-
position, doesn't it, Andrew? I
Dude,
hate it.
if you would just calm the fuck down and answer the
federal
questions, we can get
conviction
through
rate
it.
is significantly high.
Oh, fuck. We lost
Completely a
again.
non sequitur from the fact that Donald Trump himself sat there and said,
Okay, so
If-
hang
if
on.
you-
Let's
if you-
back up. Let's back up.
Yeah,
because you
you blew it
froze.
out.
Because you froze, right? The federal conviction rate is significantly higher, right?
correct.
So if it's the case that federal prosecutors went to these people and told them, and they had their lawyers there, and said to them, if you plead guilty, you're going to get a lesser sentence to this versus if we take you to trial here on this. And then you're going to get a much stiffer sentence. This is usually how that works. Do you agree with me?
By that same logic, then we would
Mhm.
say that every single person in the federal court system that pled guilty is also due to have their themselves pardoned as well because it was a faulty conviction. In
No,
the
I'm not
eyes of the
saying
law-
I'm not
and-
even saying it's a
Andrew,
faulty
let me ask you
conviction.
something.
Just calm
Andrew,
down, dude.
Andrew,
You keep
Andrew,
jumping.
let me-
If you wouldn't jump the how the fuck am I supposed to have a debate with this guy? It's just
Yeah,
like,
Andrew, let me ask you a question. Okay.
Uh-huh.
In the eyes of the law, if you plead guilty, does that mean that you had committed that crime in the eyes of the law? Yes.
in the
or no?
eyes of the law, sure.
Okay, then. So
Mhm.
then, if they did commit that crime,
Does
in the
that mean
eyes of
though
the
that
law,
in fact you
Let him-
did?
Andrew, let him finish.
Does that mean in fact you did though?
by necessity, it does. In the court
No,
of
it
the
does.
law.
By necessity, it doesn't. If I
Yes, it
pled
does.
guilty to a rape but never committed the rape, did I commit the rape?
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't even know where to go with that. I'm all
Yeah.
done with you, bro. I'm all done with you. Okay.
You work your way, and I'll tell
Okay,
you,
I'm done, dude. No, I don't. Listen, that's the
Vincent.
best soundbite I'll ever get from this
To
fucking
be
debate.
to be
okay.
clear, Andrew, I
Okay.
saw a clip of you on whatever talking about how much you raped. So I know it was a weird definition of it, but
Yeah. So again, the idea here is that
You're
Donald
really?
Trump-
So if your girlfriend woke you up with a blowjob, she's raping you, soy? I just want to make sure
that's
I got
not what
that
I'm talking
clear.
about.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I got that clear. But anyway,
If I didn't say
this-
yes, absolutely, that's rape.
yeah, I can't. I don't know where to go with that with you, man. We live in different,
That's great.
completely different paradigms. here.
That's great. We do, and that's been exhibited throughout this entire thing. So when we
Mhm.
look at again Donald Trump saying again, we've seen the left where they say they condemn it, and then they go in and they actually arrest these individuals and let the court system work its way through the courts. Now, if you did not commit these crimes, then guess what? There's an appellate process that you can go through to appeal those particular things. And then if all of a sudden at the end it's found that there was a faulty conviction or something, then it should work its way through the courts. If Donald Trump actually cared about the rule of law, if Donald Trump actually did want to condemn political violence, then he would not have pardoned these individuals. But the fact that he did shows exactly where his cards are and where he
Oh, great.
Fucking deep state, man.
I know. The swamp is just muting Vince.
I don't know. To be clear, he agreed to do a debate in a hotel, which I would never do. I don't trust those hotels.
Yeah.
You know how that's where the fucking Chinese agents get you.
But Vince, could you repeat what you were saying before you cut out?
Oh yeah, no, you're good. All I'm saying is about by necessity, Donald Trump saying that he can, if he did, and it seems like he did, condemned what happened on Jan 6th, and he would have let the court system work its way through the entire process. And if there was something that he, and again, I want to mention this as well, that's really interesting. You can't sit here and tell me that all 1,600 defendants had a faulty issue. That's absurd, in my opinion, especially in the eyes of the law. If you want to say that there's a few defendants that may have been, had some sort of legal issue, by all means. I'm not opposed to saying that a president is able to pardon who they want to pardon, but all 1,600, and
It's
mind
insane.
you,
like,
not just
why?
that, we also saw them take.
Like, I don't want to not be a human being, but it
Jan
sucks so
6,
much that if I grant even a modicum of good faith, they
pages on
abuse
the
it
Department
and
of
will
Justice
refuse
about.
to grant even a little
So
bit.
again,
But like,
am I
I don't
muted?
know.
Oh, shit.
It's not
Hold on.
in me to lie about it.
No, we
Like,
can-
Okay. Oh, I saw Soy Pill talking, so I thought I was muted.
no,
But
sorry.
that's
I was
all
talking to the
saying.
chat real quick. My
Yeah,
bad.
that's all I was saying. It's just again, and again, I'm glad Soy Pill asked if you condemned January 6th or not. So,
I mean,
if
by
you
your
really do.
by the standard of justice that you just gave me, we can't even actually have a conversation about this. It's not even possible, just so you know.
What is the standard of justice that I have provided?
You just got done saying to me that if a black man was falsely convicted of raping a
Nope.
white woman,
Wait, you
that
changed
he
it to
in
black man,
fact-
Andrew, to be clear.
Shh,
You didn't
my
start with
turn.
that.
changing
My turn. My turn.
He's changing it. He's slick.
Shut
He's
up.
changing it.
On,
Shut
let
up.
Andrew go.
That if it was the case that a black man was falsely, and I'll give you a famous case of this, convicted of raping a white woman, that as long as he was
Changing it.
convicted, he in
Go ahead.
fact raped the white woman. And so because of this, I can no longer actually even take you seriously as an interlocutor. We can't even have a serious
This is
Andrew,
conversation.
that's not what he
Go
said,
ahead.
first of all. He said
How
pled
could that
guilty,
be
to
bad
clear.
faith? It's the same shit.
No, you said convicted.
is
He
bad
said
faith.
pled guilty. That was
I
actually a
believe he's
different thing.
using.
So if a
reductive
black man
adjectives.
pled guilty in that case, he did still actually rape her? What?
That
That's
is
the
what you
dumbest
said,
shit.
Vince.
What
I'm
are you
just making
talking
sure.
about?
That
Where
would
do
go
you guys
against the,
live? What
the-
reality do you guys
Hold
live
on,
in?
don't say you guys, because to be clear, that's not what I think, and that's
I mean,
not what
obviously,
happened with
Soy,
Essential
you have
Part
to agree
5,
with me
yeah.
that was the dumbest shit you've ever heard.
I think he phrased it
so,
poorly,
Andrew,
but
I
I
wanna be
think I
very
understand
clear.
what
I
he's
wanna
trying
be
to
I
say.
mean, that was really fucking stupid.
I
Even on a
said-
scale, I know
I
I'm
wanna
just
be very
average
clear.
IQ and stuff, Soy,
So, I
but
wanna
that
be
was
clear.
really
I
fucking
sat there,
stupid.
Andrew said and agreed
Uh-huh.
with me that in the eyes of the law, if you plead guilty, then you have done that said crime. Now, I understand.
no.
And I did claim.
No, you did
No.
say that, to be clear.
That's great. No, Andrew, that's great. So I'm going to continue speaking. So what happened is that I also said if you did not commit said crime and you believe you are falsely accused, there is a
Uh-huh.
process by which you can redeem yourself through that process. If you don't believe
No,
it,
that's not what
and
you said, bro. No.
you said
Not even in the
you
same
said,
universe.
did you commit that crime? And yes, you did commit that crime.
No,
in the
no,
eyes
no,
of
no,
the
no,
law.
doofus. Here's what
That's what I said.
here's what happened.
Go ahead.
I asked if you're convicted for a crime, if you in fact committed it. And you said, as long as it's the case that you were convicted,
The
then you did
fact
in
of the
fact
law,
commit
yes.
it. No, that's not what
The
the
fact of
question
the
was,
law,
you bad
yes.
faith lying.
The fact
Oh
of
my
law
God.
is yes.
Okay,
All right.
clearly he
Fact
just
of
means in the
law
eye
is
of the
yes.
law. I don't think he's so obtuse that he thinks that you just did it because
Right.
the law said you did.
Bro, you
Obviously,
need to
he
re-listen to
understands
that
there's
clip, Soy.
exonerations.
You guys are coping real bad on this
You
one.
can't keep saying you. First of all, I didn't say it, but it's very clear what he's saying, and you're like bad faith. Like you've lifted the
that
goalpost
I'm
and
the one
chucked
who's
them
bad
across the
faith
fucking
now.
field.
He's backtracking his whole position. I'm the one who's
Nope.
bad
He
faith.
never. I don't think he
Nope.
really. Do you really think he believes that people
Yes,
who are
I
convicted
think
are just
that he
automatically
was
guilty?
caught. I think he was caught in
By
the basic logic
necessity.
trap, and he bit
By
the
You
necessity.
bullet.
got it, dude.
'Cause
The,
he's a
the
dipshit.
logic
Necessity.
trap.
I think he's a
By
dipshit. And he bit the
necessity.
bullet. That's what I
By
think.
necessity, necessity, me saying that someone should work its way through the appellate process is me recognizing that there are individuals.
Nope.
I'm saying is a matter of fact in the law. The law looks at it as this is a fact that you have committed said crime. It does not mean that you actually did necessarily. That is what I am saying. So when you said it is a fact, yes, it is a fact in the eyes of the law. If you're asking me to clarify, then that is what I am saying. That is why I'm acknowledging that there is an appellate process by necessity.
But did you in fact commit the crime?
In fact of the law, yes, because the
That's
jury
not what I'm
is the-
asking.
Well, okay, Andrew, let me ask you something. Andrew,
And you understand your question is like, yes, it's dumb the way you answered it, but your question is so stupid that he
No, it's
didn't. He
not.
couldn't even conceive that you would think that he thinks that no matter what, if the law says it, it's true. Like just
And can
objectively
someone answer-
reality.
what
are you
Obviously, he
talking-
doesn't
okay,
think that.
hang on. Here, I'll clarify. So I would even grant this, except for this problem. That he asked me, do you think that in the eyes of the law, if you plead guilty to something, you're guilty in the eyes of the law? My answer was yes, of course. But
Okay.
you agree that that doesn't mean in fact you're guilty.
Okay,
And
let
he
me
was
ask you
like,
this, Andrew.
and so hang on. And so he clarified. And then I said, so in fact, would you be guilty? And Dummy said, yes. Like, what
Yes,
do you want
I
me to
was
do
there.
with that?
I
Bro?
thought
What do
that
you
was
want me to do with
weird,
that?
and now he's clarified. It's very clear he doesn't think
No,
that.
I
It's not
think
a
it's a
fucking
backtrack,
track
but
battle.
Andrew,
okay.
Dude,
Andrew,
do you
can-
really
can I-
think? Come
can I-
on, dude. No one fucking thinks that. He just didn't
They
understand.
do
the
think that,
stupid
I
question.
think. I think
And I
that.
wanna
You
be
think
very-
you think just to be clear, you think Vince Wilson doesn't believe that an exoneration is ever possible? That's what you believe.
No, I think
You
that
there
he
was a frame of
fighting-
moment in your time where like this
Yeah,
guy
I think
thinks
he's
that
biting-
judges
I think he was
like
biting-
can manipulate reality to their will.
Yeah, I think he
That's
was
what you
biting the
thought.
bullet because he didn't want to make a concession
Oh my
that they could have
God.
been convicted, and if they were convicted, that they could in fact have not been actually guilty of the
okay,
crime
I wanna
To
itself.
be
very
clear,
clear.
you think
You-
all the
you-
January
you-
6ers are not guilty of any crime?
I think most of them are not guilty of any crime. Yeah.
All of them.
most.
There
I
were
didn't
no
say
January
all.
6ers that did any violence.
No, there were people on January 6th
Okay.
who did conduct
Okay.
some forms of violence.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely, I think that there should have been some sort of punishment for them. Trump
Okay.
condemned them, right? This should not have happened.
Okay.
But
Should
the
they have
thing-
pardoned them?
The thing is like, well, on a case by case basis, not all of them did
Okay.
get pardoned.
One
is
of
my
them who
understanding.
did a violent, seditious conspiracy. Should he be pardoned?
What did he do that was actually violent?
Plan to overthrow the government by getting the Proud Boys to go in and try to
What
like
did he-
kidnap.
No, not
what
what
he
he was
did?
convicted of. What
Oh
did
yeah,
he
to be clear,
do?
Enrique Tarrio wasn't even there. He planned this violence from a different location. So,
So what
that's
violence
okay.
did they do then?
They broke into the fucking Capitol and tried to
Oh,
kidnap
come on.
politicians.
That's not
It's in the
what
fucking
violence.
plan.
What actual violence did they do? Tell
God,
me.
They're assaulting police officers and breaking into the Capitol
Okay,
and trying to go
your
after
claim
these
is that they
politicians.
assaulted police officers?
That's part of my claim. Do you want to
Okay,
address the entire thing, or are you
demonstrate
going to
it.
pick one
Demonstrate
thing?
that the Proud Boys were assaulting police officers on J6. Go ahead. I just want to make sure that we're clear.
To be clear, this was because of my question was, do you think that everyone deserves to be pardoned? Does everything... No.
Demonstrate it, fucker.
Every single time that I pin you down on something, you try to ask a question and weasel your little way out of it, weasel your little Wilson.
How do I
I'm
weasel-
asking
you asked me the
I'll
question,
get
I
there.
answered
I
it, you
asked
fucking
you,
idiot.
were there people that committed violence on Jan 6? You said, well, I think most of them weren't. And then I said, do you think anyone did? You said, yes. And I
Yes.
said, should they be pardoned? And you said, well, I have to go on a case-by-case basis. So
Yes.
just to be clear, do you
And then
think
you
that...
brought those cases
just
up,
to be
stupid.
clear, just to be clear,
This is
Andrew,
a-
do you
you're-
think
you're
that
just-
every single
wait,
person who
you're
was
completely
pardoned was
missing the
justified in
nuance.
being
You're
pardoned? Not a
really
single
missing
one
the
of them
nuance.
was
He's not
supposed to
missing
serve
the
out the
nuance.
rest
He
of their
knows he got
sentence.
fucked
No,
up.
Andrew, can you please answer that
Okay, I
question?
agree.
So does every single person, whether every single person was pardoned justly? Can you answer that?
I haven't seen any evidence to the contrary.
Okay, cool. That's what I'm looking for. Now, anyway, I'll go look that up if you really want me to.
Yeah, I really
I'm
want
already
you to.
trying to find it.
I know. Chat GPT is not helping you
No,
though, right?
I'm on right now. No, right?
The-
Well,
the-
no.
the
I mean, I
issue
can look.
with
I'll look it up
this-
on ChatGPT if you want. I was trying to avoid that just to.
You might as
calm
well
me
use
down
it
a little
now.
bit.
I mean, once you're in it, you're in it.
Okay. All right. I'll use ChatGPT for you. Then.
All right, you can go ahead and look that up. Again, so I'm a little frustrated that as many concessions as we're even able to give, which is, hey, in this one specific instance of a specific tweet, this might be something that might encourage more rioting and violence, and potentially we can condemn that. In fact, I do. I say if this was at all responsible for any additional rioting or violence afterwards, I think she was a little irresponsible for promoting this bail fund. But when we get down into the nitty-gritty of, well, I don't know which people committed violence where, and maybe this pardon, even though he didn't have the ability to do it for 4 years, well, he did it after 4 years, so it's okay. And also, I don't explicitly condemn the violence because really it wasn't that bad. A majority of the people weren't there. It was a mostly peaceful insurrection or whatever you want to call it. So I just don't understand why I
You're
even give
missing
you a
the point.
crumb of good faith when you're unwilling to admit even the slightest of a thing that promotes this as asymmetrical at all.
That's really funny
It's fucking
because
insane.
the questions that you asked for the concessions on, you got. So what was the bad faith part?
Do you
here?
condemn January 6th?
You asked
Do you
the
condemn? That was my
concession.
question that you still
You
haven't answered.
asked
Do you
the
guys?
concession.
Do you guys condemn the violence on January 6th?
I already told you, of course, just like Trump.
Okay, cool.
What part of that concession?
Would you part and then
Wait,
you
hang on,
pardoned them?
But hang on. So this whole diatribe you just
Do
went
you
on about
think
how-
that him
Hey,
pardon?
stop,
No, wait,
stop.
hold
Oh,
on.
my turn.
No,
my turn.
wait, hold on.
My
Because-
turn.
No, because
Oh,
that's
my-
not
the
the
whole-
concession. Is
the
do you think
whole-
pardoning
yeah,
them?
Soy, my turn.
No,
Soy,
no, Andrew, it's not
Soy.
your turn
Gotta
because
listen
you're
to
trying to
the
walk
mod
away
real
with
quick.
something I haven't
Gotta
said
listen to
yet.
the mod,
So, no, you
Soy.
got to
So
listen
just
to
let
me.
Andrew
Gotta
real
listen
No,
quick.
to
Corbin,
the
you've been
mod.
so biased towards him. Let me talk
Gotta
a little bit.
listen
Come on,
to
man.
I will
Mod,
mute you if you don't
Soy.
shut the
Oh, my
fuck
God.
up.
Fine, go ahead, Andrew.
That's right, Soy. So this whole diatribe that you just went on about how
Mm-hmm.
we're bad faith and made no concessions, you just had to backpedal on 15 seconds because both of us said any violence on J15 we condemn.
Okay,
Just
now,
like Trump
do you
did.
think that pardoning them is going to perpetuate that in any way, shape, or form, or encourage them? You said no, right? Because that's the actual concession in
It
the argument as
seems
to whether or not the
unlikely,
actions and the
yes.
hold on, it's my turn now, Andrew. Whether or not
I
the
was answering
actions
your
of the
question.
no, you're not answering my question. I know you're not going to do it, but I'm going to try. Maybe John
Okay,
will
go
answer
ahead.
this. The point is that the actions of the politicians. So
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris explicitly condemning it. You won't ever grant us that that's enough. But now you're saying that Trump doing it is enough. But when I say that Kamala Harris specifically, this is the concession. is allowing these people potentially to get bail for potentially violent actions, which potentially might cause more violent actions to happen. That is a concession. Are you going to concede that any of the rhetoric or the actions of President Trump or any of the Republicans at all might encourage more of this violence?
We have not seen that.
Yeah, okay, that's the concession. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Andrew. That was great.
Wait, hang on.
We've been so good faith.
Let me at least answer before you start doing the fucking joyride. So the thing is like, if you can demonstrate a link like we just did to you.
You still haven't demonstrated the link with Kamala Harris.
Between this
you
Republican
haven't demonstrated
rhetoric,
the link with Kamala Harris.
Shh. Between the Republican rhetoric and what's going on, you can show me the equivalent of, hey, fascist catch. You can show me the equivalent of all these people who are saying that this type of rhetoric, at least in their own little manifestos, they seem to be sourcing it quite a bit. Yeah. Show me the fucking equivalents, you fuck.
Oh, that's so crazy. No, you're right. I read the Tyler Robinson bullets, and it said Kamala Harris's bail fund is the reason I'm shooting Charlie Kirk. I totally remember that happening. I totally forgot. Sorry, you got me.
Wait, what does that have to do with anything?
Because you're saying you haven't shown the link, and I'm saying I haven't even conceded that Kamala Harris was directly responsible for this. I'm saying it was irresponsible for her to promote a bail fund that may have resulted in more violence, and the link that you showed was a guy getting released a year later, not from this bail fund, and doing a completely non-political violent act. That's what you're hinging on.
Wait, I thought that you granted that even if this was the case, in order to look for the logical consistency, and we were completely consistent.
Yes,
now you're backtracking a second time.
But now, I'm saying that is something to condemn. I'm saying that to condemn, and now you're saying, well, I refuse to condemn Trump for these actions because you have to establish the link. You haven't established the link with Kamala Harris. I'm just assuming this could have had downstream actions, and it's worth saying that's bad. And you refuse to concede that Donald Trump pardoning people doing seditious conspiracy may or may not lead to more violence.
Let's find out if this is true. Do you think that if there's a bail fund present during these riots, that the likelihood that people will show up to them increases or fucking decreases?
I'd say it increases, Andrew.
Okay, that's it then, Soy, you fuck.
Okay, that's the link. All right, Andrew, if you say that you get pardoned prematurely for crimes that you committed against the government, would you say the likelihood that they would do it again based on the rhetoric of the president increases or decreases, Andrew? You're not listening.
The mod says my turn to speak.
Well, yes. So you've been speaking a good bit. John has.
Dude, he literally addressed me. Come on, Corbin.
Okay. There's a massive distinction here when you post a bail fund during the riots and pardoning someone years after. Like, so my question:
what's the difference?
Name a single. Can you name?
What's the difference, John? No, John. What's the difference?
Here, I'll tell you the difference. Tell me the difference. The difference is when there's riots going on and the rioters see the bail fund, they say, maybe I can do more riots and I can get away with this.
Do you think that there is no indication that when someone gets pardoned for a crime that they did, that they would never, ever try to do it again, John?
When January 6th is over and 4 years later you pardon the people, what violence has it? Okay.
What general election did they have to try to overthrow, John? What ECA did they have to try to stop? They have to wait until 2028.
This is the most important question.
John, how could they possibly try the crime? John, how could they possibly? John, how could they? John,
just let John go again.
Let John go again? He's asking me a question.
I mean, let him finish, and then you can
finish.
Go.
Oh my God, Corbin, please.
It's a one sentence.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
Can you name a single act of violence that has occurred as a result of the January 6th pardon?
Yeah, can you name me the election that they would try again to do? What general election they would actually have the attempt? No, because you got to understand that you're saying the litmus test for this is, well, if you put the bail fund in the middle of the riots when there's another opportunity to the riots, therefore you're encouraging it to happen again. And yet there is yet to be another opportunity to help Donald Trump overthrow the election, at least not until the midterms, if not the 2028 election. So they literally haven't had the opportunity yet, but somehow this doesn't indicate that they might try again, even though they're completely now innocent of all crimes that they did on the day that they did it. They haven't had the opportunity to try again. How does this at all map 1-to-1?
So it's an argument of the gaps. It's just like,
I don't. Can you understand?
In the future, maybe
if you can't literally overthrow an election because there isn't one, how could they possibly try again? What election are they going to go overthrow right now?
Wait a second. I thought you just got done saying that Gavin Newsom was saying that he was going to run for a third term. And that
so
when he ran
at
for
the very least, the next general election would be 2028, Andrew. So they can't go overthrow an election in 2025 because it's not fucking happening, dipshit.
Before this gets too far away, I want to mention this with John because John asked who was pardoned by Trump that later committed a crime. I got a great one, actually. I have a story here. This is from The Guardian. It says authorities in Texas say they have captured a convicted U.S. Capitol attacker who was pardoned by Donald Trump at the start of his second presidency. Andrew Taki, 36, was arrested on Thursday in Leon County in connection with charges filed about 120 miles away in Houston for the January 6, 2021. He was, where is it here?
Are you talking about the guy who was arrested for child porn?
Yes, solicitation of a minor.
But again, if they're being consistent, they'll say that's bad. I would say that has nothing to do.
Wait, he was soliciting a minor?
Yes.
What is it? So what does it have to do with anything then?
Well, that's my argument, but you guys are going off about this guy who went out and killed a guy a year after the fucking riot happened, not immediately after, and has nothing to do with a political message and using and running away from that.
My argument was just this. If it's the case that just having those bail funds increases the chance of political violence, and the fact that you only see them on the left, you say yes, then we've already established a link. You can't establish back the other way.
Well, he just showed you a criminal that made more crimes happen after he was pardoned. The increase in crime happened post-pardon.
Yeah, he hasn't correrated that had actually.
He wouldn't have been able to commit the crime if he was in jail, Andrew. He did it because he was pardoned. What do you mean?
Was it political violence?
Yeah.
Was the guy stabbing someone political violence?
Was what?
Was the guy who stabbed someone, like the one example you brought up, was that political violence?
No, that wasn't political violence.
I want to be very clear. Taki also was he assailed police with bear spray and a metal whip on the day he and other Trump supporters descended on Congress. So this wasn't somebody, by the way.
Okay,
he was like just there at the protest.
But I just want to point out though that then anybody who's released from prison, right, can attack somebody, and then we could just retroactively say, well, then you shouldn't have released him.
Well, no, Andrew, to be clear, I'm
like,
saying not that.
About?
I'm saying you would have to show some sort of political violence happening as an extension. And I agree that obviously there's probably a likelihood that if people think there are bail funds, they might go again and do it. But you guys can't even fathom in your head that if you get pardoned for trying to overthrow a general election, you might try again the next time there's an opportunity. But because there hasn't been one yet, well, I guess it can't happen. We'll just have to wait and see till 2028. It couldn't possibly happen. The likelihood couldn't possibly increase.
So just to make sure I got your argument correct, yes, you believe that bail funds likely do increase the likelihood of violence at these political events, but there's a potential future in which the now pardoned after years of prison January 6ers may attempt to do another overthrow, insurrection that you don't believe happened. Is that right?
All right, hold on. Let me frame it the way you did.
Yeah, is that right? No,
it's not right. No, it's not right. It's not.
There's no overthrow.
No, it's not right.
Insurrection.
Here, let me phrase it because it's not right. You got a little things wrong. So you believe that Kamala Harris putting a bail fund for people who were just out where they weren't supposed to be and letting them go back out in the streets and protest peacefully is somehow equivalent to Donald Trump getting the people who think they did nothing wrong and actually were on there under explicit orders from him to their belief and saying, hey, this is okay and you can do it again. This is nothing. This is absolutely not going to promote political violence. But Kamala Harris releasing peaceful protesters, I mean, that's insane, Andrew. That's crazy.
I don't actually understand what that particular straw man has to do with my steel man.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry that I strawmanned you.
I was giving a steel man. You could have just disagreed with a steel man.
Dude, fuck off. That wasn't a fucking steel man.
It was. I was actually making sure I got your position
maybe if you
correct.
are so retarded that you couldn't possibly fathom that telling someone it's okay that you tried to overthrow the election and then they try again 8 years later, that's totally okay.
Do you want to have the conversation
insane?
Or not?
Are you going to admit that it is possible? Okay, well here, Andrew, because you just interrupted me.
And let me just ask you.
Well, you interrupted me. Can I finish my question?
I was in the middle of. You can't interrupt.
I was in the middle of getting interrupted by you.
I interrupted your interruption.
Yeah,
I was talking and interrupted your interruption.
I'm interrupting your interruption right now, Andrew.
I'm sorry, I interrupted your interruption.
Corbin, can I finish my question?
Yeah, so you can ask your question.
Okay.
And then
My question is.
Here's the thing. When I let you go through it.
Whoa, hold on, Corbin. I thought I could finish my question.
I just want to make sure I'm setting conditionals.
Corbin, can I finish my question, Corbin?
I just want to make sure that
Corbin,
after that I can actually answer.
Yes, Andrew, you can answer after it.
All right.
Okay, Andrew, you can finish. Okay, so when I say, yeah, it's probably likely that there's some increase of people that might do more rioting if they got a bail fund. That's obvious, and that's such an easy concession. But when I ask you, if someone is pardoned explicitly for the crime of trying to overthrow the election, it probably increases the likelihood that they might try again, knowing that the person who might benefit from them overthrowing the election would pardon them again. You cannot say yes to that. Is that true?
Yeah, this is actually correct. But why? Can you give me the why behind it?
No, why don't you give me the why, Andrew?
Oh, that's not how Steelman's work, stupid. Tell
I'm
me
asking
why
a question.
I
I'm
hold
not
the
steel manning you.
position.
I'm asking you a question. Please answer it.
No. Okay. So yes, these are not comparable. You're talking about a distinction of 4 years in prison.
There's no general election for them to
All right,
overthrow.
I thought I was going to
Andrew.
be allowed to answer the question.
Oh my
No?
God.
Yeah, so let Andrew.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so these are not comparable. When you're talking about bail funds just being present, you can't point to anything on the right which is like this. You've conceded this point, demonstrating that yes, not only is the left committing violence, but is also setting up organizations in which to bail people out when they're part of this. The reason that you guys keep on saying, for instance, most of these arrests happen in curfew. Well, yeah, they sweep them off the street because most violence happens after fucking curfew. That's why they're sweeping them off the fucking streets. That's one. The second aspect here, which makes no sense to me at all, they spent years in prison. Clearly, the people broadly must think that there was a massive injustice which happened here because Donald Trump got elected again. It's not like I'm in some like marginal tinfoil hat conspiracy bubble. Most people seem to agree that, wait a second, something seriously wrong happened with the prosecutions of these people in J6. They re-elected the fucking guy, and
this
he
is
won
a
the
great
popular vote
appeal
on top.
to all
Calm
of my
down, calm
retard
down.
fucking base, by the way.
I thought
all
it
of
was
my base is retarded,
still not
so
allowed.
it's okay.
Still not allowed to
That's
answer.
awesome, buddy.
Still not allowed to answer.
Let
Right?
Andrew
Okay.
finish
So
first,
anyway,
and then you respond.
the thing that's really funny here is like they're not comparable at all. Having that 4-year prison, so you always omit that. They had 4 years in fucking jail before the pardon. You think that doesn't act as a deterrent, and then you say, well, wait a second, no more election can even happen. Then what the fuck is Gavin Newsom talking about? How Trump's going to stay for a third seat and how he's going to accomplish that? He's just going to deploy the military, declare himself the king of the fucking United States? Like, what are you even talking about here, man?
Okay, so thank you for admitting your entire base is fucking retarded and that you didn't understand my point. The point is there has not been an election for them to try and overthrow. They were in prison for 4 years because Donald Trump was not president and could not pardon them for those 4 years. As soon as he gets in power and as soon as he has the ability to, he gets them out. And now, if there is another election in 2028, they would very likely at least just admit that they might try again in the next election, which could happen. And then Donald Trump might say, hey, I pardoned you once for this. It's very likely that I'll pardon you again for it. Why the fuck wouldn't they try again?
Because they don't want to spend another 4 years in prison.
If it works this time, the only reason they did that is because it didn't work.
Andrew,
Why is nobody ever allowed to actually answer the question you ask? It's very likely that if there's a deterrent of, the federal government's going to fucking persecute you if you even show up. If you don't even commit violence, right? They're going to persecute you and throw your ass in fucking prison.
If you
and
lose.
By the way, they had 4 years. This was the most investigated. I believe that this was the largest U.S. investigation in history. I mean, you can chat GPT that. I think that that's the case. The largest in history. You think we don't have the facts on it at this point, and that the president and his Justice Department can't go through the facts before they give these pardons, and he was swept in by popular vote. It appears that there could have been some injustice going on there. I'm just not willing to accept your narrative that when you say, I don't agree that this was actually an insurrection. Okay, I don't either. And so the thing is what's really funny is these guys get put away for 4 years. You think they're going to go back out and try a second time. Yeah, fucking right, dude. Yeah, fucking right.
Okay, so to be clear, you're super logically inconsistent. You're ignoring the fact that these people...
Hold on, one at a time.
Go ahead, John.
Soy, and then... John.
Okay, cool. So you're completely ignoring the fact that these people are dead to rights, convicted of trying to overthrow the government. The reason I don't want to hang on the insurrection point is because I know you love playing the definition game there, and it's not really worth it. We can see what they tried to do. They tried to steal the election for Donald Trump, and once he had the power to pardon them for it, their plans... I'm sorry, why is no one ever allowed to finish a point, Andrew? I'm sorry.
So it was an insurrection?
Everyone else.
So to be clear, they tried to overthrow the election, and Donald Trump pardoned them for that, and you're so incapable of admitting that maybe people who realize that, hey, if we were successful and Donald Trump had become president, he would have pardoned us right away, or we wouldn't even gone to jail in the first place. That's so beyond the pale for you. Couldn't possibly conceive of it. But when I say, yeah, maybe some people who looked at a bail fund might say, well, I don't have to worry nearly so much about crime, I'm being so fucking good faith in granting you that when you still haven't established that any people that rioted did it because of a bail fund. I'm just saying, it's probably likely, but you're incapable of admitting that maybe someone pardoned for a crime might try to do it again in a way that gets their guy elected so that he pardons them again, or they never go to jail. It's so fucking easy to follow this A to B to C.
When it comes to the realm of logical possibility, and grant almost anything, it's logically possible Superman could exist, for instance. We're talking about cases of likelihood. right? What I saw was Nick Fuentes distance himself from Trump after J6. I saw a lot of the prominent people who were there afterwards distance himself. I don't want anything to do with this guy. And
That's
a lot of
weird.
the
Why?
people who were released, were very mad at Trump. They were very upset with Trump. They thought they should have gotten a pardon on his way out the door. It does not actually seem as though these people are going to be willing to show up to overthrow any fucking election, or that they ever did in the first place. And by the way, let's point this out, that you just lied about your position on insurrection twice, right?
No, I was very
asked you if
clear
it
that I
was-
granted
asked
that
you
we'll
if
just
it-
have the same definition of insurrection, so we don't have to go through the
Finish,
nitty-gritty
I
of it.
promised John Paul that he could respond.
So the insurrection, right, point,
Mhm.
when I asked you, was it an insurrection?
I said, let's say no.
No.
I said,
He
let's say no.
No.
To make
he
this
said
conversation
no.
go further, let's say no. Yeah.
You said no. No, you didn't say for the sake of the conversation. You just lied
No,
about your
I
position.
said, let's
You
say
were
no,
hiding it.
and I'm saying you in parentheses for the sake of the conversation, because the
Uh-huh.
implicit thing is we're not going to get bogged down in a fucking
Okay, well, let me
January
just
6th
ask
debate.
this.
But now
Was
we're
it
here.
an insurrection or not?
Let's say no for the sake of the
Okay,
conversation.
before we
No,
get
your
before we get
actual
bogged down
position.
in this,
Yeah, I
That's
want
not what the
I'm not
topic of
trying
the
to bog
debate
it
is,
down.
Andrew.
I
I'm
want to
going to
know the
say,
answer.
let's say no, because it's not really worth like fighting over.
Was it an
Let's say
insurrection
no.
or not?
Let's
yeah,
say
so
no.
you got nothing, you
Let's say
fucking
no.
lying
John
sack
Paul,
of
let's
gutless.
Let's say
Let's
no.
say
I'm not
no.
lying. I'm saying let's
Paul,
say
that
no
he
for
could
the sake of the
respond.
conversation.
Yeah, but I don't
granting
want-
that it
Here,
wasn't.
Andrew and
Yeah.
Soy, I promised John Paul that he could respond.
Okay, so there's a lot that needs to be addressed here because I think, so you're missing or just outright avoiding all the points that we're bringing up. So I'm willing to grant, and I do grant actually, that if Donald Trump pardoned people who you can confirm committed violent crimes and did that during like a time of insurrection on the Capitol or violence, that could potentially lead to more violence. But
So only
there's
during
a
the
lot of
insurrection would
conditions.
it be
There's a lot of
leading to more
conditions.
violence? To be
Let's
clear.
say yes for the
there's a
sake
lot
of
of-
argument.
Yes,
Mhm.
let's say yes. There's
Let's
a lot
say
of
yes.
conditions.
No,
There's a
no,
lot of
that's what you're
conditions
saying. I'm
that-
not saying that.
What we're saying.
No, let's
yeah,
say it for the sake of argument, though.
Well, I don't agree with this argument, though.
Oh, I don't
we're-
agree
we're
with
saying
you
here-
not agreeing with the argument.
No, why?
Let's just say for
Okay.
the sake of argument, we'll hide all of what we actually think about things from now on, Soy.
Is the definition of insurrection prevalent to debate
Okay,
right
so
now?
here's the thing.
Okay.
Don't,
I'm not
we don't
asking. Did
know
I
enough
ask for a
about each
definition of
individual-
insurrection?
Andrew.
Fuck.
No, I'm just asking.
We don't know enough about each individual case to make a claim regarding the pardons. But like, so we're just assuming that he pardoned someone who actually committed a crime.
No, we're not. Actually, Vince brought up a specific example for you, John, and you said, well, actually, the violence
There's
afterward, I
many-
guess it
there's
doesn't
many
matter.
points. Okay, here.
I like to jump in at some
What
point.
Andrew,
by the
what
way.
Andrew was bringing up, which is very important, is the concept of deterrence. When people spend time in jail, and they spend time in jail, that acts as a deterrent. I'm
Mhm.
not going to go and step foot even close to the Capitol if I know that people who just standing there recording the building on the outside were given years and years of jail time, let alone actually trespass and assault officers.
Okay, by your
so
standard, can you
there's a
show me
massive-
one
there's-
violent
wait, I gotta
criminal who was
finish- I gotta
released
finish
on
this
bail
point.
immediately
There's
after
a
the
massive
BLM thing?
distinction
For the
here.
sake of
We gotta
argument, I can
distinguish
tell
the
you
two.
5.
Okay,
For the
show
sake
me
of
them.
argument.
For the sake of argument, I'm going to
Something-
ask for all
something
5 of
Go
them.
back
incredible
and
here.
forth a little bit.
Kamala Harris, when she put out the bail fund, that was during the riots.
Yep.
People can see that, and they
Yep.
could reasonably commit more crimes.
Okay,
The-
so as
what
long as the
Donald
crime
Trump-
happens within
if-
a longer time, it's okay, right?
There's no, not here's
It's okay
here's
if the
main
crime
point.
happens 8 years
Here's-
later, even if they were encouraged over the course of 8 years. That's fine.
No, that's not
It's
the
not
main point.
okay?
You're not encouraged. By the way, 4 years for assault, that's a long time.
What if they thought they weren't
Maximum
going to
you
get another
for a
4 years,
misdemeanor
buddy?
felony- for most of the maximum you get for a misdemeanor assault most of the time is a year.
Well, it's a felony
4 years, I'm
assault,
not
so
gonna
it's not a
like
misdemeanor. That's a little different.
And their felony assault is generally up to 7 years. 4 years.
It can
is
be
a
up to
long,
20 sometimes
long
if it's
time.
with a deadly weapon, actually. I didn't chat GPT that, I Googled it.
I don't think people want to spend any time in jail.
Would you lie to us
can
about
be
that,
in Google,
though?
by the way, Soy.
We're
I haven't
talking
lied
about
about
making a
anything.
point
Come on.
about we're making a point about
No, but for the
probability.
sake
We're
of
making a
argument, I
point
might
about
grant you
probability.
something. For example, that Kamala
Okay,
Harris
there's two
specifically
things.
might
There's
be
a point
promoting
about
violence
probability,
because I'm
and
good
then
faith
there's a
enough to
point
do
about
that.
linking
You're
the
incapable of
actual
doing the same.
cases. Can I finish real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Point about probability. The probability of someone counting on the fact that in 4 years their president is going to get elected again and pardon them
Mhm.
makes it extremely unlikely that they're actually going to commit another act of violence.
Okay,
When you
what
post
percentage
a
would you
bail
put on that,
fund
John?
in the middle of a riot people are going to think I can escape this potentially, and that
What
is going to
percentage?
make it more probable to commit violence.
How many people?
The other thing is
What
the
percentage?
linkage between these
How
violent
many
acts. We
people?
made a
Dude,
condition.
why can't this guy
that you
even make
need
his
to link.
case? Dude?
Because
Just
he's like
calm down.
talking out of his ass about points that he's not even addressing on my side. So I'm gonna go and try
probability is
to
like-
jump in and try to
Makes
counter
the
the
link.
points when he says them.
Just John Paul finish.
He's been super
Soy.
respectful to you. At least let him make his case.
That's fair. He has been.
Let's just let.
I'm gonna take you out for a beer, John.
Go.
All right, so there's a link. The other point, other than probability, is the point about linkage. So we have given the condition that when you're talking about responsibility for political violence, there has to be a link between the act and the violence. We demonstrated a direct link between Kamala Harris posting bail fund and rioters committing acts of violence.
You have not demonstrated that yet.
There is not a case. There's not a case where as a result of the pardons, that people have committed more political violence as a result of the pardons.
You still have not demonstrated the case that this bail fund caused people to do more political violence. Please demonstrate that.
Potentiality. Your only argument
Please
is about
demonstrate it.
potentiality. That
Demonstrate the link.
in 4 years, if JD Vance or Donald Trump or whoever's running for president doesn't get elected, then probably there's a potential for people to form an insurrection and overthrow the government. Probably some people will commit violence because they're probably counting on the fact that in a number of years, there will be a president of their liking that gets elected again and pardons them. That's a completely outrageous point. Your only point is predicated on that point, which is completely false. And secondly, you actually have to show a linkage between violence that actually occurred, which we have, and you have not.
Can you show the link between Kamala Harris's bail fund and people going out and doing more political violence? Because you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, rioters.
You can't just say rioters. You have to show that her bail fund encouraged rioters to go out and do more political violence. You got to show me that. No, you didn't. You granted that it was likely that it might happen. You
concession.
Oh, okay. So when I grant you the modicum of good faith that says maybe,
it's
not a grant. It's a concession.
No, it was a concession.
Oh, it's a concession. So it definitely
You're conceding the point because it's true.
Okay, it's definitely true.
Okay,
Sorry,
wait,
I concede. I concede. It's totally true. Sorry.
Yeah, if it's true. Right? There's a difference between it's likely versus it did. If it did, then there should be something that you guys can point to say.
Actually, this is actually a good point. So you're right. We're talking about likelihoods. And so when I asked Soy, do you think that the likelihood drastically increases when you have a bail fund? He says, yeah, it does. Of course, it makes sense. Hang on, it makes sense.
Wait.
Hang on, calm down.
I got 2 words out, by the way, before you just jumped in. Like, yeah,
you just asked me a question. Like, why do you guys ask me questions and then when I start answering them, you get upset?
I didn't ask you a statement. I said.
Okay, go ahead.
I said that there is a difference between likelihood and that something did happen, and that if you guys say that something did happen, in fact, that you guys should be able to provide something to back up that claim. And that is something that I feel like you guys have not done. And again, reiterating my opening statement that you guys have fully proven is that anytime we bring this up, you guys deflect. You'll say that it's some other kind of issue. You will not take responsibility for the fact of what you guys do. But when it's the left, you guarantee it wouldn't take any modicum evidence. You could just see that like you said before already, by the way, you could see a word on a bullet case and automatically go, yep, that's the case. But I guarantee you, if it was somebody on the right, you guys would not sit there and you guys would have all sorts of just like, well, wait a minute, guys. Hey, he might have PTSD. Oh, he might have had trouble with his marriage. But you guys would never, ever, ever grant that amount of courtesy to anybody on the left.
Well, here's the thing. It's really funny, right? It's like, I don't know why you think it is that our faculties go out the window. When it comes to this stuff, like I think a tranny fucker who fucking puts out, oh, hey, fascist catch. I think we can put 2 and 2 together there, right? I think we can put it together.
I don't know what you can put together.
Really jumped in. Shut up. It's my Vince's exchange. I know, Vince, that upsets you that we were able to call that correctly because it was very simple to do based on the circumstances of what was going on with that particular case. But the funny part here is like, I don't even understand. I actually don't even understand the ultimate criticism. If we're talking about likelihoods, then all we're doing is making the same comparison that you're trying to. We're saying that the likelihood here If it's the case that you have bail funds, you make the concession, of course, if the bail funds are there, that is going to increase the amount of people on the ground, thus increasing political violence. Versus, do you think that it's likely that people who spent years in prison after a pardon they didn't even know that they were going to get is going to somehow increase the likelihood that there's going to be another example of J6? You also say that we're running away from responsibility or somehow deflecting. And yet, when asked directly, do we condemn any violence which happened on J6? We both said yes, and so did Trump.
Okay,
not only are we not deflecting,
let me give you a one-to-one example.
Vince's exchange. Calm down, Soy. The thing is like, how many concessions can we possibly make in good faith
Apparently
and
zero.
demonstrate this for you? And by the way, let's just assume for a second we never did. We never, ever took responsibility for anything. What the fuck does any of that have to do with whether or not the left commits more violence or not? What? Even if I deflected from everything and doubled down and said Trump's the man, he should have overthrown the fucking government. Even if I said that shit, Vince, what the fuck does that have to do with whether or not the left commits more violence?
Well, we moved on from that, Andrew, because you were unable to accept the data and didn't have data of your own that countered ours. So.
Well,
Very scientific.
So okay, here's a more one-to-one example that you guys will maybe accept. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it, but I do want to ask you that real quick. So when Donald Trump says, "I think we should find the guy," I think we should find the guy who roughed up that protester in my what?
Soy, seriously.
Let Vince fucking have his exchange. You calm down.
Okay, go ahead, Vince.
Twirl your fucking propeller or something for a second.
Okay, I got a stim.
What did you want to say to Andrew?
Yeah, I'm just
sorry. I think it has a lot to do with it. Again, if the right refuses, and again, going back to my opening statement, because I love to reference that, is that again, in the absence of condemnation from the right, and you guys may condemn it, that's fine. But the vast majority of people that I have engaged with and that I have seen online don't necessarily condemn it outright. And the most that I have seen have done otherwise. And so in the absence of
That's exactly.
This is why I got to interrupt, Vince.
I can go. I'm sorry, dude. My internet sucks. You can look at the left. When you look at the left or the right,
now, who on the right didn't condemn violence? They all condemn violence, as far as I saw.
Okay, so
let me ask you something. Let me ask you. Since you talked about dog whistles, if Gavin Newsom said, "I condemn this rhetoric," and then goes in and then pardons or bails out, because you guys have already said this implicitly with Kamala Harris, then bails out all of those people that protested, would you still say that Gavin Newsom condemned and he condemned the rhetoric? Would you say that same thing?
No,
because you did not be doing that with Kamala Harris. In fact, you were saying quite the opposite.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying, so like if this something equivalent of J6 happened in California, and then Gavin Newsom decided that he would go ahead and pardon all these people after they did 4 years in fucking prison, would you agree that he condemned the violence the day after? Yeah, probably.
I don't believe it, but
that's nice. An argument from incredulity. Andrew, I don't believe you. That's nice. Yeah.
Okay, my question is, if Donald Trump were to say, "Hey, I will pay the bail funds for people who assault protesters at my things," and that's in the middle of protesters doing things in his rallies, would you say that might be encouraging?
You mean that gotcha where he was being tongue in cheek? It was very clever.
Oh, he was joking. Okay, so even in the most one-to-one example, it was a joke. You know what? I think Kamala Harris was just like, "LOL bail funds." LOL bail funds. I think bail funds are pretty fucking funny.
Bail funds.
Bail funds are funny, dude. I think they're hilarious. I'm gonna go retweet a bail fund now.
Can you show me the actual bail fund? It was a clever gotcha, but it didn't work.
It's a pretty fun meme to retweet bail funds. I'm gonna
there is a Patriot Legal Fund. There's a Patriot Legal Fund that's helping pay the legal fees of all of those who are on January 6th. They're also helping pay for some of their family.
Funds for protesters then. So not that.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, Andrew. I could have sworn you said these don't exist on the right, and he just brought up a couple that definitely exist on the right.
That's not a fucking protester bail fund. You lying.
Oh, they're not protesters. What would you call them then?
Who? No. The J6ers are people who are being politically persecuted. This is long after.
Dude, if you didn't smoke and you weren't so fucking fat, it'd be easier to lift the goalposts and move them around. Dude. Jesus Christ, dude. Holy shit.
This was long after. You should use those dick-sucking lips of yours.
Oh my
God.
Dude,
and actually make the case.
Hey, girls love these. You should ask your wife.
Make the case. Make the actual case. Ask
my
wife.
Doesn't it suck when people yell at you and you get all flustered and your masculinity just disseminates? You start to feel all that sexual anxiety, Andrew. Are you thinking about all the other men your wife fucked and had kids with, dude? Is it happening?
If you want to troll, let's troll. Is that what we want to do?
No, Soy, look. I think Soy.
Are we
So
just going to do trolling? If you want to do
So I
that, we
think-
can do
I
that.
think- I think it's the pickle behind you that's got him a little flustered.
Olive.
I didn't even think of that. Holy shit.
Olive.
Well, check this out.
Jesus Christ. Okay, we're gonna throw.
Do you
things
keep
out
one? Do you keep
there.
one by
John
you
Paul.
just in case? Now, do you have someone else loosen up?
We're gonna kick it over to John
Is
Paul
that,
now.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, Soy. Like, if you want to have
No,
legitimate
Andrew, I
debates,
just said we're gonna kick it to
I
John.
don't give a shit. Here's the thing, Soy.
Wow, Corbin,
If
you're
we're gonna
really
if
letting
we're
Andrew
just
walk
gonna
over you
do-
there. That's pretty
If we're
crazy.
just gonna
dude.
do,
Okay.
if we're just
You know, I
gonna
don't
do
like playing
trolling,
favorites,
Okay,
but
now we're
I will
doing
mute-
trolling.
I will mute everyone. We're kicking.
Now
it
we're
to John
now we're just doing
We're
trolling,
kicking
bro.
it to John Paul.
No. Now
this
we're
is
gonna
not
do
just
some
sending it
trolling.
to just me.
No.
We're
We
kicking it to John.
must do trolling now.
We're kicking it to John.
We have to
John,
do
what do you
trolling now. John's not allowed to talk anymore. Nobody's
just tired of
allowed to
moving
talk. We're
goalposts. We gotta
just
troll now,
doing
guys.
trolling now.
All right, John Paul.
Nobody's allowed to speak. He's allowed to
Okay,
insult
I
my
will- I will-
wife.
I
Right?
will-
He's allowed
hey,
to do
you're the one who
that.
called her a 6, dude. I just monkey see, monkey do. All right.
Hey, when your fucking family's dachshund's up online, don't get mad at me. You opened it up. You opened it up.
Sure.
You opened that shit up. And
Sure.
the thing
Yeah.
that's funny is like,
I will-
wait, hang on,
We
Soy,
did it
was
first.
that-
Just
was
like the
that
Proud
due-
Boys, you're just playing self
Was
defense.
that due to your rhetoric?
Was what, dude?
Did you bring it on yourself with your rhetoric? By the way, we don't do. By the way,
I think
never.
the insults were
By
brought
the way,
to you
we
when
never
you called
do.
me
By the way, we never do.
I waited till
I'm just
then,
pointing
to
this
be
out to
clear.
you. I'm just pointing
I'm
this out
pointing
to
out
you.
that you are an incredibly weak man baby who postures as super masculine, but the instant someone insults you, you get flustered and feel like a little bitch.
No,
and
you're just
so
filibustering.
clearly,
You're not-
so clearly
your
upset about
insults-
it, and now you're
your
like,
insults
you're
are
being
shit.
really mean to me, and
Your
like,
insults are
it's
dog
fucking
shit.
embarrassing, dude.
You wear a propeller on your fucking head.
Yeah, and
You're a
you
fucking
yourself has
doofus.
said, "Hey, he does it as a joke," but now that you think you can use it
Hang
as an
on, hang
insult,
on.
you're
Can
trying
we-
so hard. You're
Can you tell me-
grasping. Go
Can
fucking
you tell-
smoke another
Can you
cigarette.
tell me why
dude.
your
Just
live
accelerate
streams
it,
only
dude.
have 4,000 on them, and your
because
other
people,
streams have
because people
have
subscribe to me for
yeah.
video essays. They don't give a shit about
Yeah,
this.
it's
This
really
is a
weird.
fucking
It's almost
dog
like
and
you're
pony show,
lying.
buddy.
It's almost like you're lying about. Yeah, I think you're botting your channel. You want to talk
You think
about
I'm
that?
botting, dude? Why would
Yes.
I bot to have 200 fucking people, dude? You think I go on these live streams that make
I
me
don't
no money
understand.
and I
Yeah.
pay for them? You're fucking insane,
Exactly.
dude.
That's what's
Now I
weird.
think
How do you
you might
have
be botting.
200,000 plus views on some of your videos?
Because
A
people
lot of your
watch me for
videos.
things that aren't this. Because this is
But you
fucking
don't make
dog
any
shit.
fucking money.
You call
make
this is
zero
your
money.
life. You try to market yourself selling debate for some reason, even though you're dog shit at it. And you
I
come
don't know, I
out
beat
here
you
and
every
you're like,
time.
guys, this is my whole fucking life. Debate is awesome. On your birthday, instead of spending time with your family, you
if you were good
debated
at
for the whole
debate,
day.
then why
I
won't you
go out,
debate?
I make video essays, and then I go live a fucking life. So yeah, my fucking audience doesn't like this shit. It's awful, and I tell them I'm sorry. All the descriptions are like, I'm so sorry you have to watch this absolute dog shit. You love it. In any other situation, you'd be a fat, overweight construction worker who dies of a heart attack at 45.
know.
But God, thank God that you have the fucking internet and a bunch of retards think you're fun to listen to, so now you can make money doing something else. It's embarrassing. You're
Anything
a fucking
else?
embarrassment of human being.
Is
dude.
there anything else, Soy?
I have a lot more to say to you.
How's
if you
that?
want me
How's
to.
that apartment treating you?
It's actually pretty nice, actually. It's,
I don't
got a
know.
good view
I'm
of
about
the
to move
city.
into a $1.4 million house, and
Yeah,
that's pretty
again,
fucking
I
nice too.
agree. You've
That's
demonstrated
pretty fucking
multiple
nice,
times.
too.
You've got a MAGA
Oh.
audience of a bunch of retards who also
Ooh.
love giving money to people who
Hey,
think they can. I've
enjoy-
seen the people
enjoy
that
the
get coached
propeller
by
hat.
you.
Enjoy the
Speakeasy,
fucking
no
propeller
Fugazi.
hat, bro.
These people are fucking awful
Enjoy the fucking
because they all
propeller
listen
hat.
to you and you have nothing to offer them. You're so bad. I don't know why you self-admit to being low IQ.
Hey.
Why not just say you're smart? At least
Hey.
then they'll have a masculine figure to look
I
up
don't know
to.
what to. Hey, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry that I make so much money online, and you're seethingly jealous.
I'm
So
not- hey,
I'm sorry.
That's the one thing you've said that's correct. I wish I made as much
Sorry.
money as you, but unfortunately, I can't be as stupid.
I can't even. You can't even imagine how much I'm making right now while
I
you're
can imagine
filibustering
it.
the debate.
I can totally imagine it.
Yeah, I know, but dude, you really can't.
No, I'm
It's so
I'm trying
much
right
more
now.
than you.
I'm
it's so
actually
much more
able to
than you
project
think.
even 8 years into the future when I'm making a lot of money.
You're not ever going to make
when
any
the
money
next
online.
election happens, and I'll just be
You can't
rolling
do-
in
you
it.
can't
I'll have a
debate, you just
Scrooge
troll.
McDuck vault full of
You don't
coins
even
and bills. It'll
debate,
be
you
amazing.
just troll.
And I can imagine the election too. It's so
Look at this
easy.
debate. So who do you think's going to come and debate with you again?
Dude, and no one ever debate with me, you realize I get to focus all the time on the things I want to do and not the things that you love doing. on
Then
your
why
birthday,
is it?
dude.
Why is it that you wanted to do this debate then?
I actually did. You know, it's so funny. Corbin, I was going to be super nice to him. He reached out and he was super sweet. And he said, "You're the first person I asked." And then the next day he said, "And Andrew Wilson's confirmed." I said, "Jesus Christ, do I have to talk to this fucking retard for another 3 hours?" But I didn't want to
think
be
the
mean to
specific
Corbin.
words he
And
used
John,
were
I just want to
Jesus.
say, you've been incredibly respectful. And I actually am. I know you're at UC Berkeley. I'll go out. I'll take you to lunch. And I think you can be saved because you're not stupid. You really clearly aren't. You've demonstrated actually at least in some integrity and the ability to like process a logical argument, even if I think you're completely wrong. So, you know,
You
let's
don't
go
know
get lunch
anything
next
about
week.
logic. You're the worst at it. And by the way, if you were good and skilled at debating, why wouldn't you just keep debating? Why do you
Because
have
it's
to troll the
fucking
debate?
stupid. This accomplishes nothing. You're unable
Yeah,
to
you
conceive
can't
even
do
the
it. You
littlest
can't do
amount of
it.
thing. The only thing this is for is your
only
retard
thing
audience
you
who for
could
some
do
reason
was
hops into
attack
mine.
my
By the
wife,
way, you've
that's
accused
it.
me of botting. Half these fucking people are your
Yeah.
guys in here like,
Can I just ask
Andrew
you-
Wilson
can I just
W,
ask you
buddy.
one
This is so
question?
great because
Just
they're
one
so
question
fucking
before we wrap the
insecure that if
debate
they're
up.
not
Have
constantly
I
declaring
ever-
wins
have I
like
ever
you, they
attacked-
have to
have
come
I
do it
ever-
over here
I
and
just
think, that,
wanna
oh,
know,
now
have
he
I-
won.
Have I ever attacked your family once?
No, because you don't know my family, but I'm sure you try.
No, because I wouldn't. I just
you
don't
wouldn't.
do it.
You wouldn't attack my
I don't
family.
do it.
Oh,
I
good
don't do
gracious
it.
Andrew, kind Andrew. He's just the nicest
Yeah.
guy out there. Guys, I want to go look at all the clips of Andrew being so nice. He's just the most good faith, kind person. He's always
I
reaching
am
out to
actually,
people.
yeah.
He's trying to build bridges. He's never done anything awful, misogynistic, or awful to
What
all
have
these
I
other
done
women.
awful
or
to-
done-
name something
like,
I've
no,
done
oh,
awful
yeah,
to somebody.
No, you're right, Andrew. I think you're the paragon of
Can
beautiful,
you tell me what I've done
halo,
awful to somebody or
angelic
not?
behavior, and it's so amazing. and
it's
you know,
just- you're just
anytime
a
anything
low-tier
comes at
troll.
you, it's just because they hate you and you're good debating and logic. It's so fucking awful, Andrew.
Well,
I don't know
the
why
thing is,
everyone's so
Frankie-
mean to you.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know why.
filibuster.
I don't know why I'm so mean to
Filibuster
John.
the
You know,
debate,
why wouldn't I
troll.
give him the say? Why don't I insult
Yeah.
John's family? It's probably
You're
because
not-
John is not
Look,
nearly
you're
so
not a
much
serious,
of a
you're not a
piece of
serious
human
person.
garbage.
You're not
like
a serious
dude.
debater. I don't know what to tell you.
Are you telling me
Thing
not?
is-
How dare you call me
thing
not
is-
serious,
the
Andrew?
thing is like,
this
I
is your
came on-
job. You're talking to this
Yeah.
fucking retard and
Yeah.
you're bragging about it. Like, I'm happy for you that you're
I
making
was
all this
doing a
money,
favor
but
for
to come out
Corbyn.
here and say I'm not a serious person,
I
this
was
is your
doing a
fucking
favor
life.
for
Look who you're
Corbyn.
talking to. I do
I
this for
appreciate-
fucking
I
fun.
appreciate
This is your
everyone who's
career.
listening to Clout.
And that's exactly why you're going to keep on working at the fucking low tier factory you're at. I'm sure. The thing is, though, is with Corbyn, and here's the thing's funny. I came out to help his channel. I told him the last debate I
That's very
would,
kind of you.
and so I did. I came
you know
out
what?
and did exactly that. But the thing is like never forget that you're a
9/11.
low tier fucking troll, and you could have had a great debate here, and you just chose not to.
Yeah, it's all me, buddy.
This was all you.
Well, you know what? I appreciate all of you fine gentlemen coming out and giving me a slice of your clout. I really appreciate that.
I don't got no
Um,
clout. All
look-
right, look, I'm trying, but I ain't
You're
got
more
that
clouded
got
up than I am,
shit.
Vince. All right, you got to
Yeah.
give yourself some credit. I'm not like the
I'm-
bottom of the totem pole
I
here, all right?
will say, I mean, now that we're kind of winding down a little bit, I mean,
Yes, we were winding.
I
This
don't-
is winding down.
I know this is like this is winding down. I will say,
so-
I mean, just on the top. Oh, I'll let you go ahead.
So we are closing in on the 3-hour mark. I don't know if any of you gentlemen have a hard out. I can keep going for a bit, but it seems like we've derailed a good bit. How do we kind of want to proceed?
Yeah, I'm good with closing statements.
All right,
Yeah,
everyone else good?
that's fine.
Alrighty, then, Mr. Soypill, where can people find you and give yourself a closing statement?
Yeah, I'm a low tier factory worker, the Soy Pill. I do video essays on YouTube, but don't go check those out because I need to fail out and pursue my real career of whatever the fuck it was going to be otherwise. I wanted to come here and talk about the rhetoric of our politicians and how blatantly obvious it is that the right wing is refusing to condemn anything. And while I would not put this onus on John or Andrew, despite Andrew's reach, I think it's very clearly a demonstration of what those Republican politicians do, which is deflect, excuse every single time. There's never, ever a modicum of responsibility for when their side and their rhetoric does something awful. You can ignore the study if you really want to, but I promise you if you go through it, yeah, you're going to find some things that you might say, maybe that belongs here, that belongs there. But until they provide some sort of study that shows that actually the left wing is overall doing it and not declare, well, it's because of these videos I saw and it just kind of feels like more are happening, I'm going to go ahead and say that probably the right wing is doing it more. And I'll even concede, look, it seems like the left wing's doing it more this year, and that's not good. I condemn it. It shouldn't happen. But guess what? The right wing's being super fashy. So that don't justify violence against them. But I mean, if you literally go on the HUD.gov right now, the radical left are going to shut down the government and inflict massive pain on all American people, according to the current Trump administration. It's always the entire left's fault. It justifies everything that's ever done to them. He's going to pardon them. He's going to do awful things. And hey, when it gets really, really bad, maybe we will have to do some, boogaloo stuff. But I don't think we need to get there. I think we can have peaceful elections and fight back against this really well. So thank you for having me, Corbin. Andrew, it was fun. I know the insults go back and forth. I don't know why your wife's off the table when, clearly she's in the debates with us. I would never go after your children. I hope they live prosperous, beautiful lives. John, I will take you out to lunch. I'm sorry. This is my closing statement, Andrew. Just hold it in. I know it's hard. You have very low inhibitions. But yeah, John, hit me up on Twitter or something. I'll take you out to lunch out in Berkeley or something. So.
All right, Mr. John Paul Leon, where can people find you, and what's your closing statement?
All right. So first of all, I just do want to thank everyone for participating in this debate. I do think we did touch upon a lot of crucial aspects of the debate and conversation, which was very nice. People can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube primarily. Instagram and TikTok is where I have the most amount of stuff. YouTube, I just have like a single short there. Usually, if you look up at john.paul.leon on Instagram and TikTok, you should find me. On YouTube, I'm John Paul Leon / Sharp Young Minds. And so I think regarding closing statements, I do want to say throughout this debate, I do want to emphasize the moral and clarity in the framework that we have set up. Again, political violence is never justifiable. And the key distinction that I made early on in my opening statement and throughout the debate was that the acts of violence from the right is committed by the fringe right, and it is always condemned on the mainstream level. The fringe right also doesn't have a strong ideological backing.
It's not a single part of it could possibly be our fault, guys.
Which is
just
also
be clear.
fundamentally important.
I'm going to save this
kid.
Look how savable he is.
The distinction I made
you cannot let his neck be in front of TPUSA
is that the mainstream
events.
left often normalizes and excuses violence and is typically in unison with these movements. You have Black Lives Matter, anti-ICE riots, you have pro-Palestine movements, you have people getting indoctrinated, or I don't like to use the word indoctrinated, but I would say mobilized at university campuses, completely radicalized. You have pro-life journalists being punched. And in reality, our top leaders of the Republican Party are the ones who are being shot and killed when you don't see that same impact on the left. And that's why I wanted to draw out my other key distinction, which was the just pure scope of everything. When you look at the whole scope, the most damaging event of sustained political violence in the US history were the BLM and Antifa riots. You don't see that same amount of impact coming from the right. So frankly, if we were to analyze it based off of responsibility and political violence, there's many of these things that these studies don't classify, many things that they include that they shouldn't include. And overall, when we just see the total impact and influence and responses from both parties, we see that the Republican Party has always condemned it. My opponents will say that they have not condemned it, but they have not shown a single example throughout this entire debate. And you see all of the other things going on with the left and how they're refusing to condemn it, like Destiny not condemning the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. We can see that the situation is completely clear. The fringe right commits violence that we don't support. The Republican Party doesn't support. The mainstream left, it rationalizes, excuses, justifies, tolerates violence. And we see that has large-scale impact on the political landscape.
All right, Mr. Vince Wilson, give yourself a shout out. And yes,
I'm going to try to do this without the internet hiccuping here.
All right.
First of all, yes, I'm the Vince Wilson Show. I do live streams. I do TikTok shorts, YouTube shorts. I said TikTok shorts. And if it's not a dedication, yes, I'm traveling and I am doing my best to try to facilitate this debate. I do enjoy having these debates with everybody on here, so I appreciate everybody on here. To my closing statement, I just want to say I think it's hilarious to hear that it's the left that continuously deflects when all we have seen throughout this entire
not trying to
debate
favor
was the
Andrew,
right
but he's clearly
continuously
letting him walk
deflect,
all over him, which is fine.
How
you know,
anytime we bring up an example of saying, hey, look,
John's
here's
a
a
lost cause,
contradiction,
we can get him. We can get
it gets deflected. I think in my opening statement, I mentioned even that there was and so what I was trying to get at by this is saying that when the right deflects, it creates kind of this victim mentality where essentially when one side, the left particularly, says, hey, guess what? We condemn this. I pulled up numerous quotes from Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi. You got Chuck Schumer, who consistently condemn this rhetoric and hold it their own. They actually don't. They go through with the actual judicial process. But what we see is that the right will do this. We saw this recently with the Mormon incident where they said it was PTSD, it was this or that. We saw with January 6th where Andrew Wilson and we have seen where they sat there and said, well, there was no fund set up, but there was a fund, and then all of a sudden it didn't count. So what happens in this situation is when the right continuously deflects and they never take accountability, and the left does, it creates this idea that the left is the perpetrator. We've seen Donald Trump mention that the left is fascist, that the press is the enemy. We've seen where they talked about Stephen Miller, who's going out there and consistently using the same rhetoric. And time and time and time again, the right will use the same exact language. But because of the double standard, they don't hold their own to that same standard. They don't tell their own to stop using fascist and communist and Marxist when it may not even be necessarily need to be applied. But they don't hold their own to that same standard. And that is the issue at hand. So that's where I'll end my closing statement.
All right, Mr. Andrew Wilson, give yourself a shout out and your closing remarks.
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wilson, the host of The Crucible. Obviously, by the way, and all of you guys here should know, I don't advocate for any type of doxing whatsoever, never have. I was using this as a rhetorical scale to show how you can escalate when it comes to rhetoric. So I've never done that to anybody, never going to, just pointing this out, that when somebody says it's on the table for you, for I can attack you, it's like, well, you see how that rhetoric will escalate. So, but anyway, that aside, right? And by the way, nobody here actually would think I would ever do anything like that,
Right, yeah.
nor instruct my audience to. But anyway, this aside, these guys got completely fucking murdered in this debate, and it was bad. And the problem is they just keep saying,
forgot this is a
you
clear
won't
victory.
concede. You won't concede on these various points. We don't have to concede on these points. It's not necessary because the points were in our favor. We stuck to the facts. When you try to take these two positions and then you try to meld them as though they have some equivalency, you're just incorrect. And we were able to point this out over and over and over again.
And even
And
when we
were
brought
able
up
to
the
logically
Trump at the
demonstrate
rally
it
example,
over
it was a
and
joke,
over and
guys.
over again. Why do you think Soy got so pissed off that he started trolling at the end and literally filibustered the last half hour of the debate? Because these guys were so frustrated that they couldn't contend with the fact that we were able to point out examples of escalating left-wing violence, and all that they could come up with is, well, maybe in some future election somewhere, the people who were pardoned for J6 who spent years in jail during this witch hunt might try to come back out and overthrow it. It's the most ridiculous argument that anybody's ever heard. And we have every reason to be skeptical of it when they make it and draw out that the parallel here doesn't really make sense. Also, it's not high-profile leftists or who are getting shot. It's high-profile right-wingers, including Trump. They tried to assassinate him too. And we all know that the likelihood of that happening again from a leftist extremist is probably pretty high. Nobody thinks it's not even these two people. So the problem is that when you stick to the facts, this is what ends up happening. They end up not conceding out of good faith. They end up conceding because when you ask them a logical question like, don't you think if there's a fucking bail fund, more people will show up? They say yes. Show us the equivalent on the right. They couldn't. All Vince could come up with is after J6. A fund was opened up for legal assistance. That's not a bail fund. These people are the worst, fucking most atrocious liars I've ever heard in my life. So thing is like, ultimately, point for point, that's why we end up taking the W. So with that, I appreciate it, guys. That's the end of that. But it'll be the last time for us, Soy, unless you ever want to have an actual serious debate.
I don't know if it's
all
possible,
right.
but I appreciate it.
The whole idea of like, I'm just gonna come on, and then when you get frustrated, you just troll for fucking 40 minutes. I just don't have.
Hey,
any
you
time
started
for it
with the
anymore.
dick sucking lips, man. I don't know what you want to say.
Nah. But anyway, go ahead.
Thank you everyone for joining. Big shout out to Andrew and Soy. You guys have literally infinite times more the audience than I do, so I really appreciate you coming and helping out and having fun on the channel.
Well, never forget, you might be obscure right now, but in 3 years, you might be fucking the biggest thing who's ever existed. You never can tell how these things turn out. I'm always happy to assist people in their channel growth. I've always been really good about that. I don't care if they're right or left. If they have legitimate debates, I'm always happy to assist with that.
Yeah, man, I really do appreciate you guys coming out. And big shout out to the audience. We have 150 live viewers. That's almost the size of my channel. That is unbelievable. So everyone in the live section, thanks for coming out.
Are you on YouTube, Corbin? We can raid into you.
Sorry?
If you're on YouTube, we can raid into you too.
Oh yeah, I'm on YouTube right now. Corbin Sales. You can find me online at YouTube, at YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and the like. Thank you, everyone, for my amazing guests tonight. Shout out to John and Vince as well. You guys all did fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks
All
again.
right. Thanks
Thank
for
you. I
coming on.
tried.
Thank you. Thank you very
Well, that sure was a stream. That was pretty fun. I had a good time. It was incredibly frustrating, as predicted. Yeah, we played the definition game. I dodged it as long as I could, because holy shit, can you imagine going through that whole study and being like, well, I agree with 80% of the way the right wing was classified here, but I don't know, like this one, this one, this one, and this one, and after I've crunched the numbers, that brings it down to a 70% right-wing violence instead of 85% that year, so... like, holy shit, dude. I love how much of a pussy he is when he finally gets people insulting him, calling him a fat smoker, calling his wife ugly, which he does, and she debates, so she's totally on the table. It's like so fucking obvious. Like, I'm not going after his family, I'm not doxing him, but he's like, oh, boo-hoo. I honestly don't know if he believes that he truly is like a good person at heart and that everyone else is just out to get him. Like, it's insane how awful he is to people, and then he comes out and he's like, well, hold on, now you've gone too far. But just to be clear, guys, that's a tenet of fascism, is the enemy is both strong and weak. That's why, you know, Trump goes out here and illegal immigrants are poisoning the country, and, well, they're inferior and they don't work very hard and they're not very smart, but also they're taking over. It's an invasion. It's this contradiction so that they can say they're weak whenever they need to, but then they're also really strong when they need to scare you. It's fucking hilarious. Someone sit Little John down and ask him why he is the way he is. He knows he's playing games, but does he know we see through it? Yeah, hey, look, he's in Berkeley, guys. I'll go out and take him to lunch. I'll probably go over next week. Maybe go out and, you know, take him, sit him down, see if I can discern his ideology, maybe try to talk to some TPUSA people, and you know, we can win a couple of them over. He's not an awful person. I just think he's incredibly misled. But yeah. Andrew can't handle the heat. It's so funny. It's so funny watching that, like, masculine, like, oh, look at me, I smoke and I'm so cool. And the instant he gets on the back foot, he just, like, starts stumbling. He makes mistakes. And it's, like, not just the mistakes of, hey, I'm a fucking idiot and I'm, like, saying the wrong thing, but, like, the mistakes of, like, oh, shit, like, I'm totally contradicting the thing I said 3 seconds ago. And then he results to insulting me personally. So I'm like, all right, here they come back. And he's like, whoa, where are these insults coming from? Fucking hilarious. Good luck trying to save John. I will. There, I have a membership again. Thank you, Ash, for joining again. Ash is, like, literally in my DMs, like, how do I give you more money? I'm like, dude, chill the fuck out. You give me enough money. So fucking funny. Also, yeah, hi all the Andrews fans in the chat. I seriously, this is the only person this happens with. It's not Destiny. It's not any other big person I talk to. If it's Andrew, inevitably all the little insecure little people come in and they're like, Andrew's winning, actually that's no, Andrew won. It's so fucking funny. Like, they all have to just declare it. It's always the Raging Tomato, and it's Andrew Wilson, and it's like all these, like, very specific kind of, like, completely insecure, like, sexually anxious people constantly talking about how much they won. Every other debater I've talked to, just these good debaters, you can just be like, hey, this is why I think I won. But these people every single time have to fucking declare it. I must declare that I have won, because otherwise it didn't happen. Like, I've got to manifest it. It's so fucking funny. I'm so bothered, Swarlock. Yeah, I've seen a couple of you. Swarlock, I know. I saw John W. Smokes Jr. put the money towards your rent. Oh, I will. Can you, if you super chat me? You guys, you little trolls aren't super chatting me enough. Everyone is going to say their side won. No, actually, it's not how it works, Red High. In most debates, people just say, I think we won because of this thing. I don't think they properly addressed this. But every single debate with these Raging Tomato opponents or Andrew Wilson or his wife, they're always, yep, we won. I just want to say we won. Obviously, we totally demolished you. It was so easy. It's so obvious. And they even do it before the debate. They'll be like, oh, God, like, I can't even believe they would come in here to try to debate this. They're so fucking stupid. You must be brave to even think that you could possibly win. So fucking funny. Virgin Energy, true. Hey, so I discovered your content a few weeks ago. Love the videos. Actually really agree on what you have to say. As a young person, politically speaking, thanks for it. It's no problem, Wawa. Thanks for watching. Soypal got upset. You guys have not seen me, like, actually, if you want to see me really upset in that the conservative cancel culture debate, I actually got a little frustrated when it was like, don't get me wrong, this is frustrating, and getting heated is fun. But, like, when that guy just turned out he was lying and I was just accepting it the whole time and I found out he just was completely wrong, that pissed me off. But that's not even close to, like, actually angry. I haven't been really angry in years. The W goes to John and Vince for managing to stay civil. Yeah, I did talk over. Actually, good idea. I'm going to go, let me message Vince real quick. Thanks, man. That was fun. Sorry about your internet and talking over you. Frowny face. He was good. He did good research. Stop coping. Well, I don't know, you're right. Sorry, guys. Maybe if you declare that I took the L enough, maybe you'll manifest it into reality, like the cope. Why would we give you money? Is it owed to you? It is. Pay me. My time is worth money. Cope, you lost. True. And then there's the anti-Semitism. I don't see any anti-Semitism, which I accept. By the way, you can be anti-Semitic. I mean, actually, I don't know. YouTube might not allow it. The flexing he did was so pathetic. What flexing? Oh, like opening the jar. Oh, or are you talking about Andrew being like, I make a lot of money, I'm so good? I was like, dude, you're appealing to, like, he did that early in the debate, like, as an actual argument. It's like, clearly a majority of Americans think that it's totally okay what happened on January 6th. I'm like, yeah, you have millions of idiots, like I think he has some millions of people in his audience, millions of people who think you're a good debater and literally pay you for courses. It's so fucking embarrassing. They say that because you are a little boy and argue like a little boy. Actually, that's a good point, John. What's really funny is, like, some people were trying to insult me for this hat at a certain point, and Andrew even was like, come, because he's, at that time was enough good faith. Not that he's been good faith before, but like understood at that time, like that's not worth attacking him on. He said, oh, he clearly wears that as a character. Like he's not going to get upset that you're insulting the hat. And now he tried it there when he gets flustered and he's like, oh, you apartment. I see your apartment. Apartment's bad. Hat. Your hat's dumb. It's just like, nice try, buddy. Put Soy Pill on mute. Look how mad he looks. Getting trolled by your own chat. You got me, guys. Where was this? Flex. Soy, where did you go to college? I went to UC San Diego. Soy, they came in here to defend Andrew's honor because they know he lost. To be fair, I think they'd come in here no matter what. Never seen Soy so genuinely pissed. I thought we were talking about the last debate, because this wasn't genuine. I wasn't mad at all. I was having fun, because it's so fun to dismantle these people who think they're like, look at me, I'm so good. And like watching them crumble immediately when the shoe's on the other foot is hilarious. They never brought up anything other than bail funds and how that may be a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's okay for me to give them that crumb, because then I can point out how they were completely unable to do that. Oh, yeah. I didn't watch, but I know you won. I don't know. That's Andrew Wilson talk, to be fair. Be a good sport and message Andrew. What do you want me to message him? People can call a W when they see it. This is reality. You lost. Oh, it's happening, guys. They're manifesting it. I'm not doing a Discord, Fluffy Man. I hate Discord. Why even still debate them? To be clear, I got reached out to by someone, and in the same vein as Andrew, I was like, oh, yeah, this guy was, really nice to me, and he asked me, and I'm like, let's see, I'll just have a little fun little debate. And no one was confirmed. That's why I asked ahead of time, because I'm like, is it going to be like some really, because I've been avoiding the tomato debates. I was like, oh, do I want to talk to fucking Andrew Wilson? Like, come on. And then he's like, oh, yeah, it's confirmed Andrew Wilson. It's like, oh, fuck me. But like, I didn't want to back out. It's like, one, it looks like you're running. But two, it's like, okay, this guy asked me. He's a nice guy. I'll go help a show. And I think we gave him a good show. So it's classic fascist debate, bad faith, more obsessed with showing dominance and victory than arriving at the truth. True. Oh, hi, MMO. Haven't seen you in a while. This might make you take the pill a little bit, but I like it as it shows how these people are hypocrites, so I appreciate it. Oh, cool. Bragging about the price of his house was sad. Yeah, it was a little depressing. People are asking for your Discord. There is no Discord, guys. Poking into his past. Oh, yeah. By saying things that his wife has publicly announced on stream, I'm poking into his past. That's doxing. I like how Andrew... Whoop, lost it. What? Where'd it go? Genuine question. Okay, sorry. Oh, I like how Andrew's bragging about his views, then a whopping 50 people came here. Yeah, it's like, it's so funny that they think that I'm sad about my views when it's like, guys, I like streaming. In fact, I like that I don't have too many people so I can actually talk to you guys. And somehow it's like tripled the numbers as it's been. So like I'm getting more consistent viewers and that's awesome. I really like you guys. But like streaming is fun because I get to interact with chat and do stuff like this, but it does not make me very much money. It makes me a little bit. Videos make me money. That's why I try to focus on that. And when he comes in, he's like, oh, you're botting. And I'm like, first of all, if I was botting, I'd buy a lot more, which feels a little like projection. Maybe he bought it at a certain point, but I think he has enough like actual support that he doesn't need to at this point. But like it's like, oh, you have such low viewers. It's like, dude, I didn't even want to be here. Like I agreed because I wanted to be nice to Corbin, and I appreciate him. But it's so funny that he thought I came in here like, oh man, like yeah, I'm so sad. I have such low viewers. Look how big my viewers are. It's like you just have to do all this posturing. It's like the XKC tweet where he's like, well, yeah, but I have a big watch and you're poor. I think Ben Shapiro, when he replied to that bot and he's like, you're poor, because Ben Shapiro bot called him short like every 10 minutes or something. How do we have a functional democracy when so much of the country are like Andrew and his acolytes? If I don't think he's the majority, but it's enough that it's very scary. Trolls have to prove that you're good faith. Give me $50. No, give me good $50. I guess it's a good thing that people can't see that when I wear my spinny. Oh yeah, Ash, you got the spinny hat. I'm disappointed he didn't call you soy. Well, he calls me soy because that's like my username. I was losing my mind when Andrew brought up they were pardoned 20 times, like it actually helped his point. Yeah, it was kind of depressing. Oh, they got him. He's Jewish. We found the weakness. Is UCSD better than UCSB? By 10,000 miles. UCSB is a party school, but it's not awful. Thank you for the $5, Tori. Evan, next debate, you should have everybody offer arbitrary rules. Like if Andrew says calm down, he gets muted for a minute. No, if you say we won or we destroyed, you automatically lose. Those are the lose words. Can we get bingo cards? Can someone in my community make a bingo card? Like, I guess Trash Dan or any of you guys as members, like, just go on one of those, like, bingo card generator websites and just type in, like, 9-ish things that happen in every fucking debate. And then I'll post one up on the, like, an MS Paint we can go through. Your op wants to run down the clock when you enter the debate. Forcing him to stick to the debate equals getting flustered. What? Soy was frustrated because he was losing and now he's coping. No, I'm frustrated because Andrew's so obtuse that he can't even admit, like, the most obvious things in the world. It's so fucking depressing. It's like, damn, can I, like, he's like, oh, I guess we're done, Soy. We'll never have a real conversation. It's like, dude, I never even fathomed that we could possibly have a real conversation because you're incapable of admitting fault because you're a fucking fascist and you don't want to, like, reduce this masculine energy you have that, like, gets all your little daddyless worshippers to fill a fucking void in their hearts. Like, it's so depressing. ChatGPT, generate insults for political YouTube essayist The Soy Pill. It's hilarious how there's 100 more people than normal 1/3 Andrew Wilson weirdos. Actually, I've been getting like 400, 500. Honestly, made me think it was bots for a second. For a couple years, actually. Or a couple weeks. Oh, yeah. Message him a picture of a pickle jar that you opened. To be fair, it wasn't a pickle jar. It was a twist off green tea pill, but it's still funny. Message Andrew. Oh, missed that one. He's declared that there will never be a Discord. Yeah, of course. Message Andrew, tell your wife I said goodnight. Oh, no. No, to be fair, I wouldn't sleep with his wife. I don't like blonde women. If your argument for something being true is it's reality, it just is, and not facts supporting your argument, milady doth protest. True. So I'm going to be real with you on a sadomasochistic streak because I swear you went through the worst debates in the past few weeks. Yeah, I really want to work on my video, guys. It's pretty beta to rent. Dude, so many people rent. What are you talking about? Hey, I would buy a house if I could. Of all the things I couldn't afford when I was making insane amounts of money, it was immediately a house with cash. Actually, that's it. That was like the major thing. I guess children would be the other thing, but I'm not there yet, so. My channel isn't even that old. No, my channel's 5 years old, but I only blew up in like November. So like I was at nothing for 5 years, just doing this as a hobby, and then I quit full time because it blew up from like October to February. I like 100 viewer streams, but in 8 years I won't. In 8 years, if I have like 4,000 viewer streams, I'm going to be kind of sad that I can't like interact with chat. Like right now I'm trying to read more chat messages and it sucks that I can't. Hasn't Andrew also been doing this whole debate and politics thing for longer? Yeah. I think so. Like when Ben Shapiro told one of the largest journalists in Britain, I'm popular and no one has ever heard of you. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Super cope. My buddy went to UCSB and we did party a lot. I told you. Andrew lost any good faith when he tried gotching Vince on the pleading guilty. I think I don't know if he genuinely like is that dumb. Like he actually just might be that stupid and is like, wow, Vince is just as stupid as like some of the people in my audience, you know? Like I don't know. Why are you live at 10 p.m.? It's 8 where I am, but also I would go longer. Didn't someone yesterday have to declare they won? Yeah, it's all the Raging Tomato debates. Nope, missed that one. Fluffy Man became a biggest bean. Thanks, buddy. Did I just get homework from Soy? Well, Trash, you don't have to do it, but like if someone wouldn't take that long. I mean, we could do it on stream. If no one does it by the time there's a next debate, remind me in chat. I'll do it before. I'll try to get on like 10 minutes before. Soy is convicted of grape. You guys, you can type rape in the chat. He didn't factually do it, but he factually did. Yeah, that's exactly what Vince believes. You got it. Andrew Cuck saying Soypill was angry when Andrew was the only person yelling. Oh, to be fair, I was yelling. I just wasn't angry yelling. I was impassioned. It's not like we're calling them Nazis. I don't think Andrew's a Nazi. I think he's a fascist, but he thinks he's a fascist. And he's like, no, it's a joke. It's like, dude, you want like fascism. Come on, man. I missed the whole debate. Did you get absolutely destroyed by Andrew Wilson and his force doctrine? Oh, hey, what's up, Eucharist? Dude, no, he didn't even bring up the force doctrine. He just said, he kept dancing around. He's like, well, January 6th wasn't that bad, but also I do condemn the violence, but also the people committing violence were in the jail for too long, and they would never try it again after being pardoned for it, and it's totally okay that Trump pardoned them. Actually, it's within his legal purview, so what does it even matter if it was a good or a bad pardon? I mean, he's allowed to do it. Like, meanwhile, I'm like trying to give concessions to maybe have them step into like a modicum of like, hey, can you understand that I have a problem with Joe Biden pardoning mass like thousands of people and like maybe getting people that shouldn't be pardoned. And it's like, okay, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to admit that Trump has ever done anything wrong. Probably best that you can't afford to buy children. Sater said it about anti-Semites, but it's a great quote that applies to all fascists universally. True. Did the John Paul dude even talk about anything other than the riots? No, because that's all they have is BLM, even though, like, again, they can't contend with the fact that most BLM violence isn't even political violence. It's not people being like, I'm going to fucking break into your store and steal your jewelry so that we get body cams. It's just people taking advantage of the fucking protests. And they were mostly peaceful. Notice how he almost was able to say mostly peaceful, too. But then he was like, well, actually, the parts that weren't peaceful did a lot of bad stuff. So he almost, I think he could save him, guys. Sorry I had to go to Andrew's chat to spam. Does he have a pickle jar emoji? He should. Spam the pickle jar. He actually memory hold the whole appellate process? Yeah, he stopped listening at a certain point. I thought YouTube auto-deleted it. Maybe it does. Okay, maybe you guys do have to type grape. I'm sorry. Shout out to people who don't rape other people. Okay, wait, hold on. Watch this. I'm going to come to Andrew's defense. People were trying to paint him as a rapist. Now, to be fair, the only clip I've seen is he's talking about sometimes I'll wake my wife up with sex. And it's like, well, it has to be yes and consent in every situation. But it's like, if you have an agreement with your partner that you can wake them up with sex, that's fine. And if they say no and then you stop, that's also fine. That said, I'd be willing to bet, given Andrew's views on women and how they should submit to the husband, that he probably doesn't even believe that marital rape is a thing. So that could be a different story, though. But just waking your partner up with sex, if you're in agreement that that's okay, that's fine. We need to crowdsource it and get the best bingo card ideas. I mean, here, we'll do it at the end of the stream. I'll get some water. I'll keep reading your chats. Let's make a bingo card. I just hate how this whole argument was the left says this, but they really mean this, when I can argue that the right and MAGAs have done this since the January 6th speech. Yeah, no, it's all deflection, all no, we never meet it. No, that was a joke. So when Kamala Harris denounces violence, it doesn't matter because out of the other side of her mouth, she's really trying to bait the crazy left-wing radicals into doing it. But when Donald Trump says, these are the enemy of the people, they're Marxist and fascist, and we need to root out the people poisoning the blood of our country. I condemn violence as revenge, but also I think they should get it at the box office or at the the voting booth. And the voting booths are corrupt. People says there's troubles with doing it non-violently. Anyway, that's all just nothing. He's condemned it, so who cares? Did I call him a slur? I didn't. I just called him fat. You should give your apartment neighbor some apology beer. I hope it wasn't only too loud. They have a baby and a dog and a treadmill, all right? I'm the quietest. Thank you, the plebe, for the $20. I'm like an hour behind, but dude, you did so good just waiting for someone to bring up a pickle jar. I can't believe I never made the connection that there's a pickle behind me. That has nothing to do with Andrew Wilson. I just hate Pickle Rick, and I bought it ironically. Which Biden pardon do you specifically take issue with? I remember seeing like one or two William Clark that were like, here's a guy who's like convicted of like violent trafficking and drug crimes, and like it was included in a list of crimes of where other people were like non-violent drug offenses, and somehow he got thrown in there, and I was like, I'm not okay with that. I think they should have a little more discretion with pardons. I don't think blanket pardons should really be a thing unless you can, like, someone did the due diligence, group them all together because clearly they're all under the purview of the same protest or crime and none of them did something bad. I think you should do this not so laissez-faire, not so lackadaisical. Oh, there's a pickle jar. That's fun. To Andrew's credit, he did control the debate. Oh, yeah, no. So, to be clear, guys, if you just never concede, never admit anything, always deflect when anyone has you pinned down on anything, yeah, you're going to control the debate. And that's why the people who are stupid enough to believe that's him winning are like going to keep giving him money and saying, guys, I did it. I beat my mom in the debate we had about Trump. But if you have any modicum of understanding of the points being made, you can watch and you'll be like, oh, that's where he dodged. That's where he didn't answer the question. That's where he totally deflected. That's where he contradicted himself. I can see someone spammed Jesus is our savior with all the crosses and it got rid of it. I don't think that should be flagged. If you want to say that, that's free speech, buddy. Let the crosses in. Someone spam YouTube and tell him to let the crosses in. He smoked his donations away in cigarettes. That man could afford cigarettes for life. And I'm not just saying that because he'll die from lung cancer. I'm saying he could buy a Scrooge McDuck vault full of cigarettes because I'm sure he makes a lot of money. It's so funny. So he said, I think you're a halfway decent debater. I'll try to get you on Tim Pool's culture war, which is, again, these people don't understand that just because you're trying to promote smaller channels doesn't make you not a piece of shit when you advocate and say things that make you a piece of shit. But, you know, that's a nice thing of him to do. And I said, oh, am I debating you? What's the topic? And he's like, no, I'm way too big to debate on the Tim Pool show. And it's like, dude, you agree to go on just like no names shows, which is fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but like, don't pretend like you're so high and mighty. The fact that you'll just debate anyone because you think it's fun. That's the reason you're the persona you are. I had issue with Biden pardoning Hunter. So the only like exception with the Hunter pardon is like, look, there's a clear indication that the Trump admin was going to go after these people. And even if obviously Hunter Biden did crimes, I can kind of see why he did that. But I don't think he should ever be in that situation anyway. It's clearly a conflict of interest. I thought that those with a commuted death penalty sentence for that stuff, not like a full pardon, were a commute. I'm not sure what you're asking, William Clark. I'm sorry. Missed the debate. Did I kick his ass? Aaron, I declare victory after every debate, obviously. No, it wasn't a debate, though. It was never going to be one. There's a reason people like Destiny blacklist it. It's because it's like this is never a conversation, and it's always obfuscation and deflect. It's not running. It's like, I get it, dude. Like, Destiny is not someone to run. The reason he doesn't want to talk to people is because he's fucking bored. Because these people are so insufferably stupid and obtuse. Jesus isn't our savior. All hail Martin Shkreli. Jesus isn't our savior. All hail Martin Shkreli. Okay, I thought you were going to say something else. Turn off chat moderation. I mean, I don't think I have crazy chat moderation on. I just have Ash in here and sometimes the soy sauce. Right with Pisco. Yeah, true. Timple is an idiot. Hey, Goo Boy. How's it going, buddy? See, if I had 12,000 viewers, I wouldn't have been able to see Goo Boy waving at me. That would suck. I remember Goo Boy. He did back out of a fight with Wick. He should fight him, but it's not really fair. Wick was in the military, and Andrew's a fat smoker. Oh, well, with Soy's logic, just because Soy said he won doesn't make it so. That's true. You can come to your own conclusion, Steven. And cross person, I wasn't trying to delete your crosses, just an, you gave him a timeout? Guys, Ash hates God. Our mods hate God. Can you twirl the hat? I'll do one twirl. Okay, guys, I'm going to get some water real quick, and then let's make a bingo card, and then I'm going to go work on my video, guys. All right, kings and queens. Let's make a bingo card. You heard it here first. Destiny Orbiter Wick is in better military shape than Smokey Man. I mean, I honestly do think he is technically in better military shape. I mean, Andrew said he was training with Marte, the like bodybuilder guy, so maybe. All right, let me find a bingo card generator. Bingo card generator. I don't like this one. There we go. Okay. Give me a sec. Let me bring this up over here. I've seen. Bada bing. All right, guys. What is the free space? What happens in every single debate, no matter what? Have I seen the Hunter Biden Channel 5? Yes, I have. Spinny hat? No, sometimes I don't even have it on. I think the bingo card needs, we need to purge the left. Okay, yes. We need to excise the radicals from the left. That goes in there for sure. People talk. Lame. Interrupting. You're stronging me. Calm down. Hat twirl. So the hat twirl doesn't happen everything. I like specifically sometimes save those. Oh shit, did I just miss a super chat? Oh no, that was from the plebe. Okay, I saw it. Interrupting should be free. Interruption. Guys, I think interrupting should be free, because if an interruption doesn't happen, that's like, I think the closest we ever got to that was with Tali. Oh shit, hold on. My fucking webcam isn't on. 1 second. There we go. Sorry guys. I just realized I was just talking. Transform, flip, horizontal. Yeah, Tali and Aaron, when we had that trans debate with Erudite, I think that might have been the most good faith non-interrupting debate. So I think we will put up interruption there. God, I'm gonna spell words wrong on accident because I'm tired. All right, guys, let's see. Give me some more examples. But Biden, I can feel your enthusiasm for Jesus. Fuck yeah, Mark. Jesus Christ. Jesus, calm. Is this? This isn't even Jesus. This is just an angel. But I love, guys. Catholic energy is fun. I actually really like Baptists because they sing a lot. Nothing's made me want to worship God more than singing about him. But sorry, I need the source. No source. My boss goes out of town and I sit at his desk and I proclaim myself the new owner. What? No? I don't know what you're trying to do. Transphobia? I think we can put transphobia. Hey, what's up, Josiah? It went about as well as a debate with Andrew Wilson can go, which is, we try to do the most good faith thing and have an actual conversation. And when he refuses to concede even the most easy points ever, that's when you point that out and go in circles for a while. And then finally he gets frustrated. He insults your, appearance or something. You insult him back. And then he pretends like you're the big meanie for doing that. I'll put transphobia up here. Biased source, that's a good one. I don't know if that's happened that much. Or let's just say, yeah, like not biased source, but like, that source is wrong. Wrong, sorry, a questioning source. Randomly mention of trans people. Yeah, transphobia / bringing trans up for no reason. Actually, no, that should be its own one. So transphobia is its own thing. I think we should have, well, okay, let's do this one. You believe men can be women. I want to call it that. Declaring victory, that's a good one. Declaring victory. Ad hom. Should we put ad hom in? I mean, that's probably going to happen. Sure, ad hom. Random Obama blame. I don't know. Obama doesn't happen that much. Horse video? No, that's only if I'm on the tomato. Jesus is the way. Okay, Mark. We get it. Take it to church, God boy. Mentioning Nick Fuentes. That doesn't I don't know if that's ever happened. Maybe like once or twice. Let me finish? Yeah, let me finish. Nah. That's kind of interrupting. Mott and Bailey. A slur? Baby eating. That's just you, Parasective. Obama. Fake laughing? Fake laughing is good. It's hard to tell if you can actually do it. So you can still do it as a joke. What do you mean? What is this for? This is for the next debate, if we ever have one. Do you condemn Hamas? That's gonna be out of there. BLM riots? Okay, yeah, BLM riots is a good one. BLM riots are always gonna come up at some point with the violent left. Oh, yeah, wait, that's a good one. Insulting the hat. That's always a fun one. Context? Okay, context is a good one. What was the context for that quote? Oh, what's it called? We got to do horrible Trump impression, and if I do it, it doesn't count because even though it's bad, that's playing the game. Okay. You realize that both people do these things in debates, trying to act like Soy doesn't do these things as a joke. I actually never declare victory unless I'm making fun of the other people declaring victory. Questioning a source is okay, by the way. Not all of these things are awful. But Biden? Oh yeah, Trump double standard. That's always a fun one. Let's do that. Let's do that here. Trump double standard. Appeal to view count. That doesn't happen that much. Hunter Biden's laptop. That's kind of That's kind of Biden-y. Thank you for joining Red High. You're a big bean, Red High. I love your little icon. That's cool. Is it like putting out fires? God called. He said you're stupid. No one has ever said that unless you're talking to the guy that keeps doing religion. Citing the Bible. Oh my God, wait, yeah. Even though we need to excise the radicals from the left is up here, I'm going to put Hassan. Hassan is always going to come up at some point. That one always, every time someone just mentions Hassan for no fucking reason. Quoting scripture? That does, am I missing something? Hassan or Destiny? Okay, we'll put him in there. But I feel like Hassan just like gets so much flack and like completely stuff, like non-related incidents. John, thank you for the 10. Who are you scheduled to debate next? I am not scheduled anywhere. So if I announce it, it'll be on the YouTube channel. It'll just say, hey, this is coming up. Yeah, it doesn't really happen very often. That would help with the bingo card. No. This is going to be the bingo card. Like, no matter what, this is the bingo card for all of them. Good job keeping it cool. Bought the bench and dumbbells. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, get swole, buddy. Appeal to nature or popularity? That's a little generic. Still saying bad rephrasing. What does that mean? Whoa, there we go. Jesus raised from the dead. That's a lot of fucking crosses. All right, you can do one line of crosses. Anything more, and I'm gonna mute you. It's too many crosses. You're making it look like the World War I memorial in here, dude. Love how he claimed it was so bad that people distanced themselves from Trump, but also not that bad that he was saying proof was needed that they did violence. Yeah, that was so funny. Believing an L equals a W? That's declaring victory, buddy. Dude, the exact second I joined, my computer killed itself. This is obviously Soy's fault. Accusation of being a socialist or communist? No, Tori Evans, declaring victory is already in there. Yeah, actually, okay, wait, I got one. Soy, taking them at good faith and then crashing out because he Googled it and they were wrong / lying. That's a good one. Epstein files. January 6th denial. Did I not put that in here? I guess January 6th can just be brought up anywhere. It does get brought up all the time. Denial. Or... Because, like, it gets brought up to deny and also... Just January 6th. Just January 6th. I feel like the commie... Yeah, commie's not so... thing. Uses ChatGPT. I don't even think that's that bad. It's just slightly different Google. I just think sometimes it can like hallucinate, which is why you need to look at the sources, which is why you should just Google it. That's a good one. Mentioning, to be fair, I do this sometimes. Mentioning socialism / communism without understanding what they mean. People get on my shit all the time. I'm not using the right definition. Put a space after the slash. Oh, like that? An ominous reference to they? That's actually good. Conflating all bad things as them. That's not just the anti-Semitic them, too. It's always like oh, it's them. The left does this. I mean, they did it in this debate where they're like, actually, you guys said that, you know, he was a groiper. And I'm like, actually, no, I never said that. I wished he was a groiper, but I never saw compelling evidence. And I said, you guys are jumping to conclusions. People entertaining an obvious troll. I'm going to put that one in because of Andy last night. People entertaining an obvious Troll. Good one. Good one. This is all the word salad. This is word salad. There's too many words in this leftist meme. Hey, Hilbert. How's it going? Fluffy man. Oh, okay. History with Hilbert makes fire videos? Hell yeah. Calling you bad faith while being bad faith? Yeah, I'll say that. Bad faith. Bad fiart. Faith. Bad faith. You're bad faith. First name, last name, thank you for re-upping to a big bean. But that's every debate Andrew Wilson's in. Well, you know, like you said, I guess we're not going to be talking anymore. What aboutism? That's, yeah. Biased moderator? Yeah. That doesn't happen that often. I don't think it's that bad. People not getting a joke. How about this one? I'll put it. Soy totally bombing. And you guys have to have like a like the bomb emoji for when I tell a joke and no one laughs. And if enough people spam it, I gotta go check that one off. Yelling at the oh, that's a good one. Yeah, yelling at the moderator. Like when it's just like, all right, even now I'm out of the moderator. I mean, if it was just Wick debates, I would put what's it called? Wick starts debating, like, you know, like even though he's the moderator because he's really impassioned about it and clearly should just get a moderator to let him be in the debate. I'll just say, actually, this will be a moderator nonsense, and it's going to include anything that happens with the moderator that's not what's supposed to happen with the moderator. California, Gavin Newsom, and crime. That's not nearly so often, but it might be more common in like 2-3 years. May have to redo this. Incorrect usage of a logical fallacy. The problem is I'm not going to be paying attention enough. I guess you guys could check it off in the bingo card. Tim pooling, if he's pooling, what would pooling? That's only Tim Pool is really the only person I know that pools a lot, to be real. Soy doesn't do the Pledge of Allegiance during the raging. I forgot about that. Guys, if you didn't know, she didn't do it last time, but the last week, she literally did the Pledge of Allegiance in the middle of the fucking, like, intro. That was wild. Why? That was so fucking weird. Like, it's so insane. Men talking about women's issues. I think there's maybe a potential. No, oh yeah, here's one. No one on the panel is relevant to the issue being discussed. And let's just make it extra leftist, like you know, BLM, all white people or something. Let's say directly relevant, just so no one thinks I'm racist. Obviously, white people can talk about BLM. For the sake of argument. Saying the other side is paid by? Oh man, maybe saying like you're paid by the DNC, but it doesn't happen that much. You know what's so funny? I forgot to mention this on Live and Learn. Bringing up Charlie Kirk, I see that one in chat. We didn't talk about Charlie Kirk once. We're kind of forgetting about it, guys. I think IRI was right. I think we're over it. I'm going to say it. Let me be the first to say, I'm bored of Charlie Kirk. I don't want to talk about his death anymore. It's boring. Devin, thank you for the 20. E, the topic gets completely abandoned. Yeah, okay, we can do that. Completely off topic. That's got to be in there. All right, we got 3 more guys. Unless someone posts something really, really good. Charlie Kirk has lost media. No, I know someone... No, they mentioned Charlie Kirk in this debate. I said in the Live and Learn episode. We didn't talk about Charlie Kirk once, and it's only been 20 days. No, oh my god, Stefan B. I'm not talking about bringing up Charlie Kirk in the violence debate. Calm the fuck down. You're so mad. But by the way, Stefan, you're welcome here. No one be mean to Stefan. Unless he's saying something stupid, he just misunderstood, all right? The Middle East. I really like how this chat can string together multiple words. Rip, did you spend $30 to become a member and then insult the chat? A mention of you being Jewish? You know, that doesn't happen that much, honestly. I mention it more than anyone. Goalpost shift? Dodging the question, goalpost shifting? That's like generic, like, debate things. It's got to be like things that keep happening in my dumbass debates. Favorite music album? Probably Caravan Palace's second album. You're mispronouncing Stefan? Oh, please don't shoot me. I won't shoot you, Stefan. What the left should do? You know what? This is why the left lost. This is why The left keeps losing. Fucking hate that shit. Propeller spin, I'm not going to put on there because I have like direct control, and I usually do it when people ask. Silo Mira's panel is exclusively white men. That's kind of here. No one on the panel directly relevant to the issue. Can some of these get really long ones consolidated so we can actually read them? Oh, hold on. Can you not read them? Is it like too low energy, too low energy, too low resolution? How do I transform this? Flip horizontal. What? That's not flipping horizontal. Transform. Flip horizontal. There we go. All right. I hope you can read them now. MAGA academia nut jobs. Appeal to authority while denying other authority. And yeah, kind of. Could some put a space after socialism? Where's that? Oh, okay. God, you love my spaces. Could be bigger in the text. It's fine. There's two more. We'll bring this up. We'll blow it up when we actually do the debate. Talking to their own chat mid-debate. Well, I do that. Okay, wait. Repeat what I just said. And then they say that's not what I said. Repeat what I said. How is this a bingo card? These are topics in the debates you go in. No, the point is obviously if we went to a fucking BLM debate, we wouldn't check off BLM riots, Stefan. Obviously. Someone is vaping or has a background flag without not including WIC. Okay. Guys, that's going to be the last one unless you have a really good one here. Bog Damson, like your content. This is one of the few instances we haven't actually get to see this message. I read every comment I can, Bog, but thank you very much. Rage quitting? That almost never happens. Trump's just joking? That's the Trump double standard. We already got that one. Let me be clear. For the sake of argument, these are just kind of like, you know, phrases. I don't hear them that often. I mean, I hear like Ben Shapiro say that. Or Obama. Oh, you participate in society? That's kind of good. Caught in a logical trap. That was so fucking funny. That he thinks Andrew was like, I got you in my logical trap. You said that if someone gets convicted of rape, they must have done it. Like, he did say that, and clearly didn't mean that, but Andrew thought he got him. That was hilarious. Kamala forced no primary? Oh, what am I saying, dude? COVID lockdowns. We're definitely doing that. COVID lockdowns. All right. This is our bingo card. I'm going to screenshot this and import it somewhere so we can have that up. I'll post it in like the description on like an Imgur link and you can all have that. Mispronounces Kamala. Oh my god, do you guys remember that guy trying to like bait me into being like angry, like, oh, call me racist, call me racist. So, my god. John came to the Tampa stop. Oh shit. Yeah, apparently John was at the UFA Tampa stop, so he's familiar with the other UFA people. I'm going to reach out to him if he can. All right, guys. What's my ETA for the Democrats vid? Well, I'm no more streams planned. Obviously, I might do like a news stream here or there, but I'd say again, like, hopefully within the week. I'm still waiting for an advertiser to get back to me to see if I should put one advertiser or the other. Oh, you know what, guys? Real quick. You know what we're doing? You guys might have been there last night. But what if your boy had practiced a little bit and maybe knows where all the countries are now? Let's see. Let's do 150 largest countries by area. Let's do this, guys. Let's see if I can remember countries. And then I'm going to go to bed. Let's learn. Let's learn geography. Cuba, I don't know where that is.
Suriname.
Suriname's got to be
Madagascar.
Madagascar.
Solomon Islands.
Ooh.
Bosnia and Herzegovina.
That's easy. That's this one.
India.
Bam.
Guyana.
We're going to learn so many things tonight, guys.
North Macedonia.
That's right here.
Zambia.
Zambia's got to be this one.
Kazakhstan.
Bam.
Saudi Arabia.
Bam.
Turkey.
Oh, your boy's been
Morocco.
practicing. Oh, your boy knows where things
Portugal.
are. Uh-oh.
Denmark.
It's over for geography
Indonesia.
cucks. Wait.
Tunisia.
Yep. Tunisia's this one.
Liberia.
Look at this. I'm locked in as fuck. Oh, shit. Wait. So, this is Ivory Coast. This... Fuck. I actually don't remember if this one's Liberia or this one's Liberia.
Pakistan.
Okay, I got it. Sick.
United Kingdom, South Sudan,
That's got to be this
South
boy.
Africa,
Bam, bam,
Peru,
bam, 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 bam.
Somalia,
We know so many countries, guys.
Lesotho,
It's so important to know when you're bombing somewhere as an American where you're
Nepal,
bombing. It's very important.
Albania,
Look at that. Oh, can I even click on that one there?
Latvia,
Can. Latvia, that's got to be this guy in the middle.
Niger,
Niger, that's the one that
Sri
looks like the
Lanka,
fried chicken. I always remember that one. Sri Lanka, Philippines.
Haiti,
Haiti's going to be, ooh, this one.
Nicaragua,
Ooh, easy.
Yemen,
Yemen. Okay, I remember someone told me last night it's the one next to the canal.
New Zealand,
That's important. That's a hopping and a skipping away from Old Zealand.
Algeria,
Uh-oh, Algeria. Which one's Algeria? Is that this one? Yeah, because this is Angola.
Panama,
Panama's the canal, easy.
Croatia.
Croatia's the little hook one around Bosnia.
Mongolia,
Mongolia is the little China. We remember this.
Guinea-Bissau,
Guinea-Bissau. This is super autism, guys. I agree. So this is equatorial, so that means that one's got to be
Ghana.
Guinea. Ghana's this big boy.
Chile,
Chile. That's where they make
Spain,
all the chili. Spain.
Italy.
Italy's the boot. Oh, we're so
Myanmar.
good. Myanmar's this one. What? Oh, fuck. No, it's not. This one's Myanmar. Wait, no, this one's Myanmar.
Slovakia,
Fuck, I got Malaysia and Myanmar confused. Sorry, guys. No, 100%. No, 100%, but that's fine.
Israel,
That's fine. Israel is not even on here. Guys, can you help me? Where's Israel? I don't recognize Israel.
Laos,
No, we already did that joke. See, they say Laos with an S.
Libya,
Nigeria.
Nigeria,
Nigeria's the one under Niger.
Bangladesh,
Bangladesh is I hardly know where
Afghanistan,
Bangladesh. Afghanistan's the one above
Oman,
Pakistan. Oman's the one that I thought
Republic
was
of the
Yemen.
Congo,
That's the smaller
Thailand.
Congo. Thailand is the one that I always confuse with Myanmar. I mean, yeah, Myanmar.
Sierra Leone,
Ooh, see, that's this one.
Cameroon,
Now, Cameroon's got to be this one.
Botswana,
I'm running out of jokes to. Ah!
Azerbaijan,
I can't talk to you guys while I do this. I'm not locked in nearly enough.
Austria,
Look at that. 2 mistakes. I fucking suck, guys. Austria.
Namibia,
Namibia. See, now I'm
Central
flustered.
African
I'm getting
Republic,
so many wrong now. See?
Brazil,
Brazil,
Colombia,
Colombia.
Guatemala,
Oh my god, I'm a fucking embarrassment to this
Japan,
chat, guys.
Togo,
I had it all. I could have had it all.
Argentina,
I could have had it all, and now I have
Mauritania,
nothing.
Dominican
I
Republic,
have nothing now. I'm a
Equatorial
stupid
Guinea,
fucking idiot who doesn't know any countries.
Romania,
No countries are beyond me. Bulgaria, Romania.
Hungary.
Hungary is the one under Austria, right? Fuck.
Mozambique,
Yeah. Mozambique, Belgium. Ooh,
Papua New Guinea,
that's this
Greece.
one over here. Greece is like this one.
Burundi,
Ooh, Burundi's like this little
Gabon,
baby. See, it's so funny. I know these like
Bhutan,
insanely obscure countries, but then I accidentally click on the wrong thing,
Taiwan,
and I feel nothing
Malaysia,
inside me. I feel empty.
France,
I feel like a
Iran,
failure.
Armenia,
Shameful display. Armenia,
Sudan,
Sudan. That's South Sudan.
Finland,
Oh my god. Look at this. It's not
Kyrgyzstan,
what's the point even more, guys?
Democratic Republic of the
What
Congo,
is the fucking point anymore if I'm not
Jordan,
going to get 100? I'm not going to do this again. We'll try it a different day. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I failed you.
Russia, Ecuador,
Russia, Ecuador.
Chad,
Ugh. It's all downhill from
Paraguay,
here.
Ukraine,
Ukraine,
Georgia,
Georgia.
Uganda,
Oh, this one.
Poland,
Poland.
United Arab Emirates,
God, there's
North
too many
Korea,
countries.
Australia,
What if we just had one world government?
Sweden,
Maybe Alex Jones is right.
Germany, El
Maybe
Salvador,
we should just do that.
Uzbekistan, Iraq, Bulgaria,
God. So
Ethiopia,
depressing. Armenia mentioned? Well, this is most of the countries, dude.
Honduras, Egypt, Iceland,
Iceland,
China,
easy. China, easy.
Eritrea,
Okay, guys, tell me if I'm wrong. Does Eritrea sound like a ghetto girl's name? I know I'm dog whistling a little bit there, but like, can't you not imagine someone being like, "Yo, Eritrea"? Like that's what I think of every time I see
Lithuania.
this. Sorry, I'm canceled now.
Tajikistan,
I
Costa
fucked up
Rica,
with Turkmenistan because I was thinking
Czech
about being
Republic.
racist.
Malawi,
Damn.
Canada,
I'm not even gonna get close to 100.
Moldova,
I'm gonna get like 90 something,
Norway,
and I'm gonna pass, and my
Ivory
parents are gonna hit
Coast,
me for not being
Belize,
perfect. Ugh.
Serbia,
Was that your black voice? No, that was my Chinese voice.
Ireland, Netherlands, Switzerland, South Korea,
Bam,
Belarus,
bam,
Bolivia,
bam,
Zimbabwe,
bam.
Djibouti,
This is the one I already fucked up.
Cambodia,
Cambodia's down here.
Vietnam,
No.
Rwanda,
Cool. Give me two next to each other. We're almost done, guys.
Mali,
Mali. Are
Mexico,
you learning? Is my favorite country Kickassia? Is that a fucking... First of all, thank you for the $2. Is that a reference to fucking...
Senegal,
What's his name?
Angola,
That's a nostalgia critic
Estonia,
movie, right? Kickassia or
Syria,
something. See, I would just never make a video
Turkmenistan, Benin,
or a movie because I don't want to embarrass myself.
United
Instead, I'll
States,
just do geography and
Tanzania,
show everyone that I'm stupid. That's Kenya, right?
Burkina Faso,
That's such a cool name.
Uruguay,
Burkina Faso. You're gay.
Kenya, Venezuela.
Okay, 97. I'll take it, guys. All right. It's good to learn things. I have not come to be righteous, but sinners to repent. Luke 5:32. The critic. The USA isn't on the map because the West has fallen. You need me to make a sequel to Kickassia called Soy Pillistan. Why not? All right, guys. Thanks for joining. I hope you all had a good day. It was fun hanging out with you. It was a fun debate. Tylenol maxing. Yeah, I got a crunch on these little guys. You're a guy. Yeah, so for the future, I don't know if I have anything else planned this week. I might do a little news, little thingy. But otherwise, I'm going to crank out that video. I really want to get that out. So look forward to that in the coming week or less, because it's been more than 30 days. I usually try to do it in a week, but had a little bit of a hiccup there. So I'll save this bingo card. We'll have it for the next debate. Otherwise, Ukraine, there's a fundraiser. But if you don't want to give money to Ukraine because you don't know if it's going to the right people, you could always give money to me. I like money. Who knows? Maybe I'll sell a debate course, guys. How to have debates. That'll be fun. Crank out which video? The Democrats one, because then I'm going to do the Charlie Kirk one. Chop chop video, boy. Yeah, I'm finally getting the comments of like, why are you tweeting? Go work. But yeah, love you guys. Thanks for sticking around. Thank you so much for the super chats, everybody. And type 1.